Our story begins with a young man waking up in a messy hotel bed with a girl by his side. The young man rubs his eyes while trying to understand what is happening. He sits up, startled, and tries to remember how he ended up in that place. Looking back, the boy realizes he had a very intense night with a beautiful stranger. At that moment, his phone lights up, showing a notification from his old girlfriend. The messages were from her demanding attention, but he remembers very well that she dumped him back in college. He feels confused by the tone of the conversation, because she had blocked him a long time ago. Then, upon checking the date on the device's calendar, the realization hits him hard. Shock takes over his face when he realizes he has traveled back in time. In his past life, his ex humiliated him and traded him for a rich man, saying he had no value. That left him devastated, showing him that reality had crushed his love in a cruel way. Back in the present, he deduces that the girl only sent the message to ask for money as a gift. Laughing at himself, the protagonist realizes how blind and foolish he was because of that fake love. Without wasting time, he turns the tables and sends a message breaking it off once and for all. The young man refuses to be betrayed again and states he has not a shred of regret. Suddenly, a blue screen appears, congratulating him on his attitude and activating a tycoon system. His astonishment is immediate as he notices he has received the classic cheat package for those who are reincarnated. The screen shows a passive income per second, generating an absurd fortune every month without effort. In addition, the system offers a beginner's package, and he immediately accepts the gift. As a reward, the young man gains millions in his account along with a luxury car and a friendly scanner. The transfer hits instantly, confirming everything, but the scanner leaves him quite intrigued. While he thinks about the ability, the beautiful woman by his side grumbles in her sleep. With that opening, he decides to test his new tool on her to see how it works. The display reveals her name is Xiaoxiao and shows her level of friendship and intimacy. He understands most of the attributes but is curious about the privacy status. Upon clicking, he discovers that it marks intimate relationships, indicating he was her first. The previous night, the young man was drinking at a bar because he was sad about the scorn of his ex. That was where he met the young woman, who was also trying to drown her own sorrows in drink. Sighing, he deduces that the girl gave herself to him out of sadness, not love at first sight. Suddenly, the woman wakes up blushing and quite startled, interrupting our hero's thoughts. The lady notices his attitude and comments that he sighs and shakes his head just like when he was drinking, calling him a natural charmer. The young man breaks into a confident smile while looking at the beautiful woman lying in bed. He leans toward her, denying he was thinking about the past, while the blonde asks why he was sighing so much in the middle of the night. In a charming tone, the protagonist replies that he was just regretting not having met her sooner, leaving the girl super embarrassed. At that moment, the system reappears, giving rewards for his quick action, yielding a critic's card and a new ability. The young man is completely surprised to realize that the tycoon system also works for this kind of situation. Without wasting time, he activates his new ability and goes for an intense kiss, wanting to take the lady to the heavens. The woman recoils in shock, noticing that the sensation of that kiss was totally different and much better than the previous ones. But the heartthrob soon warns her with a mischievous smile on his face that the real fun was just beginning. With that, the beautiful girl surrenders herself completely to the charms of the young man, living an unforgettable night of romance. The next day, the boy wakes up, stretching calmly until he notices a large amount of money scattered across the bed. He observes the bills, deducing that the woman left him about 10,000, thinking he was some kind of escort. The young man finds a note where she thanks him for the great night and states that it was payment for the good service. While getting dressed, the young man finds her attitude curious but soon put aside to focus on the new card earned from the system. The display points out that the item multiplies expenses, generating a large refund and motivating him to buy a millionaire vehicle. Looking at the city, he promises not to waste this second chance, swearing to become the greatest tycoon that world has ever seen. Then, the protagonist walks through the streets, planning to pull initial capital to invest in big tech stocks. Arriving near his new sports car, he decides that using the money to buy real estate would be the best move at the moment. Suddenly, a very flashy woman appears leaning against his vehicle, asking seductively if he was the owner of the car. Without showing much emotion, the young man just confirms the question and asks what the girl wanted from him. The lady immediately makes a pitiful face, asking for an urgent ride, claiming that a pipe had burst in her house. Immediately, the scanner is activated, revealing that the lady had already had 28 partners, possessing very high intimacy. The young man thinks that level of friendship is bizarre right off the bat and decides to just walk right past, ignoring the girl. Once inside the vehicle, he denies her the ride, saying that sharing space with 28 other guys would be way too crowded for him. With that, the hero accelerates his luxury machine, leaving quickly and leaving the gold digger eating dust in the middle of the street. The woman is indignant and wonders how that stranger knew exactly the number of guys she had been with. Still confused, she tries to fix her hair to hide her embarrassment while an elderly plumber passes right by her. The old man hears the conversation about the leak and offers to unclog her pipes, causing immediate disgust in the lady. The girl hugs her bag defensively, thinking the situation is absurd, and insults the worker, calling him disgusting. Confused, the man defends his work, questioning why only younger guys could provide that kind of service. People around them start laughing at the gold digger while the old plumber walks away, confused. A young man approaches the older gentleman and explains, laughing, that the pipes she wanted cleaned were of a different type. The old man finally understands the situation while the girl kicks a trash can, dying of embarrassment. The lady grumbles furiously at her bad luck while rubbing her foot, which is sore from the impact. Changing scenes, we see a real estate agency where agents watch a yellow sports car approaching. A veteran agent thinks it's just a rich kid showing off and tells the rookie, named Xiao, to deal with him. The attendant gets nervous about going alone, but her superior tells her to just follow standard procedure. With a gentle smile, the young woman introduces herself and asks how she can help our protagonist. Jiang Cheng says he is looking for a house, and the girl asks about his budget and preferences. Meanwhile, the veteran smokes a cigarette, thinking the rookie would learn a lesson about choosing clients. The woman shows some small, cheap apartments, but the young man asks to see places in the 1 million range. Totally surprised by the request, the agent agrees hurriedly and starts looking for options. Minutes later, she asks a bit awkwardly if the tycoon has any requirements regarding the property's location. The hero asks for areas that are easy to rent and notes that the girl is really quite a novice and inexperienced in the field. Using his scanner, he discovers that the girl is 19 years old and has never had intimate contact with anyone. Soon, the attendant shows well-located properties with prices ranging from 800,000 to over 1 million. At that moment, the young man remembers that his critic's card has a limit of exactly 1 million. He realizes that if he bought something cheaper, he would end up losing a lot of money on the system's multiplier bonus. So he proposes to buy 5 houses at once. The girl can lower the price to exactly 1 million each. The agent widens her eyes, unable to believe what she was hearing. The young man confirms he will pay everything in cash and will even let her manage the rentals for the properties. Thinking of the giant commission, the young woman is radiant and promises to get that discount no matter what. Outside, the veteran hears the conversation and almost cries with regret for having turned the boy away. An hour later, the store manager appears with the contracts, finalizing the 5 million sale. Jiang signs everything confidently and warns that he will look for the rookie again for his next purchase. The girl celebrates her 50,000 commission and wonders what kind of billionaire that boy could be. Next, the system announces that the critics' cards were a success, guaranteeing absurd multipliers. The young man is shocked because he expected a smaller bonus and is grateful for having insisted on the exact price. Soon his level increases and his passive income rises to almost 1 yuan for every second he breathes. Amazed by the 230 million he received, the young man deduces that that girl is his lucky charm. The young man thinks about how this life with cheats seems different and decides to be rich and reckless at least once. Soon the young man calls the agent to talk a little bit alone, leaving the manager very curious. The boss whispers to the rookie to pay for a dinner for the client and ensure a good relationship with the tycoon. At that, the protagonist imagines a future where they would have many romantic moments and a life full of luxury. The girl is completely embarrassed and starts stuttering, not knowing how to react to his request. She suggests that they get to know each other better first, but he just laughs and asks for her account number for a transfer. Totally confused, the attendant questions why the boy would want to send money to her out of the blue. With a charming smile, he explains that the young woman was his lucky star and he wanted to give a thank you gift. Even so, the beautiful lady continues to not understand absolutely anything the client was saying. Minutes later, she lets out a shout of shock upon looking at her phone and seeing a transfer of 350,000. The hero smiles, thinking the amount is fair since her help yielded $1 million profit, and generating good karma is never too much. With that, her friendship level rises to 85, making the girl ask for his contact information, radiant with joy. The young man observes the numbers change and realizes how powerful money can be to win people over. While exchanging contacts, the girl starts to notice how handsome the young tycoon really was. The agent even thinks it wouldn't be a bad idea to spend a night with him if the boy really wanted to. However, the protagonist just thanks her for the hard work and says goodbye, saying he needed to go home. At that moment, the young woman runs after him desperately, trying to stop him from leaving so soon. But the hero was already inside his luxury car and just waves, smiling, scheduling a meeting for the next time. Upon seeing the vehicle depart, the beautiful woman suddenly feels an enormous void in her chest, not understanding the reason. 20 minutes later, our protagonist arrives home, announcing his return to the family. His mother welcomes him with a slice of cold watermelon while his father asks about the graduation trip. Eating the fruit, he replies that he wants to visit Modu University to see the place before enrolling. The father agrees with the idea and says the mother would make a transfer to cover the costs of the son's trip. However, the woman complains, saying that giving easy money would turn the boy into a spoiled brat who would never find a wife. The comment hits the young man right in the chest, but he swears that this time he will find a wonderful daughter-in-law for his mother. The next day, we see the young man boarding a plane, lamenting the cramped economy class seats. Then he starts squeezing through the aisle, asking other passengers for permission to find his seat. He bumps into a beautiful girl in a white shirt and recognizes her right away, calling her by the name Zhou Ying. The surprise is mutual, and they discover that by pure coincidence they ended up buying seats right next to each other. The lady thanks him gently while making space for our hero to finally settle into his seat. A boy in glasses approaches Jo Ying, flirting and saying it is a great honor to fly next to her. The hero soon intervenes and asks the lady to take the window seat, pushing the intruder to the side. The boy in glasses gets irritated, stating that that seat was the lady's and that they couldn't switch chairs like that. With a confident smile, Jiang warns that the two are together and don't need any permission to sit. Once settled, the boy keeps trying to strike up a conversation and asks the reason for the beautiful girl's trip. The young woman ignores the rookie and turns the question back to Jiang, who replies that he is traveling only for business. He adds that he was bored at home, and that's why he decided to take a vacation to relax a little. The boy in glasses tries to get friendly, introducing himself as Kyun Shen, and says he is also going to travel. Thinking he is all that, he offers a ride in his father's car, claiming that airport taxes are a ripoff. But the protagonist politely refuses, warning that his hotel already includes transport and they don't need help. Kyun Shen questions mockingly what the hotel would be, and our hero replies that he reserved the luxurious Amini engine. The boy swallows hard because he knows that it is a billionaire's place built with ancient relics and very expensive. Trying not to lose face, the boar says that the normal rooms don't have transfers, but Jiang reveals he rented a villa. The intruder is left completely speechless and shocked by the level of wealth of our protagonist. Upon hearing this, Jo is surprised because she knows a villa costs 80,000 per night and didn't imagine he was so rich. The young man smiles modestly and returns the compliment, remembering the beautiful classmate's past. Back in school days, the girl was super rich and famous, arriving every day in imported and very expensive cars. She was the teacher's pet and intimidated the boys, but was always very humble and focused only on her studies. Jiang remembers that at the time he only had eyes for his ex and heard rumors that Jo's family had gone bankrupt. With a somewhat sad look, the lady lowers her head, confessing that she is no longer part of the elite group of rich kids. The hero realizes right away that he touched on a delicate subject and decides to change the course of the conversation as quickly as possible. The two then start to reminisce about fun school stories to try to break the heavy mood. The tactic works very well, and the beautiful young woman returns to smiling, saying their school was a very crazy place. Discreetly, the young man uses his system and discovers that her friendship level is at 75. This number leaves him thoughtful, because it indicates that the girl was already paying a lot of attention to him since school days. Time flies and they finally land at the airport, being greeted by a woman holding a sign. The beautiful attendant introduces herself as the villa's private butler, leaving the hero impressed with the service. He then asks about his colleague's destination, and the girl says she is staying at a friend's house and will take a taxi. Without accepting no for an answer, Jiang asks the employee to give his friend a ride before they go to the hotel. From afar, Kyun Shen observes everything, dying of envy, and plans a way to get back at him to try to win over the girl. 25 minutes later, the girl thanks him for meeting her friend and asks for his contact, promising to pay for a meal in the future. With that, the hero agrees with the idea, warning her not to forget, while the lady smiles with her phone in her hand, super grateful. With a charming smile, the protagonist says it was nothing and says goodbye while the two scan their phones calmly. On the other side, the young man in glasses sees the girl leaving in the car and laments, frustrated for having lost his great romantic night. Sometime later, the tycoon arrives at his luxury villa and concludes that that wonderful place was worth every penny spent. At that moment, the butler informs him gently that his bath was already ready, and the young man agrees, thinking it's a great idea to relax. Soon, the employee starts unbuttoning our hero's shirt, leaving the boy shocked by that level of service. The beautiful woman explains that undressing clients is part of the package, but warns that intimate garments must be taken off by him. Already inside the hot water, the young man tries to stop the woman from staying there, but she sits on the edge of the pool with a towel in her hand. The attendant wears a soft glove and warns that scrubbing the guest's back was also one of the perks of that millionaire hotel. With that, she starts a relaxing back massage for the young man, leaving the tycoon impressed with that wonderful sensation. The woman gets all wet and imagines that it wouldn't be bad at all to have something more with that boy because he is extremely charming. Then the butler approaches, noticing that the boy's body was boiling, and asks provocatively if the water was too hot. The protagonist gets totally flushed by the situation and tries to push away the impure thoughts that were starting to invade his mind. 5 minutes later, the woman informs him about a special reception for VIP guests that night and invites him to participate. She explains that it will be a casual auction of rare jewels promoted by a big client and that he didn't need formal clothes. Later, the hero arrives at the big event accompanied by the employee, who introduces him with pride as a guest of honor. The friendly woman says goodbye with a smile on her face, wishing the young tycoon a wonderful night of fun. Upon entering the hall, the boy notices that the auction was already in full swing with million-dollar bids being closed at every moment. Then the announcer announces the next item, which is an extremely rare wristwatch from a brand that is comparable to the best in the world. The big screen shows the limited edition piece, and the host reveals that the opening bid would start around 15 million. With that, the audience gets rowdy while the old man on stage starts encouraging the guests to spend their great fortunes. The man raises his hand with great enthusiasm and finally declares that the dispute for that valuable piece was open to everyone. Analyzing the market on his phone, our protagonist discovers that the value of that model would double in about 5 years. Thinking of an easy 10 million profit, he raises the paddle quickly, offering 15,500,000 for the golden jewel. But the dispute heats up when another rich guy enters the game, trading million-dollar jabs until the boy offers 18 million. People around start whispering, impressed, and questioning the identity of that young madman who is spending so much money. No one else dares to cover the amount, and the announcer slams the hammer, selling the rare watch to the newest billionaire in the place. Soon, two well-dressed guys approach to make friends, and the hero recognizes them as the richest heirs in that city. The rich young man explains that the other guy was only bidding for him and questions with a smile if the boy was some kind of collector. The hero denies it, saying he is not a collector and that it was his first purchase just for the novelty. Laughing, the rich guy thinks it's incredible he spent 18 million, and the boy explains that he arrived in the city yesterday for college. Surprised, the blonde guy comments that the boy being only 18 years old makes it all even more epic and shows great respect. With that, the hare hugs him amicably, inviting the protagonist to go out together someday, and he agrees, smiling. Suddenly, the system notifies him about the level up now, guaranteeing an absurd millionaire income for every second that passes. While going down the stairs, the young tycoon is caught by surprise when he runs into the beautiful woman he had that night with. The blonde also recognizes him immediately and is totally shocked to see him walking through the luxury halls of the place. The young man approaches in a charming way, remembering the payment, and the lady jokes, saying she thought he was just a student. With that, the boy claims to be a student and invites her to go to his millionaire villa to ask for a little more special attention. The beautiful woman accepts the invitation right away and warns with a seductive look that he would need to try even harder this time. At that moment, a man in a suit appears, shouting furiously, ordering the blonde to let go of the hero's hand immediately. The individual confronts the woman, questioning if she wasn't ashamed to walk with other guys while she was engaged to him. Completely changed, the fiancé insists that the engagement party had already happened, and that was why she was forced to marry. But the girl feels disgust and reveals that he only wanted the marriage as a front to hide his infinite love affairs. Then the system appears, giving two choices, the first being to run away cowardly, and the second to slap the subject twice. The protagonist thinks the choice is obvious because he would never back down and asks if the physical power increase also applied to romance. After the system confirms, the young man doesn't waste time and hits the annoying ex-fiancé's face with all his strength. With anger, the boy says he hates men who don't own up to who they really are and adds one more slap, throwing his rival to the floor. The coward on the floor starts to whine and shout for security, while the woman is amazed by the hero's attitude. The guards arrive trying to calm the situation, but the guy cries, demanding that they call the police to arrest the boy. The humiliated man threatens to sue the security guards, making the workers ask for calm because they shouldn't offend the rich guys. At that moment, the beautiful lady hugs the hero, promising to defend him from the police, alleging that he only saved her from harassment. The furious subject warns that he will get the camera footage to prove everything, and out of nowhere, a scream for help echoes through the corridor. A man gone mad and armed with a knife appears, attacking an employee for refusing to reveal a guest's room. Panic takes over the place instantly while people run desperately, fleeing from the crazy criminal. Totally snapped, the invader threatens to take everyone's life there if they didn't hand over his woman with her lover. Terrified of the situation, the cowardly ex-fiancé orders the guards to find the couple quickly to save his own skin. With that, the system gives two options to run away to stop the crime, gaining more beauty and a special divine message technique. Focused on the reward and wanting to ensure the safety of everyone in the hall, the hero decides to act and go after the criminal. But before acting, the young tycoon activates his improvement item, gaining 10 times more physical attributes for the big fight. After using the system card, the young man feels an immense power running through his veins and is amazed by the strength he gained. With inexhaustible energy, the hero goes after the armed criminal with impressive speed to save the security guard. Without giving time for reaction, he hits a powerful punch directly into the criminal's face, disarming him right there. The impact is so strong that the madman flies far, falling knocked out on the floor in front of all the startled guests. The beautiful lady is completely shocked to realize that besides being stinking rich, the boy was also a real monster in a fight. Seeing the young man's absurd strength, the cowardly ex-fiancé trembles with fear, grateful for not having been beaten up like that before. But our protagonist doesn't let it slide and soon lifts the whiny guy off the floor with a single hand without the slightest effort. Around them, the rich guests start to praise the hero's courage and beauty, applauding the way he resolved everything quickly. Soon the police arrive to arrest the invader, and the officers thank the young tycoon's bravery for avoiding a great tragedy. However, the coward takes the chance and accuses the boy of assault, asking the guards not to be fooled by his appearance. Confused, the officer approaches and questions seriously the boy had really beaten that man as he said. Quickly, the beautiful blonde takes the lead and defends the hero, explaining that the subject was trying to force a fake marriage. With that, The system notifies that the lady's friendship rose to 90, proving that she was in love with our protagonist. Getting into character, the boy hugs her with care and promises he would never let that trash take advantage of her kindness again. The policeman concludes it was all a misunderstanding, but the ex-fancy flips out with anger and demands that everyone look at the security cameras. Realizing the boy wouldn't give up, the young man decides to teach him a lesson and activates the system to use his card of pure bad luck. At the same moment, an aura of bad luck covers the coward's body, indicating that something very bad was about to happen. Suddenly, his phone rings with the bank warning that $200,000 had been withdrawn from his account in a major fraud scam. Before he could focus on the theft, a woman runs in desperately, warning that a giant tree had just crushed his car. Totally panicked with the absurd loss, the subject runs away in tears, forgetting about the police and the fight he caused there. With the rival out of the way, the tycoon smiles, satisfied, saying that karma acted quickly, and calls his beloved back to the room. Already alone in the villa, the beautiful woman sits the boy on the bed and starts unbuttoning his shirt to see if he had been hurt. With much confidence, the hero reassures her, guaranteeing that a weak little loser like that would never be able to hurt him. But the lady approaches in a very seductive way with a loving look, insisting that she needed to check his body for safety. While caressing him, she asks if the boy cared about the fact that she had a fiancé, and the young man denies it, saying he was just surprised. The blonde explains that it was all arranged by her sick grandfather, and that right after she discovered the several disgusting betrayals of that scoundrel. With teary eyes, she asks if the young man was really willing to maintain that kind of more casual relationship with her. Without hesitating, the protagonist pulls her into an intimate hug and guarantees that he would take very good care of her, erasing any remaining doubt. With that, the lady blushes deeply, surrendering to the romantic moment, and the two enjoy the luxury night in the best way possible. In the morning, two maids clean the totally messy room and are stunned, commenting on the great vigor of young people today. The employees continue cleaning the room and joke about the boy's energy, feeling a little bit of envy for the blonde. Later, we see the young couple having a beautiful breakfast at a restaurant while the boy looks at his cell phone. On the device screen, he sees a post from his former classmate showing off several expensive watches as gifts. Thinking that is very futile, the protagonist has a better idea and asks the blonde to lend her legs for a photo. The woman asks if it's his birthday, but the hero says he just wants to post something, and she agrees, thinking the idea is fun. With a smile on her face, the beautiful young lady leans against the window and raises her legs, wearing a very elegant high heel. With that, the boy takes the picture, thinking his 18-year-old present was much better and faster than any car. The tycoon then publishes a montage of the photos on social media with just a rabbit face in the post's caption. The publication goes viral right away, and the classmates are dying of envy, thinking their own luxury gifts are a big joke. Other boys cry with sadness, hugging pillows while lamenting they didn't have the same luck as our hero. Changing scenes, the young man arrives at a luxury car dealership and soon asks to see the models available at the place. The friendly receptionist agrees politely and guides our protagonist through the huge hall full of millionaire vehicles. Inside, a bald rich guy tries to impress a beautiful red-haired actress, promising to buy the car she wanted. The old man tries to grab the lady, claiming he would give daily rides, but the young lady dodges and says she only wants the main role. Observing the scene from afar, the boy notices the harassment and sighs, noting that he had ended up in the middle of a big drama. Taking a better look, the boy recognizes the redhead, remembering she will become one of the most famous and richest actresses in the country. The businessman keeps insisting on the car and calling the lady to drink, but she refuses the offer, making up an excuse. Irritated by the rejection, the subject threatens to cancel the movie's investment and even put her name on the blacklist. Even cornered, the brave actress maintains her firm stance and warns that she will not give in to the whims of that disgusting old man. At that exact moment, a big blue screen appears shining in front of the young tycoon, indicating a new special mission. The system asks him to save the girl and sign a contract with her, but the hero knows he needs to show he is very rich. Speaking loudly, the boy asks about the conditions to buy the most expensive model, and the salesperson explains the exclusive rules. Pretending innocence, the protagonist faces her with a confused look and asks if that meant he couldn't buy it. The lady thinks a bit and warns with a smile that if he really wanted that model, there would still be a small chance. She explains that he could take the spot from some cancellation by paying a higher fee, and the hero soon accepts, paying everything in cash. The employee widens her eyes, completely stunned, and wonders if the boy had any idea of the absurd value of that vehicle. On the other side, the filthy old man hears everything and grumbles, curious to know which rich family that brat belonged to. The redhead also faces our hero, impressed, because even that businessman hesitated to spend just $3 million on a car. Swallowing hard, the poor salesperson warns that the total price for the custom model would reach the $50 million range. Without showing astonishment, the tycoon agrees with the price, and the woman asks for a minute to find her manager desperately. Soon the manager arrives with that blonde rich guy who greets our hero, surprised to see him wanting to buy that model. With a modest smile, the young man explains that he just arrived in the city, and that's why he decided to buy a little car casually. The blonde friend is stunned by the answer and comments that that casual attitude was another level of showing off wealth. With that, the rich guy explains to the manager that the protagonist wore an 18 million watch, guaranteeing the sale right away. The tycoon remains calm with his hands in his pockets while his very expensive jewel shines, calling everyone's attention there. Totally shocked, the manager faces the valuable piece and thinks about how stinking rich that mysterious client really was. Without wasting time, the salesperson shakes the hero's hand, guaranteeing that the credit check would be ignored to speed everything up. From afar, the redhead and the disgusting old man observe everything, shocked to notice that the boy was spending fortunes like it was nothing. Intimidated by the boy's wealth, the bald businessman gives up on the purchase and calls the young actress to go out and drink with him. But the beautiful lady refuses the offer, making up another excuse, saying she needed to go back to the company urgently. Furious, the subject threatens to put her name on the industry's blacklist and goes away, leaving the girl in a bad situation. At that moment, a familiar voice calls her, and the beautiful actress turns around confused, trying to understand who is speaking her name. Our protagonist approaches in a charming way and claims to have heard the fight, offering to invest in her career. Completely red, the young woman questions if the proposal was real, fearing that the boy would also ask for dirty favors in return. Maintaining respect, the tycoon warns he was busy, and they arrange to talk better the next day, exchanging their contacts. With that, the two scan their phones, adding each other, and the redhead says goodbye, full of hope about her great future. Returning to the business, the boy asks when the car would be ready, and the manager warns it would take at least a year. The hero sighs, a bit disappointed with the delay, because he wanted to enjoy his new millionaire machine as soon as possible. Seeing the situation, the blonde friend invites him to a big car show that would happen soon to buy something on the spot. Later, the young man goes to a luxury restaurant where the beautiful woman from that night calls him, waving with a beautiful dress. The blonde guides the boy to the table in a very intimate way and suggests that he try the local famous crab rice dish. She continues showing the several chic and expensive dishes she had ordered especially to please our protagonist, but the boy mischievously hugs her from behind and whispers in her ear, saying he was only interested in savoring the lady. Totally blushing, the girl asks the tycoon to give her a break, claiming he had been very intense the night before. With a seductive smile, he agrees to let her rest as long as she called him by a much more affectionate and cute nickname. So the young woman gives a sweet kiss on his cheek and calls him hubby, leaving the hero super satisfied with that treatment. Sitting at the table, the boy asks if the blonde knew the redhead from the store and discovers both worked at the same company. The attendant gets a little tense with the question and asks anxiously if the boy was feeling any attraction to the actress. He denies any romance, explaining it was just a casual meeting, and asks if the lady saw any potential in her. Thoughtful, the woman replies that the company didn't value the actress but admits she had a lot of talent to make it big. The blonde promises to help the boy win over the beautiful actress and guarantees she will always be there for him without causing any big trouble. With that, the young man caresses the blonde's head, promising to treat everyone very well, and the girl soon asks if he will invest in the redhead. The tycoon confirms the idea, but the woman warns that breaking the actress's contract and creating a company would cost many millions. With that, the hero asks the blonde not to worry about the funds, promising to let her manage everything, even earning shares. But the young woman refuses the shares, preferring to focus only on the company's management, while receiving a generous salary for her work. So the boy thinks that attitude is a big nonsense, reminding his partner that there was no need for them to be formal. At that moment, the girl gets emotional, revealing that her life was empty before him, and finally confesses she feels truly alive. With that, the two hug with much care while scheduling a new meeting for the next day, making good use of the moment. Smiling, the boy quickly realizes that his future new millionaire star was in quite a hurry to close that deal. The next day, the beautiful redhead approaches the impressive yellow car to finally greet our great protagonist. The actress enters the luxury vehicle with a beautiful smile and guides the tycoon to drive to a chic restaurant to talk. Once at the place, the boy asks if her project was very expensive, and the young woman explains it was just a cheap series of 5 million. Thinking the value is low, the boy loses interest, but the actress soon argues that smaller productions yield much faster profits. Surprising the woman, the hero agrees to invest the money without even reading the script for the project of that new series. The tycoon takes his phone, willing to transfer everything on the spot, leaving the actress even more stunned by that very mysterious investor. However, the boy imposes the condition of her joining his company, guaranteeing to pay the heavy contract fine without any difficulty. The redhead is suspicious of so much kindness, knowing that no one in the field would offer such a large financial help without wanting anything in return. With that, she considers giving herself to the boy, because he is handsome, but soon reprimands herself to keep her principles firmly. Curious, the lady asks if he already owned an agency, and the young man guarantees he will open one very quickly if she agrees to close the deal. The protagonist criticizes her old agency, promising to focus all resources only on her career over the next 2 years. With flushed cheeks, the beautiful actress faces him in a very seductive way and asks if the investor had any other extra condition. The hero breaks into a mischievous smile and guarantees that he would never force her to do anything dubious with other people in his newest company. Very happy with the proposal, her friendship increases, soon asking the date to sign the papers and if she should already call him boss. The tycoon thinks the word is distant, preferring to be called older brother, making the young woman try to guess his true age. The redhead thinks 20 years is a lot and remembers that the boy just entered college, easily deducing he was only 18. Maliciously, he jokes saying he thought she was talking about another size, making the embarrassed girl call him a pervert. The lady tries to pay for lunch, but the hero warns that his true return will be to see the young woman acting well in the future. The system gives him shares of an investment firm, creating the perfect excuse for the tycoon to manage to justify his fortune. The boy calls his parents, announcing his financial success, just so he wouldn't need to give several difficult and boring explanations in the future. His father is very proud of the firm, and the young man continues acting, warning that his monthly income would exceed $600,000. With that, the proud father talks on the phone, bragging about his son earning more than $7 million a year. The tycoon then asks if his parents want any gift, but they only ask for the boy to remain humble. Changing scenes, we see the hero finishing eating and inviting the beautiful employee to walk a little more. The redhead soon suggests to them all to buy new things, and the protagonist agrees, asking get going already. Arriving at a millionaire watch store, the lady is shocked by the high prices while a salesperson greets them. Walking through the place, the actress ends up finding a famous work colleague who asks what she was doing there. A bit awkwardly, the young woman hesitates to call the boy boss and just replies that she was accompanying a great friend. At that moment, the filthy old man beside the woman looks at the hero's partner, evaluating her beauty with malice. With that, the system reveals the famous woman's status, showing she had already had intimacy with 78 rich men. The elderly man soon wants to know who that rookie girl was, and the famous woman replies mockingly that she was just an extra. Trying to get lucky, the businessman hands over his card, offering large investments if the redhead wanted to record something. The star soon makes an ugly face, thinking the colleague was very inferior and only served to please bosses in bed. Without patience to endure the provocations of that fake friend, our heroine cuts the subject and decides to leave there. Meanwhile, the attendant presents a beautiful feminine model available for the price of 380,000 coins. The protagonist thinks the value is too low to gift his mother and demands to see pieces worth at least $500,000. Hearing this, the famous girl gets furious for having suffered at the hands of the old man to get something much cheaper. With that, the redhead pretends to read a magazine, laughing on the inside to see the shocked face of that arrogant woman. The young man approaches, asking if the employee liked anything, but she denies it, saying she has no money for that. At that moment, the system launches a new mission, and the tycoon offers to pay for any jewel the young woman chose. The beautiful lady refuses to accept that luxury, guaranteeing she would buy everything with her own effort in the future. From afar, the envious one concludes that the couple was only acting to show off and plans a way to humiliate the two. Soon the chic salesperson returns, bringing wonderful watches for the young billionaire to try on right there on the couch. The luxury golden accessory fits perfectly on the boy's arm, matching very well with his natural beauty. With that, the hero asks for his beautiful colleague's opinion, who praises the luxury piece with a shy smile on her face. As the strap seemed a bit loose, the redhead decides to adjust it, and the boy agrees, letting out a very provocative comment. Totally flushed, the beautiful actress understands the words with double meaning and wonders if her boss was flirting with her. The lady's friendship rises, and the protagonist laughs at the situation, asking the employee to pack the two watches at once. The attendant stutters, unable to believe the huge amount being spent so easily by that client. Seeing the scene, the old man and the envious one are open-mouthed, noticing that the young people weren't pretending to be stinking rich. Then the tycoon asks for help to choose his mother's gift, and the employee points out the most elegant jewel on the tray. The salesperson explains that the jewel has 450 diamonds, costing more than 800,000. With that, the young tycoon asks the beautiful actress to try the luxury accessory on her own wrist. Admiring the piece, the hero states that both are much better than the cheaper model, leaving the rival furious. Without hesitating, the protagonist hands over his dark card and orders the employee to wrap all 4 watches. The redhead tries to take off the accessory, but the boy holds her hand gently, warning that it was a gift for her. Totally flushed, the beautiful lady refuses the treat, saying it is something too expensive to be able to accept so easily. With a smile, the boy asks her not to overthink it, because the payment was already made and there was no way to return it. He also explains that the young model wouldn't match his mother, serving them as a welcome gift. Approaching, the boy faces her intensely, asking if the girl would really reject his great kindness. Thinking about not offending her future boss, the beautiful actress is grateful for the gift while her friendship rises quite a bit. The salesperson returns the card, confirming the purchase of more than 4 million, and delivers a special gift from the store. From afar, the envious one bites her lips with anger, realizing that a rookie won something much more expensive than her jewel. Wanting to get lucky, the disgusting old man tries to ask for a gift too, but the employee refuses the offer politely. Irritated by the humiliation, the rich guy turns his back and leaves, complaining that the boy ruined the mood. The other attendant asks if the envious one still wanted to close the purchase, and the woman pretends, warning she would come back later. With that, the system confirms the success of the mission, informing that the young man would receive a random refund for his good deed. A blue screen shines, and our hero gets lucky, winning a triple multiplier yielding more than 13 million. The tycoon checks his phone, seeing the money hit the account, and plans to buy more gifts to win over the redhead for good. Walking through the mall, the protagonist asks what bag the lady would like, and she tries to refuse, dying of embarrassment. Ignoring the refusal, the boy asks for help from the salesperson, who soon shows the two most popular models from that chick store. Without thinking twice, the young billionaire breaks into a big smile and orders the woman to put everything on his millionaire card. The employee thanks him for the purchase of 120,000 while the actress faces the boy, completely amazed. With her cheeks very red, the beautiful star reflects on the enormous financial power of her newest and charming boss. Already inside the car, the actress says thank you for everything and invites the tycoon to go up to her apartment and drink something. In a charming tone, the hero jokes, saying handsome boys need to take care not to suffer abuse from women. But soon the boy cuts the joke, asking her to rest early while the girl says goodbye with a beautiful smile. Seeing the vehicle depart, the lady's friendship reaches 80, proving she was totally enchanted by the young man. With that, the protagonist drives with a confident look, having the absolute certainty that he would soon win the redhead's heart. Arriving at his luxury villa, the butler offers a hot bath, but our hero prefers to swim a little, drinking champagne. The employee observes the boy's beautiful body in the pool and swears to provide the best service possible to please that rich guy. Relaxing in the pool, the tycoon asks the manager if the hotel offered any unique and extremely expensive dish. The beautiful woman confirms having high-class options and suggests special dishes with rare fish and white truffles. Hearing this, the young man remembers that these ingredients cost millions and realizes it's the perfect time to use his food card. Getting out of the water, the protagonist approaches the employee with a seductive look, asking her to arrange a relaxing massage. Totally flushed, the manager agrees promptly, suggesting they go back to the room to start the special service. Already in the luxury bed, the beautiful attendant starts taking off her blazer, revealing a wonderful body ready for work. Without wasting time, our hero lies face down, waiting anxiously for the treats of that woman who is so stunning. With that, the boy feels her soft touch and is surprised, thinking it would be just a simple back massage. With a sweet voice, the woman warns that was a hotel specialty and asks the boy to just close his eyes and relax. At that moment, the beautiful employee gets on top of the young man, starting a much more intimate treatment full of ulterior motives. The tycoon soon realizes the lady's real intentions while she rubs against him, guaranteeing unforgettable VIP service. Totally flushed, the hero reflects on that absurd level of service and deduces that perhaps he was thinking too much nonsense. After the service ends, the woman says goodbye in a professional way, and the boy sighs, confirming he had imagined too much. The next day, we see a big luxury car show packed with photographers admiring the beautiful cars and the beautiful models. Walking through the event, the protagonist is disappointed to note that the most expensive vehicle in the place didn't even cost 3 million. Suddenly, the young billionaire spots a family group in the middle of the crowd and recognizes his old classmates there. The boys admired the beautiful childhood friend of our hero, discovering she worked as a car model in the city. The beautiful lady posed elegantly on top of a vehicle, wearing a dazzling red dress that grabbed a lot of attention. With that, the boy remembers that the girl had declined the graduation trip invitation, claiming to be very busy with work. Without wasting time, the tycoon approaches, greeting his old classmates, who are completely shocked by his presence. With a confident smile, the hero jokes, complaining that the group had organized a fun outing without telling him anything. The boys swallow hard, sweating cold because of the awkward spot, since they really had left the boy out on purpose. Trying to disguise the guilt, one of the rich kids laughs nervously and points to the friend, throwing all the responsibility on him. Changing the subject, the girls in the group notice the protagonist's face and are amazed at how charming he looked. Getting into the joke, the friend hugs our hero, asking mockingly if he had plastic surgery. Soon one of the girls points to the stage, defending the beautiful colleague's work and silencing the envious boys around. Using the system, the tycoon checks the colleague's status and is stunned to discover that her friendship level was over 90. Confused, the young man reflects that they barely spoke at school and laments for his friend, who is completely in love with her. Without suspecting anything, the green-haired boy approaches the protagonist, asking excitedly what he was up to. Feeling sorry for his colleague, our hero just gives a pat on his shoulder, asking the boy to take care, leaving the friend confused. The young tycoon approaches and compliments Jo Ying, saying she was even more beautiful than before. The beautiful girl asks if he was there to see the event, and the boy agrees, saying he was just taking a look. At that moment, an envious old classmate mocks, questioning if they really planned to buy that extremely expensive vehicle. Another boy agrees, claiming that imported model easily exceeded 5 million coins. The class representative keeps provoking our hero, suggesting he had no money at all to be there. Seeing the confusion, the beautiful model apologizes, warning that she was being paid to work and couldn't make much noise in the place. Bothered by the protagonist, the rich kid invents that he got good grades and his family wanted to give him a luxury car as a gift. But the beautiful young woman refuses the flirtation politely, asking the boy to go seek more information from other salespeople. The envious one keeps insisting, and our hero soon mocks that terrible attempt to call the beautiful model's attention. With anger, the subject challenges the tycoon to buy a vehicle right there, and the boy accepts, asking if the model came with it. The lady blushes, thinking it was a joke, but the protagonist guarantees it's true, leaving the rival even more irritated. With that, a manager in a suit approaches the group to understand the reason for so much noise around that beautiful car. The man soon gives a big scolding to the girl, warning that she was paid to work and not to chat with friends. Trying to come out on top, the class leader accuses the young man of having caused the confusion on purpose and demands the purchase of the vehicle. Ignoring the bore, the protagonist admires the perfect combination of the beautiful car with the striking presence of his beautiful friend. The manager notices the valuable watch on the boy's wrist and changes his tone, guaranteeing that the model would accompany the sale of the car. Smiling confidently, the tycoon takes his luxury dark card out of his pocket and orders the man to swipe the total amount on the spot. The classmates are completely shocked, remembering that the model easily exceeded the enormous amount of 8 million. One of the girls in the group almost has a fit upon realizing that her old classmate could spend so many millions like that out of nowhere. The envious one tries to intervene, telling the young man to stop pretending, but our hero soon calls him stupid in front of everyone. The salesperson agrees with the protagonist, guaranteeing that the huge commission of that millionaire sale would all go to Zhou Ying. The beautiful lady's friendship rises quite a bit, and the boy returns to charging the manager about the girl coming along with the machine's purchase. Sweating cold, the representative hopes mentally that the boy's card would decline the giant purchase and make him be embarrassed. The young man asks to speed everything up and asks if he could take the vehicle today, being guided promptly to the VIP room of the place. Seconds later, the machine beeps, confirming the gigantic payment in cash and sealing the big deal perfectly. The manager returns the card with an enormous smile on his face and orders the beautiful employee to take very good care of the young master there. The envious rich kid freezes in shock upon seeing the millionaire purchase, realizing how much he'd humiliated himself for nothing there. The green-haired friend is stunned by the boy's wealth and already asks for a ride while the lady's friendship skyrockets. One of the classmates wears glasses and remembers that the imported car had only 2 seats, leaving none for them. Envious of the situation, the other girl claims she would sit in the passenger seat since the model supposedly hung out with several men. Sitting, the hero reflects, confused on the reason for the friendship level of that envious girl having risen so much out of nowhere. Looking at the beautiful model, the young man agrees that that luxury machine matched her beauty perfectly. Meanwhile, the envious one concludes the boy broke up because of the model and plans to get revenge in some way. With that, the other colleague is shocked to discover about the breakup, remembering that the old couple seemed to get along great. Standing up, the tycoon hugs the lady's waist, stating that any man would fall in love with that great star. Shocked, the friend notices the millionaire watch, accusing the boy of having pretended to be poor during all the school time. With a modest smile, the protagonist invents that his family rewarded him with a fortune for the good grades on the exams. Without being able to accept the situation, the representative changes the subject, calling everyone for dinner before it got late. Taking the chance, the fake friend invites our hero to eat with them, suggesting a trip to the mall right after. However, the young man refuses the offer politely, warning that he already had other plans for that very busy night. Trying not to miss the opportunity, the girl blushes and asks for the rich guy to keep in touch as soon as they went back home. Saying goodbye to the model, the boy warns he would take one more tour through the hall while the beautiful lady is grateful with a smile. In a charming tone, he faces her closely, saying for her not to be so formal and arranging to meet next time. Later, a salesperson presents a beautiful pink vehicle, claiming to be a luxury model perfect for the female audience. Observing the machine, the boy imagines a very romantic scene and concludes that that would be the ideal gift for his beloved. The tycoon soon questions the value, and the woman replies that the total price would easily reach the 9 million range. Without letting the employee finish speaking, the rich guy hands over the card, closing the gigantic purchase on the spot. Next, the hero requests the delivery service, and the attendant agrees, guiding him to a comfortable area to sit. He refuses the seat, explaining it was a gift, promising to send the address of the lucky girl as quickly as possible. On the other side of the hall, a famous girl was live streaming, displaying the beautiful pink car for all her fans. Taking advantage of the fame, she interacts with a millionaire fan, trying to convince him that buying that machine would be a good deal. To get more audience, the lady focuses the camera on our protagonist, promising to interview him if he hit the target of likes. However, a salesperson in a suit soon interrupts the recording, asking if the woman was there to buy something for real. Totally embarrassed by the calling out, the celebrity stutters, confessing that she just wanted to admire the beautiful machine. Maintaining a serious stance, the employee demands a proof of income, causing a big uproar in the transmission chat. The girl thinks the charge is unfair and points to the hero, alleging that he didn't need to prove anything to enter the store. With her pride wounded, the famous woman stays quiet while her own followers start mocking the embarrassing situation. Meanwhile, the beautiful model reflects on what occurred, still shocked to see her colleague spend so many millions in one afternoon. Totally flushed, the beautiful young woman admits that not even at the height of her family's wealth could they manage to splurge like that. Changing scenes, we see the tycoon stretching, happy to have dispatched the gift, and going to get his new Ferrari. The salesperson soon hands over the keys and asks about the license plate, making the hero think that getting a local registration would be very difficult. Suddenly, the system appears, offering a random license plate with the boy's initials, proving to be a very thoughtful help. Quickly, an employee arrives, delivering an envelope, and warns that the vehicle's registration was ready to be installed. Installing the item, the worker is totally shocked to note that the letters formed exactly the name of that young tycoon. Observing the scene, the manager is completely speechless upon realizing the size of the power that rich client possessed. With a smile, the hero calms the salesperson, saying he only reserved the plate before, but the man knows that that was a lie. Pretending to believe, the employee praises the boy's enormous luck, guaranteeing that the choice of that registration had a lot of meaning. Minutes later, the worker bows very respectfully, warning that the installation of the beautiful plate was finally finished. Seeing so much respect, the manager deduces that the boy must be the billionaire heir of some extremely powerful family in the country. Finishing the shift, the beautiful model approaches our protagonist and says thank you very gently for all the help of the day. The lady warns that she was getting off work and invites the young rich man to have dinner together, wanting to reward his great effort. At that exact moment, the boy's phone starts ringing suddenly, interrupting the romantic mood that was emerging between the two. Answering the call, the boy replies calmly, trying to figure out who would be calling at such an inopportune moment. On the other side of the line, the green-haired friend cries desperately, saying he had been abandoned and asking for company to drink a lot. The protagonist is surprised by the colleague's drama while the model faces him, trying to understand the situation that was happening. The hero explains the classmate's drama abandoned and promises to schedule the big dinner with the beautiful young woman for the next day. The lady agrees, smiling, scheduling the outing for another date while the boy warns he would investigate his colleague's problem soon. Arriving at the bar, the hero jokes about the boy not having jumped into the river, and the friend cries, asking him just to sit and drink together. In tears, the colleague confesses he discovered he was just a backup plan for the girl, and the tycoon asks him to keep telling. The suffering young man laments that the envious one always told him what to do, but it was enough for the rich kid to look that the lady followed him like a puppy. Noticing the enormous drama of the young man, the protagonist asks him to stop beating around the bush and go straight to the main point of the whole story. Slamming the glass on the table, the boy reveals he had followed the two and witnessed passionate kisses and hugs that left him devastated. Eating a snack, the hero remembers that the two never actually dated, and the friend cries, complaining about the great sarcasm of that hour. The young man advises the young man to forget the lady, letting her have trouble with the rival, and the sufferer questions if he knew something. Drinking, the tycoon reveals rumors about the chaotic life of the envious one and remembers that he always tried to warn his colleague about the danger of her. Regretful, the young man admits his own blindness and decides to drown his sorrows in drink, toasting quickly with our protagonist. Leaving the bar, the hero puts his drunk friend in a taxi, ignoring the promise of being consoled if he ever suffered for love. Standing next to the car, the young tycoon decides to turn on an app to call an app driver, proving to be very responsible. Out of nowhere, a beautiful woman leans on the vehicle, lying that the Ferrari was her boyfriend's and warning the boy to stay far away. Proving to be the owner, the hero unlocks the vehicle, and the lady invents she is dizzy from drink, making up a cheap excuse to flirt. The hero faces the woman and jokes, saying she didn't look like his girlfriend at all, leaving the gold digger in shock. With that, the lady tries to flirt, praising his voice and asking about driving with one hand, but the young man cuts her with a lesson. She then approaches in a very provocative way, offering herself to play along with him, wanting to win the boy's attention. Maintaining his cold stance, the tycoon rejects the offer, inventing that he played another type of game to ward off the gold digger. At that moment, the famous girl with pink hair from the mall approaches, asking if the hero had called an app driver. The girl introduces herself on the transmission and finds his face familiar while the chat soon recognizes him as the rich guy from the event. With a seductive smile, our hero approaches the camera, warning that filming someone so handsome like that cost a lot of money. Totally red, the streamer apologizes for the gaffe and turns the camera quickly, dying of embarrassment from the boy's scolding. The boy finds it curious she does transmissions and drives at the same time, and the young woman asks for permission to record inside the vehicle. Already inside the luxury machine, the girl flips out with joy, showing the Ferrari to the fans and praising its great speed. Reading the chat, the lady gets a little nervous upon noticing the followers commenting about the car's exclusive plate being something for a billionaire. Wanting to please the rich young man, the beautiful driver leans over, offering her great driving services for free. But the tycoon just extends his hand, rejecting the offer, alleging that accepting things for free always ends up generating a headache. Changing the subject, the protagonist questions if the young driver really possessed any experience driving supercars. Confident, the girl takes the key, and the system reveals that her intimacy status was 0, proving that she was very pure. The beautiful streamer asks if she could continue recording only her own face, and the hero allows it, thinking the attitude is curious. With that, the boy orders her to start the race, and the girl adjusts the phone on the dashboard with great care to start the trip. The driver confesses to the fans she is tense to pilot an expensive machine and focuses all her attention on the very busy track. Analyzing the provocative lines of the young woman, the hero concludes that anyone would think she was easy if they didn't know about her real purity. The tycoon decides to check the numbers of the transmission and thinks it is all very sad to notice that the biggest donor sent only peanuts. Upon looking at the numbers, the boy notes that the daily income of the beautiful woman was miserable, barely enough to cover her normal bills. Seeing the girl's failure on the internet, the boy sighs, thinking that working only as a driver would yield a much better money. The young woman explains to the chat that she makes videos showing the city's traffic for not having great talents and tries to strike up a conversation. She asks how he got into the store so easily before, and the rich guy replies that someone saw him buying his luxury Ferrari. Hearing this, the driver widens her eyes, completely stunned to discover that he had just bought the millionaire vehicle. With that, the luxury sports machine accelerates through the streets, gaining the admiration of all the viewers who were watching the transmission. Arriving at the hero's villa, the girl returns the keys and the young man praises the smooth ride, promising to hire her more times. With her cheeks very red, the beautiful streamer thanks him for the compliment, feeling her heart beat faster for the charming rich guy. Curious, the lady asks the type of video he used to watch, and the tycoon replies with a big smile, saying he is a fan of beauties. Taking advantage of the great opening, the young woman makes a seductive pose, asking for the billionaire to support her transmission as a big fan. With a smile, the hero shows his profile as a free spectator to the beautiful young woman, proving not to be a rich donor. With that, the lady with pink hair makes a seductive look, asking to come in and have a drink with him as a form of support. Thinking it's funny, the tycoon denies the offer, imagining that the gold digger just wanted to create controversy for her channel. Even so, the beautiful influencer bites her lips and imagines things very indecent happening between the two. However, the protagonist refuses the drink, alleging that the hotel water was bad and promises to pay for a tea next time. The rejection leaves the young woman frustrated while her followers in the chat start to insult the boy in all ways. Surprisingly, the lady's friendship increases and the boy waves from afar, planning to invite her to eat later. Walking through the corridors, the rich student reflects on needing to train his social skills for the future. Already back at the luxury restaurant, he asks the manager to prepare the most expensive dishes of the place for 5 people. The attendant blushes, explaining that just 2 rare fish would cost about 1 million each. Without caring about the absurd value, the young man just smiles and orders the beautiful employee to provide everything quickly. Later, his old classmates arrive at the hall and are amazed at the chick banquet on the table. Totally in shock, one of the boys comments that just those 2 fish could buy a whole car. At that moment, the manager explains gently that that fish was one of the rarest and most expensive seafood in the world. She also presents a dish with white truffles, revealing that the complete dinner exceeded 3 million coins. The enormous value leaves one of the girls stunned, thinking that that amount would buy a giant mansion in her city. Being a great host, the hero invites everyone to eat without ceremony, while the envious ones thank him for the invitation. After the meal, the friends try to invite the rich guy to drink, but he refuses the offer, claiming to be already satisfied. With that, the group of students says goodbye, waving and promising to reserve a cool place to meet later. Soon the employee applies a discount and warns that the total spending was almost 3 million, and he pays on the spot. Suddenly, the system returns the money with an absurd bonus, generating an incredible profit of 140 million. The protagonist smiles, amazed to realize inviting those people yielded him a true divine fortune. The beautiful attendant confirms the transaction and says goodbye to the billionaire, asking to be called in case he needed something. Already resting in his room, the young man takes his phone to get distracted a little and enters the transmission app. He decides to search for the channel of that car girl and notices that the lady possessed beauty of a high level in the system. Quickly, the magical interface gifts him with millions of virtual coins, raising his profile to the maximum level. The boy then creates a creative nickname and comments on the transmission, asking if the lady wouldn't go out that night. Upon seeing a user of such a high level enter the room, the beautiful influencer widens her eyes, completely impressed. With a sweet smile, the streamer receives him with joy, explaining she would participate in a channel battle soon. Soon the screen splits, showing the start of the virtual duel against another influencer with a very arrogant appearance. Seeing the rival's profile, the hero notices that the woman possesses only 69 beauty points in the system. Confused, the young tycoon reflects how a beautiful girl of level 94 could lose to someone inferior. On the screen, the opponent pretends to be friendly and asks the beautiful young woman to help her pass that first round of the duel. With that, the beautiful streamer sighs, sad, knowing she needed to win twice to manage to pay her rent. With a forced smile, the girl greets the rival, asking her biggest donor to go easy on the virtual duel. But the arrogant woman gives a wink, telling her rich fan just to save energy for the next phases. At that moment, the system launches a mission, offering a giant multiplier of up to 50 times if he helped her. To cheer up her main fan, the young woman makes a very provocative pose, asking if he would like to ask for something. Smiling, the rich guy reflects that being the biggest donor of that, a beautiful influencer could change things between them. With that, the beautiful lady does drama, asking for donations from the fans while the chat just laughed, saying they wouldn't spend a cent. She gets very stressed with the annoying comments and tries to disguise it by praising the bunch of cheapskates of her live. Thinking the situation is funny, the young man decides to play by sending very cheap gifts to test the girl's reaction. Totally surprised, the beautiful streamer leans in front of the screen, thanking her benefactor in a very sweet way. However, the employee soon closes her face upon noticing that the high-level user had donated only a miserable value. On the split screen, the beautiful lady sighs discouraged, while the old rival displayed the expensive gifts she was winning. Through the chat, Jiang Cheng combines making her win if she became his driver, and the lady accepts the proposal on the spot. Immediately, 3 luxury rockets appear on the transmission, leaving the beautiful girl completely shocked and happy. The young woman thanks him, emotional, wanting to know what the tycoon wished to see while the rival freezes in shock on the live. With envy, the arrogant woman bites her lips with anger, not expecting that such a rich fan would arise out of nowhere. Being very fake, the old lady calls the millionaire fan to visit her, but the redhead soon names a moderator to hold him there. Not knowing how to dance, the beautiful influencer decides to sing a song for her hero but ends up singing off key like crazy. Thinking the young woman's desperation is cute, the rich guy laughs at the situation and warns through the chat that she could do whatever she wanted. Fearing being eliminated, the disgusting woman pretends to cry, begging her rich fan to flip the score of that match. With the bets high, the platform's magical system finally announces the official start of that giant duel. Quickly, the old lady's fans start sending several luxury rockets, and she soon celebrates in a bizarre way for the camera. Thinking it is all very interesting, Jiang Cheng smiles confidently, deciding to send 3 more expensive treats without any effort. On the other side of the screen, the old lady goes into absolute despair upon noticing that the rich young man had tied the score quickly. But soon the opponent's fan sends 5 more luxury rockets, making the woman flip out with joy while the young woman gets very sad. Seeing the friend's sadness, the student laughs at her lack of experience and starts clicking on the screen, preparing a super combo. Suddenly, the beautiful girl's live overflows with millionaire gifts, making the beautiful employee think the phone was crashing. Seeing 20 shining rockets falling on her screen, the redhead is completely shocked by such generosity of her great fan. On the other side, the arrogant woman tries to call her sponsor, sweating cold upon realizing that the rich guy had disappeared from the live. The beautiful young woman analyzes her opponent's silence and deduces that that giant donation had guaranteed her victory. With that, the old lady bid her total defeat while our hero invites the tycoon to see her driving in the future. With all that agitation, the girl's channel ends up breaking the mark of 10,000 simultaneous viewers in the blink of an eye. Very emotional, the beautiful employee bows, thanking him for the gift, and asks what the young man wished to see now. Noticing that the platform's filter worsened her beauty, the hero orders the girl to turn off the effect, surprising the chat. Totally insecure, the lady hesitates, warning that her real face could end up scaring her newest benefactor. Fearing losing the billionaire's support, the redhead sighs and turns off the visual improvements, already expecting several insults. But to everyone's surprise, the natural appearance of the beautiful young woman is revealed to be even more dazzling, drawing praise. Emotional, the star realizes that her true face didn't ruin the live but rather attracted a shower of new followers. Gaining confidence, the beautiful driver begs the rich guy to help her in the next phase, and the hero orders her to start quickly. The second round soon begins, revealing a new opponent with a schoolgirl look who compliments the rich fan of our heroine. Being very gold digger, the pigtail girl tries to steal the protagonist's attention, promising to dance for him. Realizing the rival's dirty trick, the redhead closes her face and decides to start the virtual battle as quickly as possible. With that, the opponent pretends innocence, thanking in a very sweet way for the 5 rockets sent by her own rich fan. Thinking that value is pathetic, the student smiles confidently and decides to send the same 5 rockets without any effort. On the other side of the screen, the beautiful girl makes a heart with her hands, thanking the hero and calling him the greatest of all. Seeing the tie, the rival tries desperately to call her donor, but ends up realizing that the subject had fled the live. With that, the transmission advances, showing the redhead's easy victories against other content creators who are very bizarre. Thanks to the unconditional support of the protagonist, the young woman reaches the grand final and comes across a woman who is very dazzling. Totally nervous, the short-haired girl recognizes the new rival, discovering that she was one of the most famous on the site. The chick woman shows respect for the rookie and suggests starting the challenge directly because she knew of our tycoon's wealth. Without wasting time, the star starts a very elegant and attractive dance to guarantee the donations of her rich fans. After a few minutes, the star finishes her presentation, sending a charming kiss to all her viewers. Relaxing on the couch, the hero praises the beautiful presentation while the chat comments that the redhead had no talent to win. Reading the provocations, our heroine makes a sad little face and begs the rich young man not to abandon her right in the final. Suddenly, the girl takes a big fright upon being pulled back with everything, falling onto the bed together with a mysterious colleague. The system suddenly suggests a partner exercise, and the redhead freezes with embarrassment in the arms of that beautiful friend of hers. But the young woman soon regains focus, deciding to leave the embarrassment aside to focus on winning that very heated grand final. On the screen, the young redhead begs her fan to continue helping, promising to dance whatever he wanted if she won. At that moment, 3 rich donors on the rival side send 3 super luxury rockets each to the beautiful famous woman. Feeling the enemy's mockery, the beautiful model uses cleverness, pretending to cry and thanking her fan for the enormous help. Reading the chat, the tycoon notices that everyone was dotting his fortune, thinking his great money had run out. With a confident smile, the young man remembers having billions in his bank account and refuses to accept such a defeat. Suddenly, the redhead's screen fills with millionaire gifts, making the beautiful employee think the phone was broken. The beautiful girl is completely shocked to see a gigantic animation of 20 shining rockets dominating her chat. Still in shock, the lady warns her audience that was a true battle of gods, surpassing any mortal. With her cheeks very red, the influencer makes a little heart, thanking her dear billionaire for the generosity. Thanks to that big donation, our heroine's score surpasses the mark of 1.5 million, humiliating the old rival. Totally desperate, the famous woman sweats cold, fearing losing the big dispute against that little rookie from the platform. The arrogant one hits the table furiously upon noticing that her supporters stopped donating while the redhead won much more. On the other side, the beautiful young woman reflects, emotional, that she never imagined receiving such wealth throughout her long life. With that, the opponent bites her lips, begging in a very provocative way for her fans not to stop with the gifts. But her biggest sponsor cuts her right away, warning he wouldn't spend anything more, leaving the disgusting woman on the floor. Without making an effort, the magnate closes the diamond purchase tab, observing the time run out, confirming his victory. Winning the duel, the popular beautiful redhead explodes, winning 50,000 followers at once for her new channel. Very happy, the star offers her personal contact to the hero, promising to do whatever he wanted to satisfy him. The lady soon asks if she could be his driver, and the rich student accepts, passing the address of his luxury hotel. In the meantime, some viewers read the conversation and recognize our protagonist as the super rich guy from the event. The chat goes wild upon noticing that the billionaire had bought a super imported machine at the beginning of that same afternoon. Taking the other device, the beautiful girl finally sends the friend request, raising her intimacy level with him. Checking the information, the rich guy sighs, noting that 5 points were missing to guarantee the big prize of the system. But suddenly a magical screen shines, announcing a random absurd gain, yielding more than 2 billion for his account. Smiling a lot, the hero caresses his chin and concludes that earning money showing off luxury on the internet was incredibly easy. Already the next day, we see the young man waking up with a message from his newest friend, asking if he needed her today. Analyzing the phone, the tycoon praises the beautiful woman's attitude for always making herself available in a very forward way. Meanwhile, the redhead waits anxiously in the room, unable to sleep all night, hoping to receive any good answer. Going to brush his teeth, the billionaire warns he had scheduled an appointment with a colleague, needing a ride very much. Jumping for joy, the beautiful young woman hugs her pillow, dying of love upon receiving the long-awaited contact from the boy. Thinking about her meeting, the beautiful redhead hugs the pillow, wanting to sleep soon to be well disposed for the rich guy. However, the anxiety of serving the boy leaves her even more agitated, and she rolls on the bed, trying to calm down in any way. Already at night, the protagonist arrives at the place and is surprised by the lady's punctuality, who insists on driving for him. Getting in the car, the driver comments that the destination bar was very famous, and the young man soon asks her to show the way. Arriving at the trendy place, 2 random women notice our hero's beauty and his luxury brand watch. With that, a group of girls in costumes notices the tycoon's expensive clothes and decides to approach to try their luck. Quickly, the gold digger beauties surround the boy, asking for his contact and offering company for that night. Using the old seduction tactic, a girl dressed as a bunny girl pretends to trip and throws herself right into the arms of the student. Holding the lady, the billionaire notices her move while the girl thanks him with a look full of ulterior motives. Ignoring the bunny girl, 2 other beautiful women invite the young master to enter a box and have fun together. Seeing that scene, the redhead gets completely shocked and without reaction upon noticing her boss surrounded by so many beautiful girls. Being very cruel, the other women push the beautiful driver to the side, ordering her not to get in their way. Feeling a big squeeze in her heart, the influencer loses patience and yells, demanding that everyone get out of her way. With a brave attitude, the beautiful young woman advances through the middle of the crowd of women to rescue her precious sponsor. At that moment, she holds the hand of our protagonist with quite a lot of strength, proving she wouldn't give up on him that easily. Looking at the rivals, the brave redhead warns in a loud voice that handsome boy already had an owner, leaving everyone confused. Frustrated with the situation, the gold diggers give up on the rich guy and go away to look for a new rich target through the trendy bar. Thinking it is funny that crisis of jealousy, Jiang Cheng pulls the girl by the waist and asks if he had an owner in a mocking way. Totally flushed, the employee pushes his chest and invents that she only wanted to help because he seemed too surrounded. Smiling, the hero thanks her for the help but warns her not to bother next time, leaving the girl a bit grumpy. With that, a friend in a suit approaches, calling the protagonist young master, and jokes about the warm welcome of the bar. The subject comments that the girls ignored him completely and soon notices the beautiful driver, asking who she was. Jiang Cheng introduces the lady as his private driver, and the friend praises the boy's great style, guiding him inside. Walking through the luxury corridors of the huge event, the group observes the trendy environment filled with rich people. The place was packed with beauties working with flashy clothes, ready to please any millionaire client. Quickly, several beautiful receptionists bow respectfully, greeting our powerful hero by his name. Being treated like a true king, the tycoon receives the seductive looks of several wonderful women at the same time. With quite a lot of confidence, the student waves to the girls and praises the excellent service provided by the place's management. Excited, the rich friend asks the manager to prepare a combo of very expensive drinks to cheer up their great night. Enchanted by all that luxury, the young redhead confesses that she had only seen that famous drink through videos on the internet. The friend in a suit thinks the drink is cheap and remembers that the rich guy had spent millions on a fish the night before. Excited, the friend tells the girls about the millionaire dinner, leaving all of them completely shocked. With that, several beautiful waitresses dressed as bunny girls approach the table, bringing the luxury bottles of drink. The beautiful attendants serve the guys glasses, guaranteeing the best service possible for those VIP clients. At that moment, a beautiful brunette with a generous neckline introduces herself as Xiao Chung, wanting to toast with the protagonist. Using the system, the hero checks the lady's attributes, noting that she possessed a figure of level 98. Admired, the tycoon concludes that her beauty was rare and that she would be even more beautiful with a little makeup. Without wasting time, the charming student clinks his glass with the brunettes, accepting the toast very willingly. From afar, the redhead driver observes the scene, feeling a big squeeze of jealousy in her heart for being left aside. Totally bothered, the employee reflects on the boy having spent so much on her and now being with others. Approaching, the beautiful star tries to get into the mood and offers a special toast for her great sponsor. With a charming smile, the boy hands her a can of energy drink, asking the lady to hydrate herself a little more. Refusing the drink, the girl claims to be still full of energy, and the hero jokes, saying he couldn't notice that. Flushed, the redhead provokes him back, suggesting that he come a little closer to observe well. Evaluating the situation, the billionaire decides to focus only on the driver, leaving the beautiful brunette for another occasion. Noticing the mood, the beautiful lady warns she's going to dance a little, promising to return to toast with him right after. With that, the protagonist leans over and proposes they leave together that night for him to be able to evaluate her energy. Hearing the proposal, the lady with pink hair remembers the internet tips and decides to play a little hard to get. Trying to keep her posture, the lady pushes him away gently, asking if he thought she was such an easy woman. The boy closes his face, irritated, thinking he had spent millions and she still played silly games with him. Without patience to endure that type of drama, the rich young man gets up from the couch, leaving the influencer confused. Walking through the box, the student decides to go to the beautiful women who are dancing on the dance floor to get distracted. A beautiful dancer stops her performance and asks in a seductive way if the tycoon had liked her moves. Soon another girl in a very low, cut red dress approaches, wanting to know his opinion about her. Our hero praises the young woman's performance, stating that the lady's curves were really very interesting. Liking the compliment, the woman in red leans against the billionaire's body in a clear flirt full of ulterior motives. Taking advantage of the opening, the boy hugs the dancer's waist, inviting her to continue the night in a private place. At that moment, the brunette from before returns, grabbing his arm, asking to also participate in that meeting. Hugged by the two, the young man notices the dispute between them and wonders how long his reason would take that. Laughing a lot, the protagonist suggests they go all three together to his hotel, guaranteeing the night would be fun. Toasting with the beautiful women, the hero's friend thinks it's all very funny and praises his sense of humor in front of everyone. The companion raises his glass, excited to continue drinking while our protagonist decides to walk away with the dancers. Full of ulterior motives, the women approach even more, wanting to toast with that young master who is incredibly rich. Seeing the brunette show confidence, the driver gets sad, deducing she was being ignored for playing so hard to get. With that, the young lady with pink hair sighs, seeing the trio going away, and reflects that she would even consider giving a chance if he tried. Totally regretful, the girl admits she was already prepared for something like that and only got a little embarrassed at the time. At that moment, the tycoon gives a side smile upon noticing that her friendship level had risen exactly as he planned. For the next 2 hours, our hero has fun flirting with the dancers, ignoring the presence of his beautiful driver. After enjoying the party enough, the group finally decides to say goodbye, arranging to schedule a new drinking session in the future. Already outside, the employee points to a taxi while the billionaire puts the two luxury women in the back seat. Being very gentlemanly, the boy hands a wad of money to the driver, demanding he leave the ladies in safety. Shocked to be sent away, the dancers shout for the rich guy, not believing the night had ended in that way. The student then walks to his car and calls the driver's attention, who wakes up from the trance, getting into the luxury vehicle. Half an hour later, the couple arrives at the hotel and the protagonist questions the reason for the employee entering the room with him. Totally red, the lady invents that taking transport at that hour was dangerous and asks if she could sleep in the place today. With that, the hero mocks, remembering that she was an easy girl, and soon transfers the ride value to her phone. The young woman tries to disguise the embarrassment, stating that she was just joking before, and the boss orders her to leave once and for all. Without being able to hold back, the star holds her beloved rich guy's shirt and yells, warning that she wouldn't go home today. Maintaining calm, the boy agrees with the stay and warns that the beautiful young lady could choose any room left there. Soon the employee takes courage, suggesting they share the huge bed, but the tycoon refuses, saying he didn't sleep with strangers. Observing the girl sitting on the bed, the rich guy concludes that his great plan worked, needing only her to take an attitude. With that, the driver kneels on the floor, crying a lot, and holds the leg of our protagonist in a big act of desperation. Surprised, the student asks the reason for the crying, and the lady laments, thinking he hated her for having turned her down earlier at the bar. Analyzing the girl's purity, the hero sighs, noting that being so innocent also generated unnecessary confusion. Feeling sorry, the billionaire kneels to comfort his beautiful ally, asking her to stop crying at that instant. And at that moment of great emotion, their faces approach, and the young master gives a warm kiss to his beautiful special guest. With interlaced hands, the young lady with pink hair confesses all her feelings, saying she liked that charming boy a lot. She remembers all the financial help on her channel, revealing that her great passion was born on that exact unforgettable day. Wiping her tears, the boy listens attentively while the lady calls him the Prince Charming who saved her from desperation. Totally surrendered to love, the beautiful employee hugs our protagonist very tight, whispering sweet words in his ear. Smiling, the hero picks her up, stating he wouldn't let her go away, guaranteeing she would sleep there tonight. Already lying in the huge bed, the beautiful young lady blushes with embarrassment while waiting anxiously for her dear boss. Without wasting time, our protagonist approaches, starting a long and passionate night of love with his driver. Throughout the dawn, the young couple enjoys each other's company, strengthening even more that intimate bond. The next morning, we see a beautiful redhead manager arriving at the office, being greeted by a dazzling blonde. The woman soon asks the employee to sit down and asks what she needed to talk about right at the beginning of the shift. With that, the lady wants to know if the manager knew Zhang Cheng, and the redhead confirms, saying she met him on a trip. The employee soon questions about a new hiring, and the woman confirms, saying she was preparing to change jobs. Totally surprised, the blonde widens her eyes, questioning if her dear boss was really going to quit there. With a smile, the redhead reveals that she was also going to the tycoon's new company, helping the colleague become his first artist. Worried, the blonde remembers that the manager worked hard to get there and questions if she really trusted the boy that much. The boss guarantees she trusts the young man totally, stating he is a super responsible guy and asks to be treated as a sister. Suddenly, an employee interrupts the conversation, warning that a big surprise had arrived for the manager at the concierge. Without patience, the woman orders them to refuse the delivery, imagining it was more of those very annoying romantic gifts. But the boy swallows hard, revealing that it was a very expensive vehicle and that they couldn't refuse because it was all paid for. Shocked, the redhead gets up quickly while her colleague suggests going down together to see that super machine. Arriving on the street, the two women are greeted with a big party of confetti by the other workers of the place. With that, an elegant salesperson in a suit approaches in a courteous way, asking the manager to reveal the big prize. Pulling the huge dark cover, the beautiful redhead reveals a luxury pink Lamborghini shining, which leaves everyone jaw dropped. The blonde dies of envy, congratulating her boss for having won such a wonderful millionaire gift. Around them, the employees gossip about the manager's new rich boyfriend, envying the absurd financial power of the boy. The attendant then hands over the keys to the powerful machine with a big smile, congratulating the lucky woman for the treat. Wanting confirmed, the redhead asks the sender, and the salesperson reveals that the young Zhang Cheng hopes she liked it. Emotion takes over the beautiful manager, who sighs, flushed, reflecting how no other man had treated her so well before. Changing scenes, we see the tycoon receiving a notice from the system, informing that the intimacy with the redhead reached almost the maximum. The hero gains valuable cards of money return and thinks the peculiar name of one of the great magical prizes is curious. Reflecting, the billionaire concludes he need to be very careful when using those bonuses not to upset his beauties. Soon the system gives him an opportunity to open an investment company, demanding a high rate of annual profits. The young man is satisfied, knowing that the more money he invested in that new business, the much bigger his returns would be. Being bold, the rich student decides to invest 500 million right off the bat, waiting for the platform to set up his company. Observing the blue screen, our protagonist smiles, excited to see that his new investment company was totally ready. At that moment, the beautiful driver emerges wrapped in a towel, and the boy notices her attributes continued very high. Taking advantage of the romantic mood, the rich guy hugs his dear partner from behind, leaving the beautiful girl slightly embarrassed. With that, the tycoon decides to ignore the new functions of the magical system to focus only on having fun with his beloved there. An hour later, the couple has breakfast while the redhead asks her big fan to stop spending so much on her lives. With that, the young lady complains about the high fee charged by the app, while a beautiful brunette manager listened to everything from afar. Being very frugal, the driver sighs, stating that donating $2 million in a single transmission was an enormous waste. Very surprised, the attentive manager reflects on the boy's luxury life and thinks that amount of money is absurd. Thinking it's all funny, the billionaire tries to calm her while the girl asks if he would mind if she continued recording. The hero smiles gently and gives permission for the employee to do whatever she wanted because he trusted her good sense quite a bit. Very happy with the enormous support of her beloved, the influencer decides to focus only on creating videos about cooking from now on. In an affectionate way, the student squeezes her cheeks and orders the lady to warn him in case anyone tried to make trouble on the site. Soon after, the boy hands over his luxury card to the manager and asks her to extend his stay for 2 more months. Totally shocked, the woman tries to warn that the young man didn't need to reserve that space for so long if he wasn't going to use it. Seeing the situation, the redhead remembers that the value of that extravagant suit cost an absurd $80,000 for each day rented there. With a mocking look, Zhang Cheng warns that the owner of that famous hotel would be quite disappointed with the lady's attitude. Flushed, the manager tries to justify herself, saying that almost $5 million was a very high value for a place little used. Eating a strawberry, the influencer observes the curious interaction and wonders the reason for the woman caring so much about him. Using his magical ability, the hero analyzes the profile of the beautiful manager, noticing a great affection accumulated in her heart. The tycoon is impressed to realize that that very beautiful woman was super willing to approach in a romantic way. Feeling the intense look of the billionaire, the hotel employee tightens her legs, embarrassed, fearing to have been too direct. In her thoughts, the manager remembers that the charming client used to have fun with some other women in that place. Even knowing about the boy's great fame, the beautiful woman admits that the mysteries of that handsome boy left her very curious. Increasingly enchanted, the employee sighs, helping in the tidying up of the place, wanting to please her dear VP guest. With her heart beating fast, the beautiful manager even asks herself if she would accept any intimate request in case he was more daring. Reading the woman's feelings, the protagonist thinks it's all very interesting but prefers not to try anything in front of his girlfriend. Disguising the situation, the rich guy orders the attentive manager just to open a new room to avoid problems in the future. Being very obedient, the woman with brown hair says goodbye in a respectful way and leaves to fulfill the orders immediately. Already in the hallway, a work colleague notices the strange look of the manager and questions if the young master was very demanding. Fixing her hair, the woman clears her friend's doubts and guarantees that that handsome billionaire was wonderful to deal with. The receptionist colleague laments the lack of clients in the hotel, envying the incredible luck of that beautiful woman in her work. Very frustrated, the employee complains that not everyone managed the feat of reeling in a very rich guest for the whole week. Trying to cheer up her colleague, the beautiful woman smiles gently, warning that the month was just beginning and everything could get better. With that, the friend with short hair warns she would steal her luck and plans to go to sleep right after her exhausting shift. However, the manager says goodbye, informing she needed to speak urgently with the director to get a discount for the billionaire. Widening her eyes, the receptionist takes a huge scare upon discovering that the rich young man intended to stay there for 2 more months. Totally incredulous, the colleague remembers that the tycoon had money to spare and questions the reason for her wanting to give a discount. Flushed, the beautiful employee confesses she thought it strange to charge the full value, knowing the boy would spend little time in the place. Being very curious, the young girl with short hair jokes, suggesting to attend the rich guy in her place, and soon asks if he was a hunk. Remembering the tycoon's muscular body, the woman gets red with embarrassment, leaving her friend even more provocative. Quickly, the receptionist proposes a daring deal, offering her intimate services in exchange for the colleague's fat commission. But the manager cuts the joke, stating that rich men managed any woman, not wanting to create false hopes. Despite that, the beautiful lady with long hair sighs, imagining what that charming client thought about her appearance. Changing the subject quickly, the employee dismisses her friend and walks hurriedly to resolve the matter of the accommodation. Hearing everything, the chubby manager runs to collect the value and decides to call the president to thank the protagonist personally. Lying on the couch, the hero thinks the lower collection on his card is strange while the system gifts him with a bonus of 100 times. Soon after, the bigwigs of the luxury resort knock on the door of the room, wanting to speak directly with our protagonist. With that, the boy is very well welcomed by the executive president, who hands him a personal card full of respect. The mustache man explains that the beautiful employee had guaranteed enormous discount and many VIP benefits for him to use there. With a look of disgust, the student concludes that the sweet manager's good intentions ended up costing a lot of his money. Even so, the young man smiles, reflecting that the woman preferred to lose her own commission just to please her dear guest. Shaking the executive's hand, the rich student pretends to be happy and declares to be a friend of the big wig, thanking him for the generosity. Excited by the millionaire friendship, the hotel leader orders his beautiful employee to do absolutely everything the boy asked. With everything resolved, the mustached man says goodbye in a very friendly way, leaving the beautiful receptionist in charge of everything. Being very polite, our hero thanks the unexpected visit, closing the door with a look that is quite seductive for the lady. Out of nowhere, the redhead driver jumps into the lap of her adorable sponsor, warning in a whiny way that she didn't want to go away. Smiling, the tycoon explains that he needed to resolve some matters and suggests that the beautiful partner stay there enjoying the space. Pouting, the young woman refuses the idea, stating that staying alone would be very boring, and soon reveals to have plans with her friends. Accepting her decision, the student arranges the girl's clothes, promising to look for her as soon as he had free time. An hour passes and we see the rich guy walking down the street while a dazzling blonde woman waves at him, full of charm. Interrupting the walk, the beautiful blonde hugs the hero, trying to thank him for all the help received, but soon is silenced by a scream. Being very loud, a boy with red hair points his finger, insulting the dazzling woman with very heavy words on the street. The mad subject threatens to jump into a famous river right near there in case the beautiful manager didn't agree to marry him right at that instant. Seeing that bizarre scene, Jiang Chen questions his beautiful partner if she hadn't already solved the problem with that cowardly subject. With that, the dazzling blonde sighs, lamenting that the guy kept making scandals in the company and she didn't want to worry the hero. Hearing the conversation, the boy flips out with anger, offending the young couple by calling them traitor dogs, acting behind his back there. Fearing some confusion, the beautiful woman holds the protagonist's arm and begs him to ignore the guy's crazy nonsense. But the scandalous one refuses to leave them in peace, promising to throw himself into the river to force the blame for the tragedy onto the two lovebirds. Suddenly, the madman advances, trying to grab the blonde, and the beautiful young woman takes a big scare with the aggressive attitude of that idiot. Quickly, our hero gets in the way, blocking the attack with quite a lot of ease upon holding the coward subject's arm. Looking deep in the rival's eyes, the tycoon warns that since he talked so much nonsense, it would be very good to give a hand with that. With that, the rich guy calls local guards, offering 5 million to each one to pretend they tried to stop the red-haired one's jump into the river. Being cruel, the billionaire suggests the security guards let him slip accidentally into the water, guaranteeing the end of the madman. Completely frightened, the scandalous one accuses the student of trying to hire a murder in public in the middle of that street. Confused by the bizarre situation, the local guards sweat cold, asking if the young master was just making a joke. With a cold smile, the hero guarantees to pay in advance and promises to give 5 more million to their families in case they were arrested. Taken by greed, the security guards reflect on the miserable salary they received and conclude that the crime was very worth it. Sweating from desperation, the red-haired one recoils with fear of death, warning that murder was a very serious crime and without return for them. Wanting to resolve everything soon, Jiang Cheng orders the subject to jump into the river at once to finish the theater very quickly. Smiling, the tycoon mocks the rival's cowardice, betting that he wouldn't have the courage even to throw a simple punch there. At that moment, a transfer notification hits the guards' phones, proving that the very rich boy spoke super seriously. Totally motivated, the 5 security guards advance with everything and start giving a big beating to the scandalous guy on the sidewalk. Seeing the big confusion, the beautiful blonde leans against the hero's chest, asking him to forget that and not lower himself so much. Being very gentle, the protagonist calms his beloved, asking the beautiful woman not to worry about that human trash. After 5 minutes, the security guards drag the beaten subject, promising to clean the mess while the rich guy praises the service. Soon after, the tycoon asks the beautiful partner never to hide that type of problem from him again, promising to take care of everything. Suddenly, the magical system rewards the hero with a private security agency to deal with those problems in the future. Very excited with the new prize, our protagonist invites his dazzling companion to check the company's headquarters now. Surprised, the blonde notices the boy's smile and comments that she thought he would lose all his mood after that enormous confusion. Walking to his luxury car, the billionaire guarantees that he wouldn't let trash spoil his great business of the day. Observing the enormous commercial building, our protagonist analyzes the place chosen to be the headquarters of his newest company. Walking through the big office, the billionaire praises the beautiful modern decoration, stating it was perfect for his agency. Sitting in the comfortable chair of the leadership, the young rich man decides to close the deal quickly, planning to move soon. At that moment, the charming tycoon pulls his beautiful partner and suggests for the blonde to sit there a little to rest too. Understanding the boy's ulterior motives, the dazzling employee walks to the door, locking everything and closing the blind. With a malicious smile, the beautiful woman kneels on the office floor, getting right in front of her adored young master. Taking advantage of the moment of great privacy, the beautiful young lady decides to reward her dear boss with a very special service. After a few minutes, the student pretends to be surprised, joking that he had asked only for her to sit in an innocent way. Staying all flushed, the dazzling blonde thinks the boy is very annoying and threatens to ignore him in case he continued mocking. But quickly the seductive woman sits on our protagonist's lap, suggesting a provocative way to stay on top of him now. Smiling a lot, the rich student lets his beloved partner take control, ordering the blonde to do what made her happy. Without wasting more time, the passionate employee takes off her clothes, starting a long moment of love in the office. Returning to the luxury hotel, the hero is greeted by the attentive manager who asks if he wished to have dinner or take a bath. With a red face, the beautiful woman imagines giving a bath to the boy, but the tycoon cuts the mood, preferring just to eat first. Totally surprised, the disappointed employee is disappointed, seeing her coveted billionaire walking to the big room. With that, the disappointed employee cries internally because she had trained several secret techniques to please her VIP guest. Serving the tasty food, the woman sighs while the rich guy concludes that the moment was wrong, leaving the romance for later. The next day, our protagonist meets with his rich friends at a luxury famous car event in the city. Walking through the trendy place, the young master spot a dazzling model in a golden dress posing beside a big car. Admiring the wonderful figure of the woman, the hero's friends praise the hiring of that beauty with the appearance of a goddess. However, observing calmly, the young rich kid notices that the beautiful girl seemed uncomfortable with the approach of a photographer. Approaching a disgusting subject takes photos under the dress of the model while the poor girl begged for him to stop there. Thinking it is funny, the harasser states that a simple model shouldn't wear such short clothes if she didn't want to be photographed. Losing patience totally with that human trash, Jiang Cheng applies a flying kick, destroying the disgusting guy's phone. Fallen on the floor, the crazy photographer goes into absolute despair, crying for the lost photos, accusing our hero of being blind. Stepping on the broken device, the billionaire invents that his foot just slipped, promising to pay the damages without any problem. Boiling with pure hatred for the student's attitude, the disgusting subject stands up quickly, trying to hit a punch on the hero. But possessing great corporate skills, the magnate dodges the cowardly blow with quite a lot of ease and without taking his hand out of his pocket. Giving a dark smile, the young man remembers that the opponent had attacked first, and with that, the laws of self-defense would apply. Closing his big fist, the protagonist hits a brutal hook on the rival's chin, launching the harasser straight into the air. With the disgusting one fallen on the floor, our protagonist raises his victorious fist, showing who is in charge there. Running desperately, the event manager asks for forgiveness to the magnate and orders the guards to call the police quickly. Very tense, the man in a suit demands that the security guards arrive before to avoid more problems in the place. Approaching the rich guy, the friend praises his great punch while the hero laments the amount of madmen in the city. Trying to defend the place, the gray-haired boy claims that everyone there was a decent person without such bizarre fetishes. With that, the dazzling model approaches the hero, thanking him for the great help and asks if he was hurt. Smiling a lot, the rich friends notice the intimacy between the two and joke that the hero had fought for love. Being very gentle, our protagonist introduces the wonderful woman to his colleagues, saying she was an old-school friend. Soon the charming student also introduces his good friends to the beautiful lady, and the rich guys greet her, smiling. Curious, the dazzling model in a golden dress wants to know if the billionaire was there to look at more luxury cars. The young rich man explains that he intended to buy a gift for his father, while the beautiful lady invites him to have dinner out. Inviting the beauty to go out, the magnate suggests that she join their group at night, and the young woman says yes right on the spot. Changing scenes, we see the manager in a suit showing a luxury four-door sports car to the young master. Trying to value the sale, the salesperson lists several powerful parts of the machine, but the hero cuts him, wanting to know the price. Being direct, the man charges the value of more than 2 million, but the rich guy just ignores it and demands delivery in his city. Clapping his hands with joy, the experienced manager guarantees a super safe and fast delivery to any place in the country. Without thinking twice, the billionaire hands over his valuable dark card to the salesperson, ordering him to collect the money. Excited, the student asks the subject to prepare a big delivery party, wanting to make a beautiful surprise for his father. With that, the rich friends think it is funny that the magnate considers such a super sports car as something very discreet. Reflecting on the protagonist's wealth, the red-haired boy concludes that whoever had money made their own rules. Lamenting life, the boy in the jacket jokes about having begged for a car from his father, and now the friend bought one in cash. Already at the end of the shift, the charming student invites his dazzling friend to go home, leaving everyone with a lot of envy. Inside the luxury super machine, Jiang Cheng puts on his seatbelt, wanting to know if the beautiful lady would go back to college soon. Being sincere, the beautiful girl reveals she works to earn extra money because her poor family was totally bankrupt. With a distant look, the woman confesses not to care about the school's idiot gossip, claiming to have pride in her own sweat. Understanding, our protagonist praises the young woman's grit, stating she was much more down to earth than most thought. The dazzling girl laments not having paid for a chick dinner for her old friend and warns she owed him a great favor. Accelerating through the beautiful streets of the city, the magnate tries to make the beautiful woman comfortable, saying eating out was nonsense. Arriving at a famous, more rustic restaurant, the rich young men call our hero and the beautiful model to sit with them. However, the mood weighs totally when the group notices a full-mouthed subject arriving there without having been invited by anyone. Whispering, the gray-haired friend complains about the presence of a very annoying rival, wondering who would have invited that subject. To provoke, the young rich kid mocks, calling the blonde by an annoying nickname, and the subject sulks right away. Being faced, the red-haired boy smiles tensely, asking the foul-mouthed one to calm down, remembering they only came there to eat well. With the spirits controlled, the group finally meets around the pot full of chick food, arranging to drink a lot. Half an hour later, the blonde boy starts to brag, saying he had received great investment tips in the city stock market. Impressed, the girl's brown knows the guy while he plays the superior, saying everyone needed rich friendships like that. Hearing that talk, the gray-haired boy closes his face, deducing that the subject was sending indirect messages to his group. Very furious, the boy decides to collect an enormous old debt from the arrogant blonde, who flips out with anger, ordering him to shut his mouth. Without fear, the hero's friend hits the table, warning he was very polite, wanting to know if the rival thought he was the big top dog there. Intervening in the discussion, our protagonist holds his partner, asking him not to spoil the fun with that silly fight. At that moment, the blonde flips out for good and throws a drink in the direction of the magnet, ordering that hick to shut his mouth right away. However, the purple drink ends up splashing right on the beautiful model's blouse, surprising the poor girl, who lets out a scream of fright. Quickly, the rich guy pulls his beautiful guest close, launching a look full of hatred for that uncontrolled subject. Indignant at the insult, the red-haired host stands up, furious, wanting to know what was the big problem of that aggressive madman. With that, the gray-haired boy also joins, asking seriously if the guy was there only to act like a crazy person. Seeing the rich guys defend the rookie, the blonde sweats cold, realizing that the protagonist must be very powerful to have such support. Pointing his finger in the rival's face, the red-haired young man demands the guy to stop causing so much confusion in the middle of others' party. To keep the pose, the arrogant one hits the table furious, not accepting that everyone was fawning over just any hick from the countryside. Maintaining calm, the hero faces the human trash and orders the guy to apologize for having ruined his guest's beautiful clothes. Being gentle, the young lady with long hair touches the young master's chest, stating she was fine and asking him to let it slide. Ignoring the warning, the billionaire repeats the demand while the rival mocks, laughing, warning he wouldn't do anything of that. In an extremely fast movement, Jiang Cheng raises his hand and hits a very powerful slap directly into the face of that annoying guy. With the strong blow, the subject's arrogant cheek is completely crushed, launching his body with everything backwards in the air. Observing the blow, the student laughs internally, deducing that the trash thought he was just any fearful weakling. Holding his swollen face, the crazy blonde yells furious, not believing he had taken a beating in the middle of dinner. With a mocking smile, the protagonist orders the rival to look for a doctor, promising to pay the bill in case he was too poor. Completely out of his mind, the subject lifts a heavy wooden chair and jumps in the direction of our hero, wanting to kill him. Without much effort, the magnate gives a brutal kick that destroys the chair and hits the guy's face with everything right away. Fallen on the floor, the defeated one caused blood, while the hero orders him to vanish from there before things got even worse. Full of anger, the blonde stands up, supported by a girl, and goes away, promising to get revenge on that big hick in the future. Curious, the hero asks the rival's history, and the red-haired friend explains that the subject's family owned food industries. With a dark smile, Jiang Cheng faces the horizon, stating he would love to test the true capacity of that arrogant family. With that, the beautiful model approaches, worried about causing problems, but the magnate reassures her, deciding to take her home early. Being very polite, our protagonist raises his hand, saying goodbye to his good friends, warning that they had already drunk enough. The gray-haired friend apologizes for what happened, and the student guarantees that that was nonsense because they were all big brothers. Already on the street, the rich guy hands the keys of his powerful machine to the young woman, wanting to know if she managed to drive that car. Smiling, the hero remembers that the lady had already been a rich heiress in the past, while the beautiful beauty asks him to stop with the jokes. Driving through the city, the beautiful woman comments that it had been a while since she piloted in layman's, not being able to accelerate much more through the streets. Observing the driver's joy, the young master reflects aloud, saying he never imagined that the beautiful girl liked cars so much. Being very sincere, the model explains that her family was very strict, and now she didn't possess any more money for that luxury. Being very gentle, Jiang Cheng states that that was simple to be resolved, promising to take her for other spins in the future. Outside the vehicle, the young woman holds the billionaire's hands, thanking him for all help, while the boy thinks the lady's loving attitude is strange. Very flushed, the girl makes up an excuse, warning that it was getting quite late and that she needed to go away soon. Seeing the beauty run away quickly, the charming student caresses his chin, deducing that the beautiful woman was very embarrassed. Shaking his head, our protagonist decides to leave romance aside for the time being, focusing on resolving his true business. Taking his phone, the hero plans to use his new magical security agency, wanting to give a big lesson to that disgusting blonde. Lying with the beautiful blonde, the hero reads the news, discovering that the rival factory was involved in a huge scandal of hygiene. With that, the friend calls the protagonist, very excited, reporting that all the dirt of that disgusting company had been leaked. On the other side of the line, the partner confirms the news, revealing that the factory was using several totally rotten ingredients. The TV warns that the suppliers removed the products from the shelves, while the corrupt company suffered incalculable losses. Very surprised, the young man in the jacket swallows hard, asking if his partner remembered the wise words of our magnate. Completely shocked, the two rich friends realize that the hero was behind all that enormous corporate destruction. Remembering the student's look, the guys sweat cold, noting that the hero tested the true great power of the arrogant family. Impressed, the boy comments on that absurd influence, stating that the enemy family would lose almost all their money. The red-haired friend agrees fully, remembering having felt a very powerful and different aura as soon as he met our student. At the rival's house, the madman's father yells on the phone, trying desperately to gain some time to manage to save his business. Irritated, the bald old man holds the phone, panting with hatred, wanting to discover which wretch tried to destroy his great company. At that moment, the snobby blonde approaches, wearing a bathrobe, and asks, very confused about what was happening in that place. Looking at the hair, the father notices his face all swollen, demanding to know where the stupid kid had gotten himself into trouble. Scratching his head, the boy justifies himself, saying he had been beaten by a hick from the countryside and warns he was already planning his revenge. The bald old man gives a slap in the son's face, complaining that he only knew how to get into trouble all day long, thinking he was a mobster. With that, the man swallows hard, deducing that the son's rival could be the big culprit for the fall of his whole company. Desperate, the patriarch holds the boy, ordering him to tell everything because the family corporation had lost a lot of money. After hearing the story, the old man yells, calling the hair trash, demanding that the idiot go beg for the rich guy's forgiveness. But the blonde refuses the order, stating it was too humiliating to kneel for the enemy, ordering his father to file for divorce. At that moment, the boy's mother pulls his arm, completely shocked by the rebellious and stupid attitude of that hair. The woman soon points her finger at the husband, calling him crazy for not trying to resolve that small fight with money. Furious, the man calls the wife stupid, revealing that the family fortune had plummeted absurdly from one day to the next. Without patience, the patriarch goes up the stairs, warning that the marriage would end in case that enormous problem wasn't resolved. Sweating cold, the crazy young man holds his own face, asking himself if the hick from the previous night was really the big culprit. The desperate mother agrees, ordering the heir to go and beg on his knees for forgiveness from that powerful, untouchable man. Meanwhile, our hero enjoys his breakfast, receiving a report that the rival company is being destroyed. Just then, the stunning manager approaches the table, asking very attentively if the tycoon enjoyed the food. Praising the meal, the charming student holds his pajama collar, asking if the beautiful woman had changed his clothes. Blushing deeply, the attentive manager remembers the previous night, seeing her beloved boss bring home a new, wonderful woman. Very jealous, the beautiful employee had tried to please the rich man by bringing him hot soup to cure his heavy hangover. However, the beautiful girl was disappointed when she arrived at the room and realized the young master was already sleeping like a log on the couch. Being very careful, the woman deduced that the couch wouldn't be comfortable, deciding to carry the tipsy boy straight to bed. Noticing the strong smell of alcohol on his clothes, the blushing manager took the initiative and began to undress our sleeping hero. Having second thoughts, the beauty reflected that this was the perfect chance to practice her massage techniques. With a look of desire and sweating quite a bit, the stunning employee ran her hands over her own body, admiring the young man. Returning to the present, the beautiful woman holds her face, burning with shame, claiming she only changed his clothes. Seizing the moment, the hero pulls her by the waist, making up a story about having an intimate dream and lamenting that it wasn't real. Very seductively, the beautiful girl leans in, offering a relaxing massage to soothe the tired muscles of her great sponsor. Without wasting a single second, the manager invites the rich man to lie on the huge double bed, wanting to give him her best service. With a gallant smile, our protagonist agrees with the idea, warning that he would be quite a handful for the stunning woman. Once in the bedroom, the beautiful employee sits on the hero's lap, starting the massage, but the young man starts to think the atmosphere is getting too serious. Suddenly, the beauty's short skirt rides up a little, revealing daring lingerie, leaving the charming student very surprised. Admiring that beautiful sight, the tycoon sweats cold, noticing that the girl trusted him a lot, and tells his mind to try and calm down now. The pull in the fabric of his silk pajamas, the billionaire breathes a sigh of relief for managing to control his masculine instincts in time. The manager looks over her shoulder and asks seductively if the tycoon was enjoying that great service. Smiling in a relaxed way, our hero praises the beautiful girl's skills, stating she was a true professional. With that, the stunning employee decides to change positions and sits on top of the young man so the service could be even better. At that moment, the young master gets a huge scare when noticing the very daring lingerie that the beautiful woman was wearing. Noticing the student's gaze, the blushing manager tries to hide her immense embarrassment at that very seductive situation. The rich man doesn't miss the chance and comments that the romantic atmosphere felt very similar to the dream he had before. Completely surrendered, the beautiful girl asks very shyly if the great billionaire wanted to share an intimate moment with her. Without hesitating, our protagonist agrees with the idea, telling his beautiful partner to do whatever she wanted. Starting a passionate kiss, the sweet employee states that her beloved boss was a very mischievous man. And so the young couple surrenders to their true desires, starting a long night of great pleasure in bed. Changing the scene, we see the crazy blonde guy arriving at a motel with a girl, asking for the most expensive room for her. The receptionist fulfills the request and soon hands the access card for the arrogant hare to enjoy his night. Being very stubborn, the idiot reflects that he would never apologize to that hillbilly, just as his father had ordered. However, the employee politely warns him that the playboy's credit card had been declined by the system. Thinking it was just a simple machine error, the arrogant guy tries to keep his cool and hands over another luxury card. But the attendant states that it had no funds at all, leaving the broke hare completely shocked. Scratching his head, the guy remembers his last expenses and deduces that his old man was really punishing him. Trying to hide his bankruptcy, the crazy guy hugs the girl, asking her to pay for the room and promising to pay her back later. Being quite opportunistic, the girl slaps the guy's hand, calling him a useless piece of trash for pretending to be rich when he had nothing. The broke blonde guy is left paralyzed with so much embarrassment, watching the beauty leave him totally alone there. To make matters worse, the local employee asks if the hare still wanted to book that room. Taking his anger out on others, the guy screams, saying his partner had disappeared, and cruelly insults the innocent receptionist. Calling his father, the spoiled brat screams, demanding his money back, but the old man just tells him to figure it out himself. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the arrogant playboy sweats cold, deducing he would need to turn to his old friends. Completely desperate, the blonde guy starts walking back and forth, trying to contact our hero's group. On a video call, the broke guy forces a huge smile, trying to please his old rivals and beg for help. On the screen, the tycoon's partners enjoy a pool with beauties, while the blonde guy asks to speak to the hillbilly. Being totally humiliated, the idiot confesses to having made a huge mistake and begs, crying for a great divine salvation. Serving a glass of wine, the rich guy mocks his ex-rival's face while the broke guy continues to beg a lot. Feeling very sorry for him, the billionaire's partner agrees to tell our protagonist, ordering the blonde guy to wait for a response. At the pool, the young rich guy questions if they were really going to help the broke rival since our protagonist was dealing with him. Laughing, the friend states that even if the rich man forgives the idiot, his family was already bankrupt and full of market problems. On his cell phone, the redhead invites the hero to a nightclub, warning that someone would come to beg for forgiveness, and the young man accepts immediately. Relaxing in the bubble-filled bathtub, the billionaire invites the stunning model to the party and the girl soon agrees, excited. By night, the charming student arrives at the trendy party accompanied by his beautiful friend, and his partners call her sister-in-law. Completely blushing, the beautiful woman reflects that it wasn't worth explaining the misunderstanding because she wouldn't see them again later. With that, the group of friends in suits gathers at the venue's door, anxiously waiting for the young master's orders. Giving a confident smile, the hero orders them to prepare very luxurious drinks and some Kansas special milk for his ally. Being very helpful, the owner of the place agrees with the big request and tries to offer several escorts to the rich men. Just then, the gray-haired partner grabs the guy, warning him that the tycoon had brought his own girl to have fun there. Sweating with desperation, the manager apologizes for the terrible mistake, promising to get the luxury orders as quickly as possible. Minutes later, beautiful attendants dressed as bunnies arrive at the table, serving the very expensive champagne bought by the rich man. Admiring the bottles, the wonderful partner whispers in the protagonist's ear, confessing that she would love to taste that drink. Being protective, the student tells the young lady to drink a little while outside, promising to bring some bottles for her to enjoy better. The girl's heart beats faster, noting the hero's great respect for not trying to get her drunk, guaranteeing more affection from him. Suddenly, the mood gets heavy when the arrogant blonde guy from before approaches the table, leaving the beautiful model quite tense. Feeling the girl's fear, our protagonist tells her to just relax and watch the spectacle that was about to unfold. In the middle of everyone, the blonde guy bows in a huge plea for forgiveness, inventing that he said a lot of nonsense because of the alcohol. Maintaining his powerful aura, the billionaire coldly warns that sincere apologies shouldn't be directed at him there. Completely confused, the broke hare sweats cold, and the young man mocks him, telling that disgusting guy to use his brain to remember. With great calm, the hero recalls the huge offense from the past, demanding a long apology for his beautiful guest. Shaking with fear, the arrogant subject finally realizes his stupidity and bows, calling the girl's sister-in-law and begging for forgiveness. Being very affectionate, the beautiful young lady leans on our protagonist, trying to calm the situation, saying everything was fine. But soon the stunning model melts with love, realizing that the tycoon set that up just to defend her honor. Sweating buckets, the blonde loser continues to debase himself in front of the group, begging them to forget the confusion once and for all. Using mockery, the rich man jokes about being a hillbilly and proposes to forgive the trash. The crazy guy broke bottles on his own head. With an extremely dark smile, the student offers an empty bottle, wanting to see the great show of that crazy guy. Boiling with hatred on the inside, the broke hare reflects, unconvinced, that the hillbilly had invented the worst punishment of all. Pressuring his defeated rival, the charming young master casts a cold look, wanting a quick response from the pathetic guy. With no way out, the poor guy accepts the humiliating deal, remembering that his rich father would only return his money if he did that. Carrying out the punishment, the blonde guy smashes the bottle on his own head, suffering great damage to the delight of everyone there. Desperate, the crazy guy continues the bizarre punishment, breaking more glass on his own face to pay off his huge debt. With the impact, the spoiled hare falls to his knees on the nightclub floor, moaning in pain in the middle of all the sharp shards. Laughing a lot, the young master claps his hands, praising the great spectacle of his ex-rival in front of the whole audience. Just then, the gray-haired friend praises the guy's willpower, surprised by him having such courage to hurt himself like that. Completely exhausted and humiliated, the arrogant blonde guy ends up fainting on the cold dance floor after paying for his grave mistake. The venue manager asks if he should call an ambulance, and the rich man orders them to just clean up the event's mess. Worried, the beautiful partner fears some trouble with the police, but the hero guarantees he didn't do anything wrong there. Changing the subject, the tycoon raises his glass, excitedly proposing a great toast to celebrate that great night. Serving the drinks, the beautiful bunny sighs, reflecting on how that charming client could be so scary and cruel. Drinking, the redhead partner reflects on the blonde guy's fear, concluding that our student hid a scary power. Outside, the stunning model suggests a date alone in the future, confessing she didn't like crowds much. With a sweet look, the woman thanks him for making the enemy apologize to her, showing immense affection. Being protective, the billionaire promises that on their next outings, he wouldn't let any crazy person ruin the mood between them. Blushing, the young woman with long hair tells the young man to go rest soon, warning that he had drunk quite a bit at that party. Reading his cell phone, the hero receives a message from his security guards, warning him that another rival was trying to sue him today. In the photo, the investigators show the long-haired subject running after lawyers to cause trouble. The spy reports that the annoying guy continued to harass the beautiful blonde every day, causing a lot of headaches. Without patience, the young master orders them to set up a great trap, demanding the trash be expelled from the country quickly. Returning to his luxury room, the rich man is welcomed by the attentive manager with a lot of affection and immense respect. Smiling mischievously, the hero hugs the stunning employee's waist, questioning the reason for her being so formal there. Dying of embarrassment, the beautiful woman asks him to stop, fearing being seen, but the student mocks his partner's fear. The brown-haired girl insists that someone might appear, and the young man soon suggests they go inside very quickly. Once in the private room, our protagonist lies on the couch, suggesting they enjoy themselves right there, changing the scenery. Completely surrendered, the seductive manager blushes with desire, accepting her dear boss's idea without thinking twice. Changing the scene, we see the long-haired rival in a suspicious bar, while asking for a very flashy drink from the bartender. Drinking his glass, the crazy guy has red cheeks, showing he was suffering from some lost love. On his cell phone, a woman warns that she already had a new boyfriend, telling the idiot to forget the passing romance they had. Just then, a waiter serves a man with glasses at the counter, handing a generous dose to the mysterious client there. Being daring, the rival approaches the man with glasses, proposing they drink together, guaranteeing that true love never fails. Drinking his glass, the man with glasses laments alone, reflecting on how someone like him could find true love. Just then, the drunk rival approaches, flirting, and introduces himself as Zhang Yu, wanting to know the name of that charming guy. Smiling, the subject says his name is Min Hang, offering a drink to listen to the stories of that so broken heart. With that, an hour and a half passes quickly, with the two young men drinking and talking very closely at the bar counter. Thanking him for the company, the long-haired young man says he needs to go because he would take a flight early the next day. Being dramatic, the guy explains that he would go to Thailand to take one last trip to say goodbye to his old romance. At that moment, the crazy guy says goodbye to his new friend, stating that fate could cross their paths in the future. Analyzing his cell phone, the rival realizes that there was only one flight at the scheduled time and decides to buy the ticket immediately. The next day, we see the plane flying while the deluded guy dreamed of finding his beloved during the trip. In the afternoon, our hero lands at the large airport in Thailand, walking full of style through the local lobby. Quickly, a man in a suit introduces himself as the captain of the security team, showing extreme loyalty to the tycoon. The rich man wants to know the rival's whereabouts, and the guard warns that the guy was already detained at the hotel, taking them to the location. Arriving at the huge luxury hotel, the staff welcomes the young master with much respect and guides him through the corridors. Entering the room, the hero finds the rival tied up, surrounded by security guards, and orders them to wake the subject up immediately. Throwing a bucket of water, the man with glasses awakens the subject, who smiles, thinking his beloved liked pranks. Completely tied up, the crazy guy confesses to being super excited, suggesting they try even more daring tricks there. Coughing mockingly, the billionaire appears behind him, asking the reason for the guy harassing his beautiful friend so much before. Getting a big scare, the long-haired young man panics when recognizing the face of our super-rich student there. Without mercy, the hero lands a brutal kick, knocking the rival tied to the chair straight to the floor of that luxury room. Facing the trash, the tycoon remembers his last threat, claiming to have promised to shut his mouth forever this time. Shaking with fear, the subject begs for mercy, warning that committing crimes was forbidden, begging the young man to calm down. With a dark smile, Jiang Cheng warns that deaths by accident were extremely common in that country without drawing attention. Sweating cold, the poor guy swears never to get close to the model again, begging for God's sake to spare his miserable life. Turning his back, the protagonist orders the guards to confiscate all the money and documents of that scandalous guy. Being cruel, the rich man states that if the trash managed to return home with nothing, it would be the great will of the heavens acting. Completely embarrassed, the guy is left with only underwear, shaking from the cold while the security guards recorded the scene. Leaving the hotel, our student decides to enjoy the trip to sign the papers for the magic shares earned in the system. Arriving at a huge company, a man in a suit welcomes the hero smiling, excited to finally meet his partner. Shaking hands, the rich young man greets the partner, and the two walk into the building to discuss business. Signing the contract, the young master says he trusts the partner fully while the man in the suit checks if there were any doubts. Reading the system screen, the tycoon is calm to see the new partner's loyalty, guaranteeing his profits peacefully. Just then, the man in the suit suggests a tour of the local culture, but the hero refuses the offer, claiming to be just a pure boy. Laughing a lot, the partner understands the refusal and tells the charming student to feel at home, calling if he needed any help. During the car trip, the rich man asks to take a ride, and the driver soon suggests the busy night market around there. Without thinking twice, Jiang Cheng agrees with the great idea, asking the guard to take him straight to that location. Arriving at the busy street, our protagonist drinks a coconut water until he notices a little child crying, scared, nearby. With a sharp look, the billionaire perceives the danger and quickly gives a signal for his loyal guard to save the girl. In a brutal move, the guard lands a powerful flying kick, throwing the two kidnappers with everything into the middle of the stalls. Being very fast, the henchman in the suit knocks out the criminals, leaving the little girl completely shocked by the action. With that, the charming student crouches in front of the girl, asking gently where her parents were. Crying little Anne thanks him for the great help, confessing to having run away from her mother just to try and eat a candy there. Sighing with tiredness, the young master deduces that the little girl was quite stubborn and spoiled for causing all that confusion. Maintaining his calm, the hero takes his modern cell phone, asking if the girl remembered her mother's phone number. Being very attentive, the rich man hands the device to the child, telling her to call the woman immediately. A few minutes later, the beautiful mother arrives running at the location and thanks him immensely for the great salvation of her daughter. Desperate, the woman reprimands little Anne, warning about the great dangers that existed on those dark streets. Seeing the child cry a lot, the long-haired mother gives in and hugs the little girl, promising she wouldn't hit her. Introducing herself as Ensign, the beauty thanks him again while the student advises her to take better care of the girl. Completely embarrassed, the stunning woman agrees with the tycoon, swearing she would pay more attention next time. Just then, the little girl defends her mother, asking the hero not to scold her, assuming all the blame for the huge escape. Giving a gentle smile, Jiang Cheng strokes the little girl's head, telling her to obey her mother from that moment on. Being polite, the mature woman offers a ride, wanting to know the young man's name to pay for a beautiful meal in the future. The billionaire refuses the offer, warning that he would return to the city of Ron the next day, leaving the woman surprised. Thinking it's a huge coincidence, the beauty asks for the rich man's contact, revealing that she also lived in that same city. Reading the secret information, the protagonist is confused, trying to understand how she had a daughter without making love before. Walking down the street, the woman's guard suggests investigating our hero, but the beautiful mature woman soon discards this great idea. With a serious look, the mother notes that the young man possessed a hidden power, reflecting that it was very dangerous to investigate people like that. The next night, the young master relaxes on his house's couch while his parents arrive asking what he had bought. With a beautiful smile, the good son hands a very expensive watch to his father, who calls him a rich brat wanting to show off. At his home, the young man hands a luxury purple bag to his dear mother, leaving the woman very happy with the beautiful gift. Smiling, the matriarch praises the young man's good taste, stating that he chose better things than his own father. With a lot of affection, the lady hugs her husband, wanting to know what the great value of that beautiful wristwatch had been. In order not to scare his father, the tycoon lies, saying he had paid over 100,000 through a great friend in the industry. The good mother advises the boy to save more money, wanting to arrange a date, but the rich man refuses the idea. Observing the student leaving the house, the proud parents feel that they were finally being well taken care of by their beloved son. Just then, the old man ruins the romantic mood a little, and the wife jokes, thanking him for Jiang Cheng not having inherited that defect. Arriving at the Taiko Li Commercial Center, our hero notices a large crowd admiring a very beautiful girl there. Listening to the young woman's name, the protagonist is surprised to realize that someone was asking that old friend out. In the middle of the people, a man in a suit kneels with a ring, swearing he could make the beautiful Jo Ying very happy in the future. The onlookers around are shocked by the romanticism of that rich subject, noting a very expensive necklace in the young man's hands. Very uncomfortable, the young woman refuses the offer, stating that she only saw him as a friend, asking the subject to get up soon. Furious with all that huge pressure, the beautiful girl warns that she would leave if that annoying subject continued with that. Being very arrogant, the man in the suit states he was already expecting that great refusal, guaranteeing he had a great backup plan prepared. In a presumptuous move, the playboy snaps his fingers, calling his several henchmen to come out of the crowd. Quickly, dozens of people hold up signs forcing the girl to accept the relationship in exchange for a fat monthly allowance. At that exact moment, the system screen shines, offering missions for the hero to ignore the scene or help his defenseless colleague. Finding the rewards funny, the charming student pulls some simple flowers from the garden, deciding to save the beautiful woman. With a very confident smile, the tycoon approaches the couple, warning that he would take the young woman's silence as a great yes. Being quite gallant, the rich young man offers the simple daisies, wanting to know if the girl accepted being his girlfriend there. The audience starts to laugh at that huge boldness, mocking the small, wilted flowers that showed no sincerity. Trying to humiliate our protagonist, the preppy guy tells him to go home and sleep, warning that conquering girls cost a lot. The gossiping people agree with the rich man, deducing that any normal person would choose the jewelry over the weeds. Ignoring the charming young man, the man in the suit insists that the beauty should give in to the luxuries, stopping resisting his love. Surprising everyone, the beautiful woman smiles relieved and accepts the wilted little plants, thanking him for the great gift. Completely incredulous, the rejected subject panics while the others thought the girl was going crazy. Very seductive, Jiang Cheng pulls his partner by the waist, praising her beautiful eyes, guaranteeing he had chosen those colors. Sweating from nervousness, the rival tries to force a smile, deducing that the hero was just an old friend wanting to cause jealousy. Keeping his class, the billionaire touches the loser's shoulder, advising him to act like a man and look for other fish in the sea. Full of fury, the rejected guy yells, telling the young master to disappear from there, swearing that a poor guy would never make the girl happy. The student counters the rich guy's provocation, questioning how the guy knew he couldn't support the beautiful girl there. With an arrogant smile, the preppy guy reveals the monthly value, demanding to know if a simple poor guy could afford all that. Wanting to humiliate our hero, the subject continues asking if he could buy luxury cars and very expensive jewelry. Ignoring the loser, the rich man asks if the young woman liked those luxury things, and the beautiful girl states it depended on who gives them. Being very seductive, the charming tycoon questions if the beauty would accept his luxuries, receiving a very positive response. Furious with that great theater, the rich guy takes out his cell phone, promising to give a lot of money if the rival left right away. Leading on his sports car, the loser mocks the student, doubting that the fake poor guy had an equal vehicle. Suddenly, a beautiful saleswoman approaches, warning that the young master had forgotten an item from his last purchase at the store. Acting very naturally, the billionaire agrees and asks the woman to put his luxury item in the vehicle right there next to them. Just then, the crowd is in shock, realizing that the car pointed out by the rich man was a model millions of times more valuable. Pressuring the defeated rival, the hero asks for his opinion about his super machine, leaving the preppy guy trembling. The protagonist holds his beautiful partner's hand, going away while the humiliated rich guy accepts the role of great clown. Once in a coffee shop, the boy apologizes for the confusion, and the girl states that the annoying subject was just the son of an acquaintance. With a very affectionate look, the beautiful woman thanks him for all the help, revealing that the hero was still as playful as before. Very surprised, the young master reflects aloud, asking if the beautiful goddess used to pay attention to him during the old classes. Eating a sweet, the beauty confesses that her family was always strict, feeling a lot of envy of the student's agitated group. Drinking a coffee, the billionaire warns that the beautiful woman was underestimating herself too much, for her great presence was undeniable. Being very humble, the girl denies being popular because few chased her, but the young man explains that everyone thought they were too ugly for her. With blushing cheeks, the stunning young woman leans on the table, wanting to know if the charming tycoon also felt that fear. To dodge the subject, the hero says he went to school just to study, but the woman quickly remembers an ex-girlfriend. Sweating cold, our protagonist confesses to having ended that small passing relationship that didn't even possess many luxuries. Sighing with love, the beautiful woman imagines going back in time to play together with the young man, increasing her loyalty points. Observing his partner, the young rich man notes that the girl didn't care much for his money, making her very difficult to conquer. At that exact moment, the system sends a purchase mission, suggesting the perfect gift for the billionaire to enchant the goddess. Without wasting time, the young gallant holds the woman's hand, pulling her to take a quick walk inside a fancy store. Feeling the young man's soft touch, the beauty boils with embarrassment, being totally without reaction to the loving attitude of her friend. Being well received by a manager, the rich man doesn't hesitate and tells the employee to fetch the best piece from that incredible poster. The saleswoman praises the student's refined taste, revealing that the valuable gold jewelry possessed rare diamonds in its structure. Turning to the side, the charming student questions if his adorable companion had liked that beautiful and shiny gift. Completely surprised, the beautiful young woman warns that her request for luxuries was a joke, but the tycoon states to be very serious about it. Thoughtful, the beautiful young woman states that they didn't have that much intimacy, but the tycoon guarantees it was just a small souvenir. Admiring the reflection in the mirror, the beautiful goddess finds herself wonderful while the charming student praises his partner. Decided, the young rich man orders everything to be wrapped up, while the employee warns that those treats would cost 1 million in total. Showing all his pride, the rich man inquires about that small obstacle, making the shocked shop assistant agree to the request. Completely shocked, the saleswomen feel a lot of envy, reflecting on how that charming billionaire was spending so much. Just then, the system screen shines and the young hero earns a great refund of 50 million, smiling happily at the profit. Once in front of a humble building, the beautiful girl explains that her family lost a lot of money, living there out of necessity. Being a great gentleman, the young man warns he doesn't need thanks, offering help to carry the bags. Very embarrassed, the beautiful goddess refuses the offer, stating that her mother was at home saying goodbye to a great friend. Entering the residence, the girl sighs in relief while the mother wrongly deduces that the rich guy had given those luxuries. Without patience, the beautiful young woman denies the confusion, stating she hadn't gone out with the preppy guy and denying liking the trash. With a very sad look, the matriarch remembers the huge debt they possessed, fearing that only marriage would pay for it. The old lady insists, saying she knew the enemy family, thinking that her beloved daughter would be safe with them. Hearing that, the brave girl counters, stating she could get a job, lamenting how that preppy guy was cruel. But the discouraged lady says that paying those millions would take a lifetime, guaranteeing the spoiled rich guy would change. Completely irritated, the girl tells the old lady to stop with the insistence, turning her back and going straight to the bedroom. Suddenly, the mother notices the valuable necklace on the young woman's neck, demanding to know what the true relationship between those two was there. Very blushing, the goddess turns her face, trying to hide, revealing that the charming tycoon was an old-class partner. Looking at the big bags, the mother gets scared, deducing that no one would give such luxury without some vibe between them before. Waving her hands, the girl refuses the dirty idea, guaranteeing that her school friend was too rich to care for anything. With great firmness, the woman faces her mother, swearing not to care one bit about fortunes, wanting sincere romance. Sighing with tiredness, the lady counters, stating that all that teenage love wouldn't put food on the poor table. Sad with the whole discussion, the beautiful woman tells her mother to shut up, taking her valuable bags, wanting just to sleep. Alone in the living room, the older woman laments her daughter's naivety, remembering having followed great love in life. The next day, our protagonist answers a call, hearing the affectionate voice of the little girl he saved in the past. Over the phone, the beautiful mature woman apologizes for the bother, inviting the young magnate to the little party for her beloved daughter. At that moment, the system screen reappears with a new mission, ordering the young master to play with the little child. Finding the rare reward excellent, the charming rich man agrees to go to the cheerful event, making the little girl sigh. On the beautiful afternoon, the hero meets the adorable duo, congratulating the child and suggesting buying many gifts. Very excited, the girl promises to obey while the beautiful mother cuts the idea, forbidding the billionaire from spending his fortune. Hugging the hero's leg, the little girl says she wants gifts only from him, deducing that her beautiful mother also loved the young man. Walking down the street, the child reveals that the matriarch kept talking about the magnate at home, leaving the beautiful woman dying of embarrassment. With a blushing face, the mature young woman tries to justify herself, warning that she only commented about the salvation of her little daughter. Smiling a lot, the charming student reassures the beauty, stating that everything was fine and that she didn't need to worry. At that moment, the excited billionaire pulls the little girl by the hand, calling the two to finally buy the beloved gifts. Staying behind, the stunning mother sighs in relief while she tried to calm her heart that was beating very fast with emotion. At the toy store, the beautiful group has a lot of fun, making the clients around them think they were a real family. The gossips at the location praise the couple's beauty, and one of them confesses to wanting to have children if she met a charming husband like that. By night, the woman thanks him for everything while our protagonist's father passed by on the street and saw his son holding the child. In shock, the old man deduces the little girl was 5 years old and fears that the young man had made a baby back in his school days. Just then, the scared father's mind creates romantic and very intense scenes of his beloved son lying next to that beautiful woman. But soon the man discards this terrible idea, remembering that in the past, the hero was innocent and only thought about watching cartoons. Being very creative, the old man imagines the beauty seducing his son, but soon discards it, noting the woman's elegant clothes. And then, an old business partner approaches the scared patriarch, wanting to know the reason for him still standing there. Looking in the same direction of the street, the rich man in the suit also gets a big scare upon seeing who is on the other side of the sidewalk. Quickly, the man walks to the stunning mother, calling her president and asking if she had come to enjoy the party. Listening to that powerful title, the charming student gets quite curious to try and understand what was happening there. Just then, our protagonist questions what his father was doing there, and the old man warns that he was only discussing important business. Maintaining his calm, the rich young man responds he was accompanying his beautiful partner on a night walk, and the father raises an eyebrow. Being very polite, the beautiful mature woman introduces herself to the patriarch, warning that she would love to visit the family's residence in the future. The hero's father widens his eyes, completely shocked, and sweats cold, deducing that things were too serious between the two. Seeing the beautiful couple go away, the patriarch clenches his fists, promising to do everything to end that absurd relationship. Suddenly, the old man in the suit holds the father's hands, guaranteeing the great project in his company for knowing the influential woman. With his heart beating fast, the sweaty patriarch is left without reaction and reflects, really wanting to know the true identity of that young woman. Returning home at night, the good mother welcomes the hero, warning she had arranged great blind dates with very rich girls. Taking off his shoes, the young master refuses the invitation right away, warning that no one went to that type of fake romantic event anymore. The matriarch crosses her arms, suspicious, demanding the truth, while the rich man reflects that if he told about his harem, he would get hit. Trying to escape the big confusion, our hero smiles and lies, claiming that huge subject was too complex. At that exact moment, the furious father gets up from the chair, yelling at the boy, warning he had thought about that problem all night long. Quite confused, the billionaire asks the meaning of that, and the old man questions if the son's partner didn't have a child. Maintaining his tranquility, the protagonist questions what the big problem would be if his beautiful partner had a daughter. Very worried, the old man advises his son, warning that such a relationship would only bring many headaches in the future. Sweating cold, the patriarch highlights the woman's wealth and mistakenly deduces that the student was being supported by her. Scratching his head, the young master perceives his father's confusion, noting that the old man was furious over a silly misunderstanding. Holding his mother's hands, the rich man asks them to calm down and sit on the couch, wanting to explain the whole situation. Gesturing calmly, the hero tells in detail about how he saved the poor little girl during his past trip. Laughing in relief, the mother confesses to having had a big scare while the patriarch apologizes for suspecting the good boy. Later, the news shows that the famous redhead actress got beaten a lot by an arrogant veteran during a recording. Lying in his bed, our hero reads the big gossip on the internet, discovering that his employee was suffering. On social media, several photos of the bruised young woman go viral while stupid people praise the aggressor without pity. The reading showed netizens calling the beautiful actress trash, wanting to gain fame on the back of the most famous star. Observing that, the billionaire quickly deduces that the aggression was intentional and the enemy was manipulating the whole media. Furious with the cowardice, Jiang Chen calls his loyal security guards, ordering them to destroy that rival's career. Shortly after, the beautiful redhead actress waits for her beloved boss on the street, praising the beauty of that sports car. Once inside the luxury vehicle, the seductive woman jokes about the heat of the moment, suggesting taking off her own clothes right there. Sweating from embarrassment, the beauty hides her daring, telling the hero to drive soon because she's going to pay for a very expensive dinner. In a very private restaurant, the two enjoy a delicious meal while the waiter serves several tasty meats. Drinking beer, the redhead goddess laments being so useless, confessing to be suffering a lot with the heavy insults on the network. Completely outraged, the woman slams the bottle on the table, feeling huge hatred for the tremendous injustice she was living. Maintaining his tranquility, the magnate eats a piece of meat and advises his partner to always retaliate against all aggressions. Wiping away tears, the beautiful employee thanks him for the support, warning that the magic team was already taking care of the fake gossip. Being protective, the boy questions the reason for her still accepting small roles since she now belonged to a rich agency. Just then, the guard sends a message reporting having leaked all the serious dirt on the arrogant actress to the worst haters. Reading the report, the ruthless hero orders them to spend fortunes to sink that trash's reputation all at once. Wanting to take care of his friend, the charming student holds the woman's arm, asking affectionately for her to drink much less. Completely drunk, the redhead asks not to be stopped, confessing that she only had the courage to act like that in his presence. Hours later, the young master carries the sleeping partner to the room while she muttered, asking for even more drink. Falling into bed, the rich protagonist is surprised when the woman pulls him with everything, inventing an excuse for the moment. Being very clever, the gallant pretends to have a headache, asking mockingly what the naughty woman was trying to do there. Very embarrassed, the stunning goddess mutters low, swearing not to remember absolutely anything that had happened. At that moment, the actress warns about the rich man's wandering hand while reflecting, amazed, on the beautiful body of her great boss. Completely blushing, the redhead holds her own blouse, reflecting that she had drunk too much and lost control of her actions. Lying about the strong headache, the beautiful young woman decides to leave and tells her beloved boss to sleep alone in the room. In front of the mirror, the employee washes her face, noting it was the first time so close to a man and feeling a lot of desire. The next day, the stunning employee eats her breakfast, getting a big scare when reading the cell phone screen. Very confused, the woman questions the hero, wanting to know how the rival's dirt leaked quickly overnight. Eating a snack, the redhead goddess swallows dry and asks if her beloved boss was behind that whole confusion. Drinking a little tea, the young master confirms the big suspicion, stating that their agency possessed very strong support. Completely in love, the actress imagines ways to repay the huge help, realizing that the old company would never do something like that. With a radiant smile, the beautiful woman thanks him, swearing to act perfectly to render a lot of money to the charming magnate. To her surprise, Jiang Cheng warns that scandal was little, one increased the intensity to destroy the enemy. Getting embarrassed, the talented woman thinks of the huge expense the hero was making just to avenge her honor there. With her heart beating fast, the stunning employee sweats cold, noting that the boy's financial power was scary. Laughing, the rich man jokes that the girl seemed to be the real big prey, making the partner ask him to stop with the jokes. Being mischievous, the protagonist rests his face on his hand, questioning the reason for her getting so anxious with that great possibility. Very blushing, the redhead questions how the boss could speak such nonsense so seriously, and the billionaire says having a lot of nerve was enough. Changing the scene, we see the bosses of the rival company gathered in despair, questioning the absurd drop in followers on the networks. Crying fake tears, the arrogant actress tries to blame other girls while her assistant blames some jealous enemy agency. Very suspicious, the man in the suit demands to know the real reason for the cowardly aggression, suspecting the actress who got beaten the other day. Playing the victim, the nasty woman refuses the idea, calling our dear heroine an insignificant artist with no power. Just then, the assistant defends the cowardice, claiming it to be acting and guaranteeing that all the controversy would serve as marketing for the film. Sighing, the old rich man warns he had bought other guidelines to cover up the case, ordering the stupid actress to be much more careful. At that exact moment, a henchman whispers in the leader's ear, revealing that the great owner of the rival agency offered millions. Upon listening to the absurd value, the rich president gets up from the table, completely paralyzed and in shock with so much money like that. The man in the suit points his finger at the artist's face, wanting to know what the size of the horn was that she put on that guy. Sweating from desperation, the disgusting woman reflects on having been with many powerful men, failing to remember our hero. Full of anger, the old man demands a quick answer while the assistant quickly notes that the grave error involved the young redhead. The spy reads the cell phone screen, reporting all the support given to the redhead, making the boss offend his actress for being a liar. Crying, the girl admits the grave error, assuming that she hid on purpose just for having been humiliated in the past by the girl. Desperate, the coward begs for help, and the boss sweats cold, calculating the immense losses he would pay to the sponsors. To retaliate, the man in the suit orders the company to launch a great statement offering $25 million to protect the girl. Crying, the actress thanks him, but the old man warns that if she erred again, the agency would abandon her for causing so many losses. On a call, the beautiful blonde partner warns the student that the enemy agency decided to spend $25 million in the dispute. Drinking a coffee, the hero asks the ally to increase the budget to $100 million, promising to spend much more if needed. Completely shocked, the two beautiful women can barely believe that huge amount of money said by the billionaire. Over the phone, the blonde explains that the rivals just wanted to keep their cool, arguing that $100 million would be an exaggerated expense. The magnate denies the exaggeration, reflecting that entering the business world with everything would draw a lot of attention to his new agency. Being very calculating, the young master plans to use that confusion for all the rich guys to remember his great name in the future. Smiling, the blonde accepts the order, feeling a little envy for seeing the boss spend all that huge fortune for another woman. At the nightclub, the onlookers are shocked by the news, trying to discover who that mysterious young owner of that newcomer company was. Suddenly, one of the rich guys listens to that familiar name, while the girl next to him questions if he knew the powerful rich man. Recalling the great auction, the guy warns that our protagonist went around spending insane fortunes on very random things. Sweating cold, the blonde subject reflects on that dangerous teenager, noting that the hero was really a very cruel man. Curious, a friend asks if the actress defended with some girlfriend, but the preppy guy denies it, reporting she was just an employee. Giving an excited smile, the guy in the suit asks to set up a great party, wanting to get close to the mysterious young man. On the same night, the rival executives meet, alleging the value is too high and suggesting just abandoning the famous actress. A man with glasses decides to collect all the contract breaches, warning that the broke goddess would have to make adult films now. Without mercy, the old president complains about the constant crying, remembering that she didn't shed tears while she attacked the innocent ones. Crying from desperation, the woman begs not to be fired, promising to kneel and beg for forgiveness from the rich man. The old man warns that kneeling was the minimum to be done, ordering the henchman to find the billionaire's contact as fast as possible. The other day, the couple of old people thank him for a great agreement closed, offering to buy a luxury car for the good son. Arriving at the fancy store, the excited patriarch orders him to choose any model, being interrupted by the arrival of a saleswoman. Confused with that good service, the father gets quite indignant, thinking the employees were stupid for not focusing on him there. Laughing at the situation, the charming magnate hugs the old man's neck, revealing he had prepared an early birthday surprise. Very kind, the beautiful manager extends her hand, congratulating the small family on the new purchase while the beautiful car was revealed. With the canvas being pulled, the black vehicle emerges, shining a lot and leaving the old father completely crazy with so much beauty. With jealousy, the sweet matriarch jokes, calling the hero spoiled, complaining about him remembering only the old man at the time of the gifts. Running his hand on the roof, the man smiles, very excited, praising the immense power of the new toy he had just won. Observing the great joy, Jiang Cheng prefers to hide that he possessed better machines, focused on taking the cars to his house. Perceiving that great family mood, the stunning manager takes a photo camera to record that incredible moment. The beautiful family photo shows our hero smiling, hugged with his mother and his old father who held the car keys. Over the cell phone, the beautiful partner warns that she would return to Shanghai earlier, and the student communicates to his father about his trip tomorrow. Very disappointed, the old man questions the boy's haste, lamenting not being able to take a ride with his new sports car. But the wise matriarch defends the boy, remembering that he was an adult, and the patriarch agrees that the wife was always right. Observing the scene, our protagonist reflects, amused on how his kind mother kept commanding everything in that family. Already the next day, the stunning goddess arrives at the airport, carrying very heavy luggage while passing through security. Suddenly, the girl lets out a startled moan when someone bumps into her back with everything in the middle of that huge crowd. Looking back, the beautiful young woman is completely surprised to see the face of the charming magnate asking what he was doing there. Being very seductive, the rich young man claims not to bear staying away from the woman, revealing to have decided to travel along with her today. With blushing cheeks, the beautiful young woman questions if the hero was going to work while her loyalty points went up. The billionaire confirms the business trip, noting happily that the partner already possessed a high girlfriend score in the system. Just then, the beauty finds the young man's fixed look strange, and the gallant responds directly, being that he was admiring all her beauty. Dying of embarrassment, the young woman with long hair turns her face, telling her friend to walk fast so they didn't miss the flight. Already inside the luxury plane, our hero notes his partner trembling quite a bit in the seat and asks if there was something wrong. Trying to hide, the beautiful young woman confesses to have a lot of fear of flying, and the protective student holds firmly onto the poor girl's hand. Feeling the heat of that touch, the shy goddess blushes strongly, thanking him for the huge affection of her attentive companion. Without losing that great chance, the charming young master pulls the beautiful woman's face, starting a romantic and passionate kiss. Completely surrendered, the beauty closes her eyes and corresponds to the affection, wrapping her arms around the strong body of the great millionaire. But the hot mood is broken when a flight attendant offers hot towels, making the couple separate in the biggest scare in the world. Boiling with embarrassment, the young woman fears that other people have seen the scene, while the daring rich man says that kissing wasn't a crime. Avoiding more contact, the girl leans her head on the hero's shoulder, warning that she would sleep a little to cure the dizziness. Hours later at the airport, the magnate offers a ride, but the young woman refuses, stating that his house was too far from there. Observing the charming young man, the goddess reflects internally that their relationship wasn't ready to advance yet. Getting into the taxi, the young woman says goodbye, and our protagonist tells her to send a message on her cell phone as soon as she arrived well. With his hands in his pockets, the student deduces to have scared the young woman on the plane, realizing it was better to take things slowly. Arriving at his mansion, the beautiful manager welcomes him, asking if he would eat, but the exhausted young man prefers to take a beautiful shower. Being very formal, the employee agrees, thinking that her great boss was acting coldly after all those days. In the shower area, the manager thought the romance had ended until the daring rich man asked her to scrub his back. Without hesitating, the stunning employee starts taking off her uniform, revealing her wonderful body in the middle of the smoke. With a seductive look, the beautiful woman confesses to be crazy about the young man, accepting to receive any affection from that rich scoundrel. Calling his adorable manager, the hero pulls her close, feeling all the soft skin of that beautiful goddess inside the water. Surrendering to the kisses, the beautiful woman confesses that the last days alone at home were very difficult to endure. Gasping, the mature young woman yields to the rich man's daring touches, demonstrating all the longing she kept during the long week. Being seductive, the young master questions his partner's haste, while she suggests the young man eat after such a long trip. Hearing that, the charming magnate carries the beauty in his lap, asking if his great vigor showed any weakness there. Dying of embarrassment, the blushing employee tries to explain herself and apologizes, feeling the strong hug of her beloved boss. Falling into the soft bed, the wonderful manager lets out a long sigh, preparing herself for a night of a lot of romance. Already the next day, the stunning woman wakes up desperate, noting she overslept and fearing being seen by colleagues. Fixing her clothes, the woman boils with embarrassment, remembering that the tireless protagonist enjoyed the romance the whole night. Hugging his goddess, the hero tells her to relax, but the dedicated employee warns that she needed to organize his lunch soon. Using his charm, the student states that her duty was to serve him, and the client only wished to sleep hugged with the young woman. Very shy, the young woman fears gossip at work, and the young man guarantees he didn't care about that because sleeping with his woman was normal. The manager's heart beats strong with the declaration, wanting to know if she could finally be considered the official girlfriend. Giving a confident smile, the billionaire states that the coveted title depended only on his beautiful partner's will. Being sincere, the hero warns that as long as the goddess wanted to stay by his side, she would have his love, leaving the beauty surprised. Completely melted, the mature young woman ignores the boy's reputation as a scoundrel and asks if he liked her at least a little bit. With an affectionate look, Jiang Cheng kisses the beautiful partner, guaranteeing that he would never hug her if he didn't feel true affection. Aware of the other girls, the woman asks only for the young man not to bring anyone along with her, and the rich man agrees right away. At that moment, the radio plays, warning that the great client's luxury car had arrived, breaking the whole romantic mood. Adjusting her blouse, the beautiful manager asks the magnate to get up soon to unload the new vehicle in front of the hotel. Already outside, the attentive delivery employee asks the young master to sign the papers confirming the transaction. Opening the container, the workers are completely shocked to see the incredible machine shining in the middle of everyone. The curious ones drool over the famous super-fast Porsche, deducing that the owner of that spaceship needed to be a filthy rich man. Far from there, the hotel president tries to get to work, complaining about the stopped traffic, demanding to know the reason for the confusion. Through the window, the manager explains that the young student was unloading his vehicle, promising to clean everything very fast. Without patience, the old man in the suit screams, ordering to take the spaceship out of the front, caring very little about who the automobile's owner was. Sweating cold, the cowardly employee walks up to our protagonist, remembering the orders to treat the boy like a great king. Sitting in the driver's seat, the charming rich man notes the nervous man and asks calmly if there was any problem there. Observing from afar, the furious president gets a big scare when recognizing the hero, blaming his lackey for not having warned him before. Quickly, the businessman opens a big fake smile, inventing that he was just admiring the billionaire's machine. The hotel manager approaches and asks politely if our protagonist was needing anything there. Just then, the rich young man asks for a license plate from the region, warning he wanted a very special and exclusive model. Quickly, the old man in the suit remembers a client who won a beautiful license plate at an auction, promising to talk to her. Relaxing in the driver's seat, the magnate agrees with the idea, deducing that an auction item should be of high quality. 1 hour later, the manager calls the hero's cell phone, giving the address of a fancy restaurant for the great meeting. Arriving at the location, the billionaire finds it strange that the man was alone, and the old man explains that the mysterious woman was already waiting for them. Suddenly, a stunning beauty approaches the table, leaving the student impressed with that wonderful woman. Reading the system screen, the boy analyzes the goddess's perfect attributes, noting she possessed unshakable loyalty. Observing the data, the young master reflects, surprised that the beautiful girl was extremely loyal even without romantic ties. Being very polite, the man in the suit greets the beautiful manager, but ends up being completely ignored by her. Leaning on the table, the woman with long hair smiles seductively and calls the hero president, leaving him quite confused. The old partner is in shock with the intimacy of the two, while the protagonist tries to understand what was happening there. Giving a provocative smile, the wonderful young woman asks if the rich man had forgotten his own investment agency. Pulling into his memory, the boy remembers that the system placed the beautiful woman in the position of main manager of his great company. Making a charming pout, the goddess complains about the boy's attitude, pretending to be sad for having been forgotten by him. Being daring, the magnate gives a naughty slap on the woman's curves, justifying himself by saying he trusted fully in her great work. Sweating cold, the old manager doesn't believe the scene, reflecting that the woman was known as the ice queen of the market. The scared partner remembers that the talented young woman was a true genius, commanding millions in funds with great ease. Observing the couple, the old man in the suit concludes that the young student was scary for having so much power in his hands. Laughing at the great coincidence, the manager thinks it's funny trying to introduce the beautiful woman to her own boss. Raising his glass of wine, the old man praises the billionaire's incredible success, predicting a legendary future for the boy. Drinking together with him, our hero asks the old friend to relax and enjoy that delicious meal at the table. Just then, the stunning manager runs her hand through her hair and asks if the boss had read the reports she sent before. The boy hides the fact, remembering that he spent the night enjoying himself, but praises the 20 million in profits that the young woman generated. Being ironic, the goddess smiles, agreeing while she thought irritated that the lazy magnate didn't care at all about the business. Changing the subject, the charming student questions if she was the owner of the famous 5 million plate mentioned by the friend. Drinking his wine, the old partner smiles, relaxed, warning that he didn't need to make any introduction there anymore. The beautiful woman accepts passing the item to the boss while the hero touches her legs, promising to visit the company in the future. Completely blushing with the daring touch, the beautiful woman warns she would be anxiously waiting for the young master's visit. Later, the billionaire answers the cell phone, receiving the invitation from a good friend to visit a super-exclusive art gallery. 2 hours later, our hero arrives in front of the great mansion, finding his old partners waiting for him there. Observing the luxury machine, the friend in the brown jacket praises the beautiful plate, warning it combined very well with the boss. Leaning on his beautiful vehicle, the charming student confesses to having won that beautiful gift from a mysterious beauty. Laughing at the situation, the partner suggests the boy use his gift with women to get a discount with the lady there. At that moment, the guy in the gray shirt agrees, saying the great collector seemed to be young but already possessed a child. Evaluating the scenario, Jiang Cheng jokes that the situation would be difficult while the friend asked him to show his arts. Laughing, the protagonist admits to having a very weak stomach, needing to be supported by some filthy rich woman. Cutting the jokes, the young blonde guy calls the small group to enter, combining that the biggest spender would pay for the drinks. Walking through the yard, the gray-haired boy remembers that the owner was the biggest jewelry expert, rooting for rare editions. Arriving at the huge door, the polite butler welcomes the visitors, warning that his great lady was already on her way. Once inside the sophisticated reception room, the guests settle on the couch while a maid served a delicious tea. Being very attentive, the butler shows a luxury piece on his computer, exalting the stunning beauty of that machine. Very thoughtful, the charming magnate admires all those options, reflecting that all the items were of an absurd quality. Excited, the blonde friend questions the partner's choices, deducing that the very expensive watch would be a magnet for beautiful girls. Relaxed on the couch, the gray-haired guy agrees, predicting a beautiful package for his friend if he walked with the piece. Being serious, the blonde rich man reprimands the jokes, claiming to use the valuable items only to check the time. Hearing everything, the young master suggests keeping the extravagant accessory, wanting to know if the blonde rich man desired another jewelry. Giving a beautiful laugh, the blonde partner confesses to being very interested in an exclusive model that wasn't for sale. Drinking his drink, the other friend is impressed, realizing that the protagonist evaluated only the 10 million items. Giving a sharp smile, the blonde companion accuses the hero of wanting to buy the most perfect jewelry just to draw attention. Being curious, the guy in the gray shirt asks the reason for the blockage, and the old butler explains it was from the landlady's collection. Admiring the jewelry on the shiny screen, the young master is left amazed by the mysterious air of the object, coveting more and more. Trying to cheer up the mood, the friend guarantees that soon they would return there, giving a new chance for the hero to try his luck. Suddenly, a wonderful woman wearing very provocative and tight clothing walks down the extensive corridor of the mansion. Immediately, the experienced butler curves his body, demonstrating a lot of respect for the owner of all that luxury empire. Being kind, the stunning woman apologizes for the huge delay in traffic, hoping the clients had liked it. Quickly, the friends flatter the gallery owner, praising the unsurpassable beauty of that goddess and calling her old sister. At that exact moment, Jiang Cheng freezes, completely shocked upon recognizing the mysterious owner of that great business. Looking at the boy, the incredible beauty is left totally confused, questioning the reason for the dear magnate being in that place. Observing the strange tension in the air, the observant blonde suspects that the two already possessed a great history well hidden. The charming protagonist smiles, confessing not to know the place was hers while the woman asks what he was doing in the city. With tranquility, the hero warns he was bored and the manager laments not having traveled together after so much longing for the friend. Observing the intimacy, the partner in the gray shirt is left totally shocked, deducing that the two were already old acquaintances. Returning to business, the beautiful businesswoman comments on the desired jewelry, but the boy warns that the coveted item wasn't for sale. Giving a beautiful blushing smile, the charming woman states that the student's desire was the only thing that mattered there. Being very generous, the rich woman orders the old butler to fetch the valuable luxury piece to give as a gift to the coveted young man. Upon hearing that, the magnate's partners are left jaw-dropped, not believing he would win a fortune like that for free. Envious, the gray-shirted guy complains about the requirements charged by the woman while the spoiled hero received everything with much ease. Approaching seductively, the beauty states that the boy was special and could keep everything he desired in the store. The shocking revelation leaves the companions perplexed, reflecting that the huge collection of the location was worth more than 1 billion. Just then, the experienced employee warns the exact name of the expensive brand watch to the landlady, who agrees very thoughtfully. The woman warns she would fetch the item, but the young master refuses, demanding to pay the market value or he wouldn't accept the gift. Half confused, the manager questions the sudden formality, and Jiang Cheng guarantees it was impossible to take something so valuable for free. Accepting the beautiful payment, the businesswoman decides to help the boy in the future and invites him to look at other more exclusive collections. Totally curious, the friends beg to see the items, breaking the biggest rules of etiquette among the great collectors. Giving a beautiful wink, the stunning queen of the area ignores the protocols and invites all the guys to follow ahead. Relieved, the blonde partner reflects happily that the landlady wasn't offended, freeing the group for the important private tour. Soon, the beautiful owner runs her fingers on a super technological lock, using her beautiful eyes in an advanced security reading. The huge metal gate opens, releasing the passage to the mysterious area of treasures under the command of the powerful woman. The guy in the gray shirt is left impressed, noting that the level of protection of the place was comparable to that of a huge bank. Going down the stairs, the manager warns the curious visitors not to mind the brutes because it was a standard procedure. Arriving in a huge luxury hall, the hostess displays all her exclusive machines, freeing the group to walk freely. Observing everything, the blonde guy is left shocked with the wealth of the location, exalting the incredible rarity of those unique models in the world. Drooling at the showcases, the partners find the treasures used in famous films, admiring the good taste of each expensive piece. Being seductive, the billionaire tries to please the protagonist, offering the new accessories, but the charming young man refuses with education. Pondering a little, the businesswoman plans to deliver the reward on the rich man's birthday, avoiding drawing the attention of other people. Half an hour later, the gray-clad companion thanks for the grand visit, but the hero gives a scolding, ordering him to hunt for a girlfriend. Completely embarrassed, the boy denies that absurd gossip, waving his hands and pretending not to like that type of talk. Resuming the gossip, the blonde young man insinuates a love affair with the mature manager, but the protagonist warns having just met her. Envious, the colleague concludes, shocked that the rich goddess was already in love with the beautiful billionaire, coveting all the partners' luck. The young student warns that the friends were thinking too much, justifying that only the small daughter of that woman liked him. Laughing, the partner accuses the boy of not sparing even the little girls, and the furious protagonist orders all of them to go graze. Bringing the valuable jewelry, the woman charges 23 million and the magnate asks for help to put it on his wrist, promising to pay everything. With a lot of affection, the beautiful manager adjusts the accessory on the client's arm, who praises the soft touch, claiming it had become perfect. Completely melted, the beautiful goddess displays a look full of affection and care while she tittied the billionaire's shirt sleeve. Observing the hot mood, the partners are left astonished with the submissiveness of the feared owner, praising the skills of our hero. Raising the cell phone, the young master confirms the money transfer, saying goodbye to the rich woman while walking out of the location. Already outside, the rascal in the gray shirt remembers the bet, warning that the spender of the night would pay for all their partying. The hero receives a bonus in the system, asking the partners to choose the destination, and one of them suggests a bathhouse. Being very mischievous, the blonde friend guarantees that the place was full of naughtiness, and the protagonist agrees, wanting a good massage. The other colleague agrees, feeling pain in his whole body, and the charming leader of the group gets in the car, ordering everyone to follow him. Arriving at the luxury nightclub, a very well-dressed manager welcomes the guests, introducing his most beautiful employees. Very excited, the blonde pushes his dear friend to the front, warning that the rich man would have the great honor of choosing the first one. The manager asks for our hero to make his selection, but the boy uses the system, noting that all the girls were not very trustworthy. Reading the digital screen, the observant magnate notices that only one girl with short hair possessed a much lower score. Without losing much time, the direct and charming young man points his finger at the girl with bluish hair, choosing her to accompany him. Taking a big scare, the cowardly beauty obeys her boss's severe order, preparing herself to serve the coveted client. Quickly, the blonde-haired boy also grabs his partner, inviting the small group to eat something before the action. Everyone has fun with the girls pampering the clients, and the hero finds the tension of his chosen one strange, ordering her to relax and eat. Suddenly, the magnate's cell phone rings, receiving the invitation from a beautiful pink-haired girl, asking full of longing if she could visit the young master today. Using a flimsy excuse, the magnate invents a business dinner, and the partner jokes, asking if it was the girlfriend keeping watch. Soon another woman calls, calling the protagonist husband, jealous of the busy line, and the scoundrel lies, saying it was a client. Over the phone, the blonde executive wishes to see her beloved, and the scoundrel tells her to take a good shower, promising to go to the company tomorrow. Seeing the whole scene, the friends note that the rich man spoke to someone else, proposing a bet to see how many more would call. Ignoring the countless calls, the billionaire decides to put his device aside, preferring to enjoy the partying with friends. Shocked by that attitude, the brown-shirted colleague thinks, indignant that their powerful leader was a scoundrel without a heart. Drinking his glass, the other henchman agrees in silence, envying the student's supreme ability to manage his time. Hugged with his partner, the blonde man warns the young man to be very careful with excesses, ordering him to preserve his body. Giving a daring slap on the companion's curves, the blonde warns that physical performance dropped brutally with sad old age. Eating his chicken, the colleague complains that age was weighing, confessing to managing to enjoy few times a month with the young women. Laughing a lot, the partner warns him not to be sad, promising to send a truck of pills to heal his health. Changing the subject, the blonde questions the reason for the billionaire having spent fortunes to ruin the young actress's career. Shocked by the rumor, our hero wonders how that spread, guaranteeing he never even met that famous girl. Understanding everything, the partner deduces that the young woman must have offended some girlfriend of the magnate for him to spend so much money. Drinking his drink, the protagonist denies the theory, while the colleague praises the young master for spending so much on women. Excited, the blonde friend warns the companion to enjoy her luck, ordering the young woman to think well about how to serve the rich man. 20 minutes later, the young man notices the girl trembling in the luxury room, calling the cowardly one to take a shower first. Taking off his blouse, the charming student displays his muscular body, while the beautiful young woman turned on the hot water faucet. Observing the boy's body, the shy woman is left impressed with the size of that beast, fearing not to endure the pull. Just then, the wonderful client calls the young woman's attention, asking the reason for her being stopped, looking at him in the shower. Creating courage, the employee confesses to needing the money very much to pay the medical bills of her sick and old grandmother. Being daring, the scoundrel praises the girl's great effort while he held the soft curves of that adorable employee. Starting the shower, the student guarantees he would treat her very well, starting a very romantic kiss on that needy goddess. Already the next day, the young woman wakes up alone in the big soft bed, wondering if her beloved client had already gone away. Observing the edge of the bed, the young woman finds a beautiful note together with a valuable bank card with a lot of saved money. Very moved by the huge affection and help of the hero, the beautiful girl cries with joy, hugging that saving gift. Far from there, the billionaire speaks on the phone, warning the secretary he had already taken the elevator, feeling a bit tired today. Suddenly, a woman full of style wearing beautiful dark glasses appears behind the boy, calling him by his great title. Recognizing the friend, the young man questions her delay, and the woman jokes that she ran from journalists to avoid many gossip. Giving a beautiful laugh, the excited hero thinks everything is a huge exaggeration, questioning if the girl had become so famous. Celebrating a lot, the beauty thanks for the huge sponsorship of the boss, revealing that her career went up in a brilliant way. Walking through the corridors, the model flirts with the boss, who responds by telling her to look for him when she felt longing. Arriving on the huge floor, the wonderful blonde secretary welcomes the student, curious about the presence of the other girl with him. Being direct, the billionaire warns having met the employee on the way, and the blonde agrees, taking the magnate to the office. Taking advantage of the ride, the redhead model says goodbye to both, warning the blonde to ask her for help if she needed anything. The other employees of the location drool at the beautiful boy, coveting that strong man, thinking he was a new hire. Entering the beautiful office, the young boss praises the whole decoration of the environment, noting the huge care in those expensive works. Very happy with the beautiful compliment, the charming blonde prepares a drink, serving a hot glass to warm the rich man. Tasting the mixture, the boy praises the taste of the drink, but jokes that the current youth love to drink tea with a lot of milk. Very willing, the blonde warns she had many stores in the area, offering to send someone to fetch the snack for the boss. The daring magnate pulls the beautiful blonde to his lap, stating he didn't need to leave there to drink something very tasty. After a long time, the redhead model enters the office, wanting to know how the business went while the blonde fixed her skirt. Very blushing, the stunning secretary hides, saying it was almost over and needed to fetch more documents there. Just then, the attentive actress notes that the partner's lipstick had disappeared, but the young woman invents that she drank tea with the great boss. Being mischievous, the model approaches, wiping the blonde's face, wanting to know what type of strange tea they took. Dying of embarrassment, the beautiful manager flees the situation, inventing she needed to touch up her makeup now. Observing the colleagues escape, the seductive redhead wonders internally the reason for so much desperation from that beautiful woman. Rubbing her fingers, the famous star finds the texture of the white liquid strange, deducing it didn't seem like a common drink. Feeling the familiar smell, the curious beauty tries to guess what the secretary and the charming student were doing there. Giving a beautiful smile, the woman opens the office door, asking permission to enter and keep the billionaire company. The young master tells her to feel at home, while the actress praised all that luxury worthy of a very powerful man. Drinking her tea, the charming protagonist provokes the girl, inviting the woman to enjoy all that wealth with him. Soon, the daring artist approaches from behind, offering a good message she learned during her famous recordings. Closing his eyes, the student praises the partner's skill, asking only for her to put a little more force. Leaning on the rich man, the redhead increases the pressure, pleasing the boss, who sighs with relief with that great affection. Suddenly, the famous model sighs, a bit disappointed upon noting that the young master had fallen asleep for real there. Returning to the office, the blonde manager finds the silence strange, asking for the redhead partner to wake the sleeper. Shaking the hero's shoulders, the beautiful actress warns Lo that her great assistant had returned with the papers. Waking up half confused, the magnate hears the secretary charging more willingness from him because they had many things to see. Being very polite, the charming actress says goodbye to both, claiming she didn't want to disturb the pair's business. Walking out, the redhead reflects on the assistant's seriousness, feeling a bit silly for having suspected her. Hours later, the work ends and the beautiful blonde questions if the hero was tired because of the other girlfriends. Being daring, the scoundrel holds firmly onto the partner's waist, threatening to give a beautiful punishment to her for saying those things. Giving a beautiful smile, the woman confesses to be just joking but demands to know how many other companions he possessed. The boy responds calmly that there existed only two, and the curious young woman with blonde hair asks if he knew them. Relaxed in the chair, the rich man cites the famous manager of that fancy hotel and another beautiful online content creator. Hugging his neck, the blonde feels jealousy, but the hero guarantees that she would always be the most special in his life. Melted with the beautiful declaration, the manager accepts sharing the young man, wanting to know if he would endure dealing with the three. Accepting the great challenge, the young master pulls the woman with everything, suggesting doing a new test of his huge vigor. Commenting on being tired, the seductive beauty provokes, wanting to suck all the boy's energy so he wouldn't run away at night. 4 hours later, the young master appears in his car, very exhausted for spending so much energy, deciding to stop to eat something. Parking on the street, the magnate asks the friendly seller if he could leave the machine there, and the old man agrees without problems. With a lot of hunger, the hero asks for 10 skewers and 20 portions of oysters while the excited cook prepared everything on the grill. Observing the scene, the old gossips note the exaggerated order, deducing that the rich boy needed to replenish his forces. Laughing at the situation, one of the men confesses to envy all that immense vigor, lamenting not having so much energy to spend anymore. Suddenly, the humble merchant gets in shock, warning in despair that some driver just hit the boss's car. Drinking his soda, the calm student asks the old man not to worry about that, wanting to know only about his food. Completely shocked, the old men conclude that the boy was filthy rich for ignoring the hit, focusing only on the skewers. At that moment, a very stylish young man approaches half awkwardly while the seller points, revealing who the owner of the spaceship was. Joining his hands, the culprit asks for apologies for the huge damage, explaining that he needed to dodge a dog in the middle of the street. Savoring the delicious meat, the protagonist warns that safety was the most important, deciding to evaluate the damages later. Observing the two luxury machines hit, the young master doesn't care much for the destruction and the other rich guy decides to call. Observing the culprit's great calm, our billionaire reflects that the mysterious young man must possess a very powerful origin. Hanging up the phone, the boy warns having called for help, lamenting the damage to the beautiful vehicle, and the hero invites him to eat. Accepting the generous invitation, the friendly newcomer sits at the humble table, calling his savior who had just arrived there. Arriving at the location, the platinum hair complains about the driver's bad driving, questioning the reason for not using the insurance. The pilot justifies having taken the machine from his sister secretly, and our magnate recognizes the new arrival, being left impressed. Being very polite, the driver introduces the calm student, warning he was the great victim of that terrible collision. Shaking the famous rich man's hand, Jiang Cheng receives compliments for his good attitude of eating skewers after losing a luxury car. The protagonist minimizes the problem and the pilot warns that his men would take care of everything, promising to pay for a good drink. Saying goodbye in a friendly way, the charming platinum guy asks if the young master was needing a ride now. Jiang Cheng refuses, stating that his ride was already on the way, and the rich guy praises the gallant posture of the student. At that moment, a beautiful manager appears, warning that the car was ready, and the billionaire questions the employee's delay. Displaying her beautiful curves, the seductive woman guarantees not wanting to disturb the meal, confessing to have arrived just now. Hugging the girl, the scoundrel praises the wonderful perfume, and the goddess explains being a fragrance very famous for being addictive. Getting closer to her neck, the daring magnate whispers, wanting to know what he would do if he got addicted to the smell. Maintaining the seductive mood, the partner confesses that that was the goal, being very happy for having provoked the boy. Eating in the background, the old gossips feel a lot of envy seeing the boy recharge his energies and already jump to another. Already inside the new vehicle, the tireless hero attacks his beautiful employee who remembers the agreement that they made earlier. Ignoring the rules, the daring billionaire continues his party, having a lot of fun in the back seat with the manager. The poor driver drives sweating cold and dying of embarrassment, hearing all the hot noises coming from the back seat of the vehicle. The next day, the beautiful woman feeds her boss, while the hero reflects that a common man would already be broken with tiredness. At that moment, the magnate's cell phone rings, receiving the invitation from an old friend to have lunch, and the young man accepts to pick her up soon. Being very affectionate, the scoundrel kisses the blonde goodbye, praising the delicious breakfast that helped him recover. Arriving at the huge mall, the young woman in the white top suggests going straight to the restaurant to wait for the food, playing with conversation. However, the billionaire tries to please his partner, offering luxury bags, and the girl refuses, stating not wanting anything bought. Using his great charm, the protagonist tells the young woman to relax, justifying that giving expensive gifts was very normal for him. Half worried, the beautiful goddess reflects that the rich student's gifts cost real fortunes, being too expensive. Holding the woman's hand, the young master suggests that she try on new brand name clothes, and the girl accepts, very embarrassed. Very excited with the beautiful clothes, the rich guy calls the store attendant, ordering her to bring many more exclusive pieces. Getting angry, the modest partner begs for the hero to stop with that waste, threatening to leave if he continued there. Upset, the boy gives up trying to activate his millionaire refund card, realizing that the items were too cheap. Yielding to the requests, the understanding magnate hands the bag to the cashier employee, paying for everything without making much ceremony. Going up the escalators, the leader of the outing decides to take his companion to a famous restaurant, and the woman agrees, smiling. Arriving at the huge location, the student recognizes a familiar girl, realizing to be the small idol recording a video there alone. The pink-haired girl freezes completely upon seeing the charming sponsor accompanied by an absurdly wonderful woman. Observing the strange mood, the friend in the white top asks if he knew the influencer, and the boy fears being unmasked there. Maintaining great calm, the billionaire approaches the famous young woman, feigning a lot of surprise with that coincidence of fate. Resting his hands on the table, the scoundrel asks in a friendly way if the beautiful woman was really broadcasting her huge meal. Dying of embarrassment, the famous idol apologizes to the internet public, ending the recording in the biggest despair in the world. As soon as the camera turns off, the pink one questions directly if that beautiful woman next to the billionaire was his girlfriend. Being very polite, the beautiful content creator introduces herself formally to the woman, warning to be a great friend of the rich guy. Observing the looks, the mature goddess feels a little jealous, but decides not to think too much to avoid misunderstandings there. Being very kind, the beautiful companion returns the education, holding the famous artist's hand while she spoke her beautiful name. Giving a mischievous smile, the scoundrel of the protagonist finds the scene of those two goddesses meeting something very interesting. Inviting the couple to sit, the needy young woman earns a beautiful refusal from the magnate, who jokes about not having much food for everyone. Insisting, the influencer suggests ordering more dishes for the table, praising the beauty of the top girl who is left embarrassed. The influencer reveals not having many friends for working too much, and begs the pair of lovebirds to sit and keep her company. Happy for managing to win the battle, the girl with pink hair raises her hand, calling the employee to bring more food. Totally lost, the companion in the white top looks at the hero, asking for help, and the young man accepts the daring invitation of the artist. Observing the beautiful accessory, the girl with pink hair praises the rich guy's watch, asking if that unique piece was very expensive. Giving a light smile, our protagonist reflects, amused that where there are many women, huge dramas always happen. Perceiving the conversation, the beautiful woman in the white top is left extremely nervous, fearing that the millionaire's secret was discovered. Being modest, the humble student invents that it was just a children's model of 1,500 Rs, leaving the young woman confused. Evaluating the materials, the attentive famous woman suspects the high value, while the scoundrel invents a totally fake brand. Researching on the internet, the shocked actress discovers that the machine was worth millions, realizing that the young master had deceived her. Changing the subject, the seductive idol tries to feed the mature goddess, but the shy companion refuses the affectionate gesture. Maintaining her focused look, the curious content creator questions directly how the beautiful assistant met the billionaire. Giving a confident smile, the stunning employee responds calmly that the two were great colleagues back in school days. Agreeing smoothly, the girl with colored hair tastes the meal while the calm magnate continued eating there. At that moment, our hero gets a big scare with someone's leg touching him under that huge table of the location. Evaluating the two women, the boy notes that both ate their meats normally, disguising very well their intentions. Perceiving the owner of the feat, the daring rich man smiles mischievously, deciding to enter that dangerous secret game. Without hesitating, the daring student uses one of his hands under the table and grabs that soft foot with enough force and a lot of desire. Immediately, the scared idol freezes in surprise, feeling the firm grip of the boy, not expecting such an aggressive reaction. Tasting the meat, the scoundrel feigns innocence, finding the double personality of the daring girl in front of him very fun. Completely embarrassed, the woman tries to talk to the other friend while the sadistic hero told jokes to disguise everything. Displaying a sadistic expression, the young master deduces that the stubborn artist still endured firmly, deciding to increase the pressure. Using his skillful fingers, the ruthless protagonist starts to tickle the sensitive foot of the desperate beauty a lot. Not enduring the touches, the pink one lets out a very loud and sudden laugh, scaring the stunning manager at her side. Trying to justify herself, the idol invents having remembered something very funny while the student continued his hard attack. Observing that scene, the mature secretary suspects a little and tells the young woman to eat soon before the food passed the point. Shaking and laughing from nervousness, the poor woman promises not to remember the such joke anymore, rooting for the billionaire to stop the punishment. With an almost tearful look, the regretful influencer begs for forgiveness and the compliant hero agrees to let go of her body. Getting up from the chair, the charming student tidies his clothes and warns the beautiful partners that he needed to use the local bathroom. 3 minutes later, the magnate returns and finds the two rivals exchanging contacts, wondering what was happening. Hugging the stunning employee, the idol declares that the two were now best friends, promising many outings together. Running his hand through his hair, our hero smiles, amazed by the artist's capacity to enchant even the toughest manager. Reading the message from an old friend, the boy prepares to leave, and the understanding assistant says for him to focus on the business. Giving a beautiful wink, the excited influencer guarantees she would take care of the woman, ordering the rich student to enjoy his night. Reflecting on the night, the protagonist finds the unexpected friendship of those two beautiful girls funny. Arriving at the luxury party, the platinum partner calls the hero to sit together with his beautiful companion. Announcing the friend to everyone, the rich guy orders the girls to treat the great guest of honor very well there. Impressed with the scene, one of the guests admires the huge amount of beauties around the charming magnate. A curious woman questions who the mysterious guy in the middle was, deducing that the billionaire was someone important. Approaching the platinum guy, the long-haired driver confirms he was already preparing everything for the apology. Being calm, our hero warns not to be necessary to worry about little while the guy insisted on paying. Showing his great gratitude, the long-haired partner asks for 5 combos of a valuable drink soon. The venue employees are left jaw-dropped, calculating that the exaggerated order cost almost $500,000. The platinum partner finds that generosity funny, and the driver laments that he would be poor for a long time. Reading the floating system, the student is surprised to note that the duo already possessed very high loyalty. Placing his hand on the colleague's shoulder, the rich man thanks for the party, being called a very kind man. The organizer orders the waiter to do a great job on the fireworks and the food, demanding to put the protagonist's name on everything. Quickly, the whole nightclub celebrates the extravagant request with the animators shouting the great name of the billionaire. Bringing the expensive bottles, the beautiful attendants draw a lot of attention from the guests who envied the immense wealth. Parading through the huge party, the stunning woman carries the shiny sign displaying the young master's name. Being very sociable, the calm long-haired one calls the partners for the toast, starting the night with a lot of fun. Approaching, the beautiful foreigner introduces herself and our hero praises the great vocabulary of the stunning blonde. Explaining her lineage, the kitten laments not possessing a visa, living there for work, and the boy questions the area. Getting much closer to the magnate, the daring blonde confesses to acting as a model, wanting to provoke the coveted man. Observing the beautiful body, the strategist suggests the influencer career while the woman fears not having success. Being very visionary, the student guarantees that the girl's surreal beauty would render rivers of money in the future. The seductive model reveals to already record videos without much return, and the billionaire warns that the secret was another format. Showing a lot of wisdom, the rich man drinks his wine, explaining the famous controversial tactics to become very rich. Totally impressed with the business plan, the kitten widens her eyes, not believing it to be something so simple. Listening to the great talk, the platinum guy gives a slight smile, suspecting that the hero desired to enter the new industry. Spinning the glass in his hand, the daring young master responds that he was interested only in the valuable internet economy. The intelligent billionaire explains that the true fortune was hidden in the great transmission platforms. Toasting with the partners, the student proposes uniting that scattered market to be able to dominate all the finances. Getting very intrigued with the good business vision, the platinum friend suggests the creation of a huge agency. Jiang Cheng says not to care for agencies that bill little, and the blonde friend admires his ambition of wanting money from the source. Drinking wine, the hero finds the partner smart while he questions if the idea was to create expensive and already saturated platforms. Maintaining his calm, the magnate reflects in silence that nobody there knew of the future worldwide explosion of very short videos. The intelligent student remembers an internet giant that soon would reach an absurd market value of billions. Focused on business, the rich man plans to invest heavily in the next financing round of the brand to profit fortunes. Just then, a beautiful bunny hugs the platinum, complaining that the two men only spoke of finances instead of drinking with them. Being serious, the boy pushes the girl away, warning she didn't understand the subject and ordering the young woman to go play in another place. Resuming the talk, the hero asks to continue and the protagonist summarizes that they needed to seek great new platforms. Serving the wine glasses, the charming young man decides to end the boring subject, preferring to focus on the parting of that party. Excited with the break, the friend agrees fully, toasting with the group to drink until they fell with so much tiredness. 2 hours pass and our hero leaves hugged with the pink-haired young woman after the blonde partner went to another hotel. Observing the other girls, the scoundrel evaluates their attributes, deciding that his pink companion was the most beautiful. Saying goodbye to the group, the long-haired one warns to have called a driver, alerting about the great dangers of some scammers. Giving a gentle smile, the billionaire thanks for the friend's advice, keeping the beautiful influencer glued to his body. Hugging his beautiful companion, the platinum thanks for the great finance class, combining to talk later. With that, the young master says goodbye to the new party partners while he walked down the street with the two beautiful women. Already driving the car, the famous artist thinks, jealous of the reason for that handsome young man always being surrounded by many goddesses. Competing for attention, the daring pink one holds firmly onto the student's hand, ordering the foreigner to move away from that territory. Being friendly, the beautiful foreigner ignores the jealousy, thanking for the great nocturnal advice and combining a return. Alone in the vehicle, the rich man touches the soft face of the driver and asks for the destination, hearing they would go to her house. Giving an excuse, the influencer pretends to be surprised, alleging to think that the boy would sleep at the other friend's house. Perceiving the drama, the calculating magnate reprimands the attitude, cutting the subject by threatening to look for another place to stay. Fearing losing the prize, the girl apologizes for the jealousy while the hero warns that she was free to leave. Making a pout, the woman confesses to have fallen in love for real, asking for more affection, and the young man remembers everything he did today. Being manipulative, the gallant strokes the idol's cheek, guaranteeing he would never forget her if she was very obedient. Stroking the young woman's head, the student confirms his desire for her, calming once and for all the heart of that artist. Taking advantage of the loophole, the mischievous companion holds the client's hand, asking for a hot night to kill all the will. Arriving at the small apartment, the billionaire evaluates the modest location while the owner of the house invited him to sit soon. Without losing time, the seductive woman lies on the soft bed, displaying the perfect legs, summoning the scoundrel for the action. Completely surrendered to the strong touches, the beauty lets out a long moan of pleasure, starting a great romance session. Continue on the hot night, the passionate couple surrenders to the strong desires in that stuffy room. The next day, our hero wakes up very excited and asks if the beautiful pink one was very hungry there. Hugging his goddess, the magnate suggests eating out while the influencer thought of doing something fast. Observing the modest room, the rich man questions the rent value, discovering to cost only 1,600. Being very sincere, the student finds the location too small, but the girl warns it was difficult to find something cheap. Jiang Chen questions the reason for her not living at school and hears that the roommates were very jealous. Stroking the young woman's hair, the charming boy reflects being normal that attitude due to her immense beauty. With that, the billionaire orders the idol to choose a luxury apartment, and the young woman raises her arms, very happy. Thanking for the huge affection, the stunning artist hugs her client, promising to look at everything tomorrow. Getting up from the bed, the hero notices the almost empty wardrobe, deciding to take his new partner to the mall. Being humble, the pink one refuses the gifts, wanting only a little love while the young man reveals his ambitions. Perceiving his scoundrel side, the beautiful woman accepts her destiny, and the intelligent student orders her to get ready. Arriving at the luxury mall, the beautiful couple enters an expensive store, being very well received by the managers. Observing the client, the two employees remember him with another woman but focus only on the great sales. Finalizing the purchases, the woman warns that everything gave almost $500,000 and the rich boy soon hands his card. Using the system bonus, the strategist earns an insane return, receiving $48 million in his account. Walking down the street with several bags, the affectionate influencer asks if her partner desired to drink something. At that moment, the pair notices a poor boy on the sidewalk, begging for financial help to treat his sick mother. Reading the sad cardboard sign, the girl with colored hair feels a lot of pity for the child's terrible situation. Being extremely generous, the beautiful woman squats on the floor and hands all her money to the little boy there. Seeing the good deed, some pedestrians complain that it was a scam and that the young woman only tried to please her boyfriend. Evaluating the beggar's expressions, the calm magnate deduces that pure look didn't belong to a safe rascal. Without hesitating, our protagonist pulls more bills from his own pocket and hands them to the surprised little boy. Very moved by the help, the poor boy curves his body, touching his head to the floor to show huge gratitude. Suddenly, the system rewards the hero with the ability to read minds, scaring the boy with such power obtained. Meanwhile, the street gossips recognize the rich man's beautiful face, commenting on the recent internet video. Using the new secret technique, Jiang Cheng listens to the child's heart, confirming that all that pain was genuine. Holding the boy's arms, the student asks him to get up and questions how much was still missing for the surgery. Focused on the story, the young master laments that fake beggars ruin society's trust in people. Wanting to solve this huge problem, the charming billionaire pulls the brat, ordering the little one to accompany him without fear. Holding the child's hands, the rich student hands $100,000 to guarantee soon the surgery of the little boy's mother. Scared by the value, the poor boy warns that it was too much money because the procedure cost only $28,000. Observing all that generosity, the goddess with colored hair is left confused, trying to understand the magnate's attitudes. Stroking the boy's head, the hero explains that the rest of the money would serve for their recovery and comfort. Crying a lot, the little boy promises to pay the debt in the future, while the young master tells him to focus only on his studies. Suddenly, the system rewards the good deed, giving an ability to feel danger and an information card about stocks. 1 hour later at the hospital, the affectionate partner reflects on the expensive purchases, but the rich man asks for her to relax. At that moment, the charming student receives the call from a friend, warning about a race and calling him to the party. Arriving at the luxury event, the partner praises the strong influence of the protagonist, who warns not to enjoy supercars there. Very confused, the long-haired guy questions the reason for the billionaire having several luxury machines kept in his huge garage. Entering the conversation, the other rich guy compares the cars with beautiful clothes, claiming to be just a matter of pure style. Being ironic, the young man with platinum hair defends his thesis, asking if there existed any big difference at all. Finding that silly discussion funny, our hero smiles while his beautiful companion held firmly onto his arm. Admiring the machines through the hall, the girl with colored hair is left totally impressed with the location's options. Being kind, the host warns to have rented the whole space, revealing that the girls would have a special race later. Looking at his partner, the charming student suggests she drive a little, leaving the wonderful idol super excited. With her heart beating fast, the excited beauty accepts the beautiful invitation, wanting to show her skills on the track. Speeding up everything, the hero's friend calls soon one of the event employees to guide the kitten in the driving test. Quickly, a beautiful woman wearing sports attire appears, confirming the service with a wide smile on her face. After the woman moves away, the long-haired guy rubs his hands, coveting the cars and lamenting being too poor to have one. Getting half confused with the friend's talk, the magnate deduces that the partner possessed a lot of money kept in his account. Explaining the sad situation, the colleague reveals depending on his father who cut his allowance after some terrible accidents. Giving a wise piece of advice, the young master orders him to make his own money while the rich guy talks about the boredom of investing. Putting fuel on the fire, the platinum partner mocks the colleague's lack of patience, claiming it was impossible for him to profit. Hearing the talk of the two, the brilliant strategist projects the system screen in front of him with a lot of discretion. Giving a slight smile, the daring student realizes that the divine hint pointed to a huge high in the foreign market. Maintaining his impeccable posture, the hero defends the stock area while the long-haired guy asks if he operated on the stock exchange. The system then launches a beautiful mission, rewarding the construction of rich friendships to dominate the whole great market. Messing with his cell phone, the calculating billionaire reveals to possess some privileged information, promising a high return. Shocked by the promised value, the friend with silver hair distrusts totally that hint, thinking it to be a great scam. Questioning the information, the long-haired guy doubts that investment while our hero guarantees it to be something very safe. Curious about the conversation, the prim and proper guy with silver hair asks what would be such a promising investment company like that. Explaining the details, the billionaire warns that his company would take care of everything, and the friend confirms, entering with only $100,000. Being understanding, the rich student comforts the partner, warning that modest value already yielded a great luxury car. Totally excited, the young colleague questions what would be the exact amount that the young master would put into that business. Taking the cell phone, the magnate reveals to invest soon 600 million, and the scared long-haired one thinks the partner robbed a bank. Running his hand on his head, the prim and proper one praises the protagonist's huge fortune, declaring him the true richest man. Maintaining his friendly posture, Jiang Cheng warns that he didn't want to force anything, asking for that not to affect the great friendship. Trusting fully in the hint, the platinum guy decides to bet all his chips, investing the trifle of 100 million there. Desperate with the competition, the long-haired one complains about having little money and asks for time to try to raise some more millions. Hearing the crazy conversation, the beautiful pink-haired idol is left completely paralyzed with the bizarre values of the charming client. Observing the back of her great love, the stunning girl reflects on the mysterious and gigantic wealth of that beautiful man. Offering good help, the prim and proper one wants to lend some money, but the honest long-haired one refuses to use the resources of others. Being proud, the stubborn driver guarantees to be able to raise the money alone, dying of embarrassment to walk with the duo of rich guys. Giving a calm smile, the calm protagonist respects the colleague's decision, asking for them to send the numbers of the accounts later. Supporting the crazy idea, the excited platinum hair thanks in advance, waiting anxiously for the good results of the market. Arriving quietly, the beautiful pink-haired one praises the track, and the passionate billionaire questions the reason for her not buying a beautiful car. Looking at her face, the young master plans to use his discount coupons, forcing spending tens of millions on the purchase. Being very humble, the affectionate woman prefers to walk by taxi, refusing to spend the valuable gifts won in such a useless way. Remembering the kitten's small room, the hero gives up on pressing, noting that his partner didn't like exaggerated luxuries. Just then, the event narrator warns on the microphone that the huge track was released, ordering all pilots to prepare soon. Walking through the location, the long-haired one asks for advice on the great prize, but the rich partner confesses not to care much for that. Asking for suggestions, the poor boy faces Jiang Cheng, who quickly asks how the group used to bet on that type of game. Counting his fingers, the friend reveals that the runners always donated 10,000, and the last place needed to pay for the group's dinner. Suggesting a change, the wise rich man proposes to take all the bet money and use the valuable prize in a beautiful act of charity. Getting very impressed with the beautiful initiative, the platinum guy thinks it genius, revealing to get motivated to run as well. Giving a laugh, the excited organizer takes his cell phone, passing those noble rules to all the pilots. Already wearing the great sports outfit, our hero enters his competitive mode, ordering the colleagues to get in their vehicles. Positioned on the starting line, the wonderful machines roar the powerful engines, while the narrator started that dispute. Lowering his great flag, the race judge authorizes the violent race, letting the cars accelerate at full speed there. Thinking to himself, the protagonist decides to maintain calm on his first time there so as not to steal the scene from the most experienced ones. With the cars accelerating on the great track, the animator screams on the microphone, announcing the winner of the first round of that night. The excited announcer raises her arms, asking for the crowd to clap and congratulate the great champion, named Han Anning. The stunning pilot removes her helmet, displaying her immense beauty in a beautiful body that drew everyone's attention there. Giving a provocative smile, the girl mocks the long-haired partner, asking if he continued being a huge incompetent. Giving a flimsy excuse, the boy alleges lack of custom with the car and proposes a new race to prove his worth. The daring champion accepts the challenge, demanding that he make a bow, and the hero finds her personality very explosive. Without losing time, the young announcer announces the start of the second stage, releasing the competitors to accelerate again. Already on the track, the seductive racer perceives a mysterious vehicle approaching very fast and wonders who the newcomer would be. Being very competitive, the kitten steps hard on the accelerator, warning not to like it at all when other people passed in front of her. The great engines roar violently while the pair of runners disputed every centimeter of that dangerous race. Maintaining total focus on the track, our protagonist perceives the girl's fury and decides to show his true skills. With an insane move, the charming student makes an impossible curve, sliding his luxury car with divine precision. The tires sing loud on the asphalt while the vehicle cut the air, leaving the skillful girl eating dust on that curve. Accelerating everything in the final straight, the dark-haired hero crosses the finish line, guaranteeing the great victory in a heroic way. The curious ones in the audience are left shocked, praising that perfect technique worthy of a great professional of the racing tracks. Soon after, the powerful loudspeakers shoot the name of Jiang Cheng, declaring him the winner of that second dispute. Getting out of the car, the platinum guy praises the friend a lot while the long-haired one notes that the rich guy hid his talent at the beginning of the game. Taking off the helmet, the modest billionaire smiles, revealing that he didn't want to draw so much attention like that right on his first round. Just then, the beautiful racer approaches the hero, praising his driving and introducing herself formally, wanting a friendship. Holding her hand, the young master introduces himself, and is left surprised by the kitten's skin being soft even piloting so much all day long. Perceiving the magnate's long touch, the seductive woman thinks in a convinced way that she had just enchanted the rich boy. Playing with the situation, the daring pilot asks for his contact to exchange great racing tips during the night of today. The friend with silver hair is left totally jaw-dropped, not believing the newcomer managed to hook the goddess so fast like that. Deciding to test the recently obtained divine power, the strategist orders the system to investigate the girl's feelings. The daring woman's mind imagined very romantic scenes between the two, leaving the scared hero without words at that moment. Despite that strong desire, the wise billionaire soon discovers that the beautiful racer played with the hearts of many guys there. Refusing the offer, the intelligent hero warns of being very well accompanied by his partner, preferring to leave the conversation for later. Feeling the weight of the rejection, the jealous kitten observes the other woman, wanting to test what the girlfriend of that man was capable of. Pointing her finger at the pink one, the rival warns that the next race would be of the women, calling the beautiful partner to the track. Pointing at herself, the beautiful girlfriend with colored hair questions, surprised if the challenge was really for her. Feeling a lot of pressure, the beautiful pink-haired one reflects on the rival's skills, fearing passing a huge shame there. Being very affectionate, the protagonist hugs the kitten, ordering her to relax, and the girl begs for his company in the car. Whispering in the young woman's ear, the daring magnate accepts the request but demands a very hot reward for the night. Observing the lovebirds, the jealous racer closes her face, maintaining total focus to destroy the rival on the great track. Quickly, the powerful vehicles line up on the starting line, roaring the strong engines for the start of the race. Already inside the machine, the jealous girlfriend deduces that the rival wanted to steal her man, and the hero pretends not to understand. Being ironic, the daring pink one questions the scoundrel while the rich student guarantees not feeling anything for the other pilot. Playing with the situation, the young master makes a mischievous joke, leaving the beautiful partner totally scared of that. Completely embarrassed, the stunning pilot asks for the boy to stop with the jokes, fearing everyone's looks. With the cars accelerating on the track, the excited announcer narrates the intense pursuit between the two great goddesses of the location. Cutting the winds, the skillful rival racer crosses the finish line, guaranteeing the first place of that dispute. Getting out of the car, the happy girlfriend jumps into her beloved's arms, celebrating the great adrenaline even losing the challenge. Approaching, the convinced champion congratulates the girl, but the humble pink-haired one thanks for almost having beaten the veteran. At that moment, the victorious pilot gets a big scare when she perceives a strong male hand grabbing her beautiful arm. Analyzing the woman, the divine system reveals all the daring woman's intentions, showing that her loyalty was low. Reading the floating screen, the calculating billionaire deduces that that goddess didn't feel anything, wanting only to conquer him there. Trying to please the rich student, the young racer suggests he buy a machine, but the boy refuses the kind invitation. Entering the conversation, the long-haired guy gives a daring wink, joking about dating the rich guy in case he liked men. Giving a laugh, our hero refuses the bizarre offer, passing the ball to the platinum guy who also denies the partner. Being very sociable, the long-haired driver ends the jokes and calls the great colleagues to enjoy the luxury party. Inviting his girl, the magnate receives an affectionate refusal because the dedicated influencer needed to work today. Arriving at the huge restaurant, the group finds an arrogant rich guy who soon starts to provoke the protagonist's friend. Being ignored, the chatty prim and proper guy raises his voice tone, accusing the calm long-haired guy of being a great cowardly loser. Maintaining his posture, the offended guy orders the aggressor to disappear from there, remembering the recent punishments of that hair. Going beyond the limits, the villain offends the long-haired one's new friendships, making the powerful student intervene in the discussion. Finding the billionaire's attitude funny, the arrogant guy smiles in a sadistic way while he grabbed a knife on the table. Totally out of control, the crazy guy raises the sharp blade, threatening to cut our hero because of that answer. Thanks to his high divine reflexes, the agile young master avoids the mortal blow, tilting his body backward. Without giving chances to the enemy, the ruthless protagonist retaliates with a devastating slap on the face of that cowardly guy. Running his hand on his face, the spoiled brat questions if that mere newcomer had the courage to touch him. Saying nothing, our ruthless hero raises his leg, prepared to give a great lesson to the damned guy. With a powerful kick, the rich student hits the coward's chest, knocking the aggressor to the floor of the restaurant. Bleeding a lot through the nose, the spoiled rich brat moans in pain, feeling the weight of the strong blow suffered on his face. Fallen on the floor, the lunatic takes another knife, threatening to take the protagonist's life and using his father's name. Totally blind with anger, the coward advances again with the sharp blade, aiming straight at the magnate's chest. Using his divine instincts, the young master avoids the dangerous attack, lowering his body with style. Immediately, the agile hero stretches his hand, grabbing the aggressor's neck with uncommon strength there. Desperate with the scene, the long-haired friend begs for the hero to maintain calm and not dirty his hands with that trash. The platinum partner reflects that the villain's family was very powerful, forcing the friend to endure the insults. Worried, the long-haired one understands the great risk of that fight, knowing the spoiled guy possessed dangerous connections. Releasing the rival's neck, the protagonist listens to the friends while the humiliated coward promises a revenge. Taking his cell phone, the aggressor decides to call the family and the long-haired one criticizes the attitude, being demanded an apology. Just then, the kind partner advises Jiang Cheng to flee from there, promising to find a way to calm the situation. Yelling loud, the rich brat prohibits the hero's flight, wanting his death while the friend defends his hero. Totally arrogant, the spoiled brat mocks the two, insulting in a heavy way the rich student's mother. Losing his patience, the ruthless protagonist warns he would give a great lesson and shoots another beautiful slap. The violent slap hits the coward's face full on, making his face turn due to the huge impact suffered there. Without any mercy, our hero starts a great combo of slaps on the spoiled guy's face to teach respect. Impressed with the beating, the platinum guy is shocked with the boy's great courage, because nobody there would do that. Holding the boy by the collar, the young master orders him to think before speaking since he forgave his life. Observing the confusion, the long-haired partner doesn't understand the reason for the student to ignore the whole warning. The platinum friend judges that the protagonist's wealth came from a weak company if compared to the rivals. With that, the divine system rewards the billionaire's strong attitudes, delivering a high privilege card. Covering his crushed face, the rich brat warns there would be grave consequences, while the long-haired one tried for peace. Refusing the truce, the humiliated villain decides to collect the revenge, and the protective friend calls the scolding for himself. Facing the driver, the coward focuses totally his rancor on the magnate, promising that the city would collect. Being loyal, the partner tries to defend the rich man, but the hero warns he would test who possessed the best contacts. Worried, the long-haired friend prepares his cell phone to ask for help to his father, but the billionaire refuses the offer. Giving a confident smile, the powerful protagonist closes his eyes, activating his special new item from the system. Answering the call, the boy confirms his name and questions in a curious way who is speaking on the other side of that line. The elderly man reveals to be his second grandfather, complaining about the young man not having asked for the valuable help of the family to solve the problem. Totally confused, our hero wonders mentally where that relative appeared from since he never heard of him before. Giving a sigh, the old man understands that his ungrateful son hid the truth while the boy accepts the great new family. Being affectionate, the gentleman warns that they worked hard to give comfort to the heir, and the intelligent magnate notes the power. The rich relative warns he would send an assistant to solve everything, ordering the boy to hit the face of whoever dared to annoy. With that, the elderly man invites the young master to visit the great-grandfathers in the capital, reinforcing the strong family union of everyone. The charming student promises to make a beautiful visit soon, while the long-haired friend finds all that talk strange in the middle of the chaos. At that moment, some uniformed police officers arrive at the location, charging great explanations about all the heavy confusion occurred. The peaceful protagonist tries to calm the situation, alleging to be a misunderstanding, but the beaten, spoiled brat orders the rival to be arrested. Supporting the injured hero, the officer questions about the terrible aggression, and the sincere billionaire confesses the deed with calm. Drawing the shiny metal handcuffs, the tough guard warns that the boy is suspect of a crime, ordering him to accompany them. Maintaining his intimidating posture, the brave rich man questions the officer about what would happen in case he refused the order. Sweating cold from a lot of nervousness, the tense guard raises his voice, not believing the daring rebellion of that simple boy. Fearing doing some great stupidity, the police commander asks quietly to the colleague who that mysterious young man would be. Suddenly, the elegant mother of the humiliated villain appears, scolding the team, charging the immediate arrest of the great aggressor. The head of the police department despairs and orders his slow subordinates to take the violent boy soon from there. Stroking the bruised face of the son, the rich woman suggests a hospital, but the furious heir desired revenge right now. Displaying a cruel, sadistic look, the spoiled one plans to use all his huge influence to destroy the poor student in prison. Being very arrogant, the elegant woman threatens the job of the dedicated officers, demanding a great, heavy, and fair punishment. Desperate, the long-haired one wants to activate the family, but the hero warns that his kind relative was already solving the problem. At that exact moment, a majestic millionaire luxury vehicle parks on the dark street, drawing a lot of attention from all the people. Observing the expensive fleet, the surprised friend deduces something while countless men in dark suits came out of the huge and beautiful cars. Seeing that army of strong guards, the platinum-haired hero suspects that the young master's family had arrived. The intimidating group of bodyguards walks through the hall, led by an elegant man using a beautiful brown suit and glasses. Displaying the special badge, the personal secretary introduces himself directly to the two police officers, paralyzing the pair with fear. Totally in shock and stuttering a lot, the great department commander swallows dry, wanting to know the reason for the visit. Bowing, the assistant greets the protagonist, warning to be there by order of the great elderly man, and the rich boy thanks for the help. Being very polite, the man in the suit reveals that the boy was the successor of the family, placing himself totally at the disposal of the future boss. Completely paralyzed, the two rich friends are left jaw dropped, trying to imagine the size of the fortune of the companion. The furious woman loses control and starts to yell at the police director, threatening to call her husband right now. Finding it funny, the magnate mocks the villain, asking if the city was hers, while the woman swears she would crush the stranger. Challenging the shrew, our hero smiles in a sadistic way, wanting to see how that spoiled woman would deal with him by the end of the day. Just then, the man in the suit interrupts the spoiled woman, questioning who she thought she was to command in that huge city. Being imposing, the man introduces himself as personal secretary of the president of a giant group, revealing the hero's lineage. Completely pale and shaking with fear, the arrogant madam doesn't believe the name of that gigantic company mentioned there. Reflecting on the scene, the Platinum One understands the friend's confidence, since he was the only grandson heir of a billionaire. Besides all the money, the rich guy remembers the protagonist's grandfather possessed huge connections, even with the country's military. Displaying a scary aura, the assistant faces the villain, wanting to know how she would explain that confusion to the young master. In total shock, the desperate rich woman is left without words, trying to understand how the situation turned upside down so fast. Yelling, the spoiled one accuses the stranger for the beating, but the man in the suit reveals to possess videos proving that the aggressor started everything. Totally indignant, the coward accuses the secretary of transforming the poor victim into the great culprit of all that crime there. Perceiving the grave error, the scared mother orders the son to shut his mouth, and the boy deduces that that stranger had divine connections. Trying to save her own skin, the woman smiles nervously, inventing that everything was just a simple misunderstanding of children. Changing the target, the secretary looks at the police commander, mocking the great lack of competent employees in the district. Sweating cold, the cowardly chief tries to pull up a subject, remembering a time he had the honor of participating in the great-grandfather's party. Adjusting his glasses, the ruthless assistant warns that his boss would get very irritated if he knew about his presence there. Just then, the spoiled madam answers her cell phone and listens to a superior from another state mocking that her family dominated the city. The shrew's husband also hears great scoldings over the phone, being alerted not to do anything that irritated the powerful family. Swallowing dry, the terrified rich woman realizes that all the superior's scoldings were because of that stranger. Trembling uncontrollably, the intimidated mother accepts the orders, promising to lower her head and ask for forgiveness from our hero. The police chief observes everything in silence, realizing the young student holds the greatest power in the entire massive capital. Showing great respect, the suited man bids farewell to the calm billionaire, mentioning he has a lot of work to do at his luxurious office. The group of arrogant rich kids freezes in terror, anticipating the major nightmare they would face from that exact moment on. Completely defeated, the fearful mother pulls her son forward, begging for forgiveness for the terrible upbringing of the little coward. Being cold, the ruthless tycoon reprimands his rival's foolishness, making it clear that everyone has good connections in this crazy world. Indignant, the spoiled brat asks what else the boy wanted, but the sadistic protagonist demands that he mark himself to pay the debt. Hearing the absurd demand, the mother tries to protect her treasure, calling the hero malicious while the strict secretary steps in again. Desperate, the madman tries to use his father's name to save himself, but the fearful mother covers the idiot's mouth, avoiding a new tragedy. Defeated, the woman and her son bow their bodies, asking for forgiveness from the rich man, who ignored everything while playing on his phone. The frightened rich kid asks what the hero actually wanted, and the calm student repeats his cruel demand. Screaming in despair, the coward claims it is impossible to comply because he had already asked for forgiveness from everyone. Watching everything, the long-haired guy thinks the punishment is too harsh, even though he dislikes the behavior of that whining villain. Being cold, the tycoon warns that the coward could leave if he could handle the major consequences of running away. The young master reminds him that normal people would have been finished if they had been beaten by that spoiled rich kid. At this, his platinum-haired partner agrees with the idea, understanding that society punished the weakest and poorest. The billionaire vigilant warns that he has plenty of money to prevent the coward from humiliating other innocents later. Holding the phone, the desperate aggressor cries while hearing his own father abandon him in the middle of the confusion. Over the device, the coward's father explains that the powerful rival family was untouchable and full of military heroes. Completely in shock, the pale, spoiled brat realizes he had messed with the worst person in the entire massive capital. Accepting his sad fate, the fearful boy lowers his head, preparing to fulfill the imposed punishment. Holding the blade and trembling a lot, the defeated rich kid asks if the injury would resolve the entire massive debt. Crying a lot, the humiliated young man begs the rich man to keep his word after the cruel punishment is done. Maintaining his imposing posture, the calm protagonist guarantees he is a very honest man with his agreements. With no other escape, the coward screams in pain, applying the sharp blade to his own leg to pay for his mistake. The desperate mother cries heavily seeing the suffering of her beloved son and screams for an ambulance. Bleeding a lot, the defeated villain takes a deep breath, announcing that the debts were finally paid. Satisfied with the fair punishment, our hero agrees with the end of the revenge and releases the group of cowards. The medical team quickly arrives at the scene, places the injured man on a stretcher, and takes him to a great hospital. The long-haired partner apologizes profusely for the massive problem caused on that busy night. Touching the heir's shoulder, the elegant secretary invites the young master to enter the luxurious black vehicle. Once inside the machine, the wealthy student praises the comfort and hears that the beautiful car is a very exclusive model. The assistant hands over a valuable black card, warning that the grandfather saved a lot of money for the boy to spend. Taking the gift, the curious protagonist wonders about the size of the massive fortune stored in that small item. Arriving at the destination, the suited man bids farewell to the billionaire, telling him to ask for help whenever he needed. Lying in his modest room, the young man decides to call his father to complain about their lack of communication. Just then his beautiful business partner arrives at the room, and the confused boy asks about his grandfather's origin. Helping the rich man take off his coat, the stunning woman deduces that the heir had received a huge scolding. On the phone, the father reinforces the grandfather's power, telling the student to call them if he runs into other trash. Hanging up the call, the hero finds it funny that his father considers such a wealthy heir as simple trash. The seductive brown-haired girl asks if the young master prefers to take a relaxing bath or have dinner first. At that, the bold rich man pulls his beautiful girlfriend close, guaranteeing he is not interested in any other food on that great night. Without wasting time, our hero embraces the beautiful woman, starting an intense session of pure romance and affection in that warm room. The next day, the charming student walks through the sunny city streets, appearing totally relaxed with his life. Meeting his platinum-haired friend, the billionaire notices that his partner is still shocked by the massive power of his entire family. Enjoying the modest food, the calm protagonist asks in surprise if the polished blonde guy was really that scared. Eating his dish, the fearful friend responds that he is relieved for the hero's safety, warning about the great danger avoided yesterday. But the calm tycoon asks his colleague to stop exaggerating, and the rich man laments not having been warned about that wealth before. Reflecting on the madness, the silver-haired young man concludes that true billionaire dragons always prefer to hide in the shadows. With a slight smile, the cheeky boy claims he doesn't care about rival fortunes, guaranteeing he is always the richest man in that place. Changing the subject, the partner remembers the hero's intention to buy properties, and the guy confirms he wants a huge office soon. Finishing the meal, the excited heir rises from his chair, calling his great colleague to look at the beautiful and luxurious buildings. Arriving at the huge sales office, the powerful duo of friends is very well received by the suited managers of the rich location. Presenting the best building options, the rich kid surprises the protagonist by showing he understood business very well. Observing the huge model of the metropolis, the young master points to a beautiful building, asking if it had already been sold. The friendly realtor warns that that large area was still blocked, and the curious billionaire asks for a good look at it. Evaluating the entire plan of the luxurious project, the tycoon praises the security system and immediately asks for the high value of the entire place. The platinum-haired partner tries to charge the maximum market value, but the hero demands to hear the lowest friendly price from that brokerage immediately. Sweating cold, the tense salesman reveals that the internal value is in the 18,000 range to close a great deal between them. Being an excellent friend, the companion pulls the realtor aside and reduces the cost even further, guaranteeing an absurd discount to his partner. Reflecting on the huge profit margins, the student accepts the bargain, calculating that the final price of everything would be wonderful. The salesman tries to block the discount, fearing the rules, but the powerful heir resolves everything, swearing to speak to his great father. Completely paralyzed with fear, the employee accepts the absurd order, fearing to cross the aggressive and spoiled son of his boss. Returning to the focus, the excited boy asks which exact floor the rich man wished to buy to set up his new company. Maintaining his calm, our hero points to the model, wanting to know the total value of that entire huge commercial building. The frightened realtor widens his eyes, not believing the level of the request from that crazy and powerful young billionaire master. Stuttering a lot, the tense employee calculates a price of $6 billion, and the calm tycoon already asks for a large bank branch there. The silver-haired companion suggests taking the paperwork directly to the bank, and the intelligent hero agrees with that wonderful idea. Being very efficient, the blonde guy orders the salesman to call the financial manager to get everything prepared for them there. Calling and celebrating a lot, the realtor realizes that the commission from that single sale would change his humble life forever. Arriving at the bank branch, the manager receives the two rich kids with great politeness, inviting them to have some good tea. At that, the platinum-haired guy introduces our protagonist, warning that his business brother was an even more powerful client. Sweating cold, the experienced suited man is very surprised and notices a huge respect coming from the spoiled silver-haired heir. Greeting the tycoon with a handshake, the dedicated director warns that he is ready to serve the client faithfully. Meanwhile, a beautiful secretary guides the illustrious guests, asking what the massive negotiation of the day would be. Sitting on the comfortable sofa, the hero explains that he had bought a large building and wanted to make the transfers there. Leaning on the table, the director asks for the student's card, thinking that the deal would be nothing more than a few million. Taking his mysterious black card, Jiang Chen calmly asks the man to transfer over $5 billion. Completely shocked by that absurdity, the pale manager asks if he had heard that value correctly. Looking at his phone, the billionaire notices the man's surprise, lamenting greatly if the agency could not make the transfer. Holding the precious item, the worker stares at the wealth, not believing in the massive luck of receiving a super client. Returning to business, the suited man warns that such a massive payment could never be completed in a single go. Trembling a lot, the director explains the great lack of cash in the vaults, asking to schedule the long process. Being very bold, our hero promises to deposit over $10 billion if the manager could solve his little problem. Hearing the valuable proposal, the shocked employee almost has a heart attack, widening his eyes at such purchasing power. Observing the partner's immense wealth, the platinum-haired guy sweats cold, trying to understand where so much money came from for that boy. Holding some papers, the director is terrified by the world of the mega-rich, realizing that the young man was a living legend. Totally incredulous, the worker tries to confirm the value, and the calm student guarantees to put the money in if he helped. Thinking to himself, the strategist focuses on his great system, calculating all the huge returns of his purchases. Being afraid of his friend, the silver-haired guy knows that not even his father possessed so much liquid funds, and the humble manager celebrates. Playing with some coins, the tycoon demands the transfer in a single trip, demanding agility from the powerful bank. Touching his friend's shoulder, the blonde guy suggests sending the profit in batches, being countered by the rich man who didn't like delays. Maintaining his serious gaze, the impatient billionaire lamented the system's major losses if the batch were too installment-based. Seeing the golden opportunity, the dedicated employee picks up his phone, promising to find a way to handle that whole situation. With a polite gesture, the hare releases the man, emphasizing that he would be waiting for great results quickly. Alone in the room, the silver-haired young man admits he is dying of envy for our protagonist, exalting the hero's great fortune. Being very humble, the partner confesses to feeling useless in front of his friend, and the bold billionaire warns it is just the beginning. Reflecting on the huge cash, the student understands very well that billionaires never kept much cash on hand. Laughing a lot, the blonde guy asks if the tycoon didn't want a new brother, eliciting big smiles from the calm colleague. Stunned by the sharp response, the boy gets scared, realizing that his great friend was adopting him like a little baby. Returning excitedly, the manager warns that the superiors approve the huge transfer, asking them to wait for only an hour. With a wide smile on his face, the experienced worker thanks them for the preference, promising to serve the tycoon very faithfully. At that, the suited man introduces his beautiful niece, warning that she would take care of the valuable card and be his assistant. Displaying great curve, the stunning secretary approaches very politely, saying she is very happy to help the rich man. Completely hypnotized, Jiang Cheng notices the woman's enormous beauty, thinking it was some work of his powerful and rich system. Bothered by the scene, the platinum-haired rich kid questions why he hadn't received a partner in his last negotiation. Trying to get around the problem, the astute director guarantees that he himself took care of the blonde guy, promising a new employee soon. Finding it very funny, the silver-haired hare dismisses the offer, and the suited man swears to choose a beautiful woman for him too. Being very seductive, the new assistant leans on the table, asking the billionaire to check and sign the account papers. Feeling the girl's sweet scent, the calm student loses his total composure, trying to control his instincts there. Maintaining her professional pose, the secretary hands over the new cards with an initial limit of an incredible 20 million. Thanking her for the excellent work, the hero smiles at his partner, and the young lady warns she is just doing her great duty. Seconds before entering the room, the old man instructed his niece to make a great impression on the wealthy young master. Reflecting on their ages, the director planned to use the girl's beauty to create a powerful connection with that billionaire. Seeing the great interaction, the astute man celebrates in silence, understanding that his family would gain a lot of strength with this. After an hour, the excited manager brings the valuable contracts, warning that the entire long process was finally ready. At this, the system warns of a return of 27.5 billion, frustrating the rich man with this small profit margin. Celebrating the huge success, the blonde guy congratulates his partner on the new building, questioning the reason for all that sadness. Sweating a lot, the experienced suited man despairs, fearing that the boy wouldn't deposit the 10 billion promised in the agreement. Letting out a long sigh, our protagonist relaxes his posture, understanding that he didn't need to worry about money. Observing the virtual screen, the tycoon celebrates the system's level up, guaranteeing a gigantic automatic daily income. Completely paralyzed and stuttering a lot, the fearful manager tries to get the student's attention, fearing the worst there. At that exact moment, an employee enters the office shouting, warning about immense transfer into the agency's vaults. Gasping, the scared young woman announces the incredible entry of 27.5 billion, paralyzing the entire room with the news. Hearing the absurdity, the silver-haired hare widens his beautiful eyes, not believing the size of his friend's enormous power. Turning his face slowly, the pale worker stands with his mouth open, realizing the monstrous level of that young rich man. President Xu celebrates with a flushed face and clenched fists. He thinks betting on Jiang was the right move, and it even exceeded his 3-year goal. The protagonist's friend with the two-toned hair smirks. He thinks about how Jiang Cheng transferred billions in less than a minute, and wonders who he really is. With a serious expression, he remembers asking a question. He wanted to know if his friend's family happened to own a bank. Jiang Cheng replies with a relaxed smile, putting a hand on his friend's shoulder. He says that if his family owned a bank, the transferred amount would have been much higher. In the background, President Xu and Xiao Yan are completely shocked. Their expressions show they cannot believe what they just heard. The wealthy friend asks what Jiang Cheng means by a small amount. The protagonist explains that he actually expected the value to be even higher. Blushing, the friend admits he thought Jiang Cheng regretted the deal. But in reality, he just thought the apartment price was too low. He then reflects on what his father always says. There are always people who are better and have an understanding that goes beyond the normal. Jiang Cheng turns around and makes a serious request to President Xu. He asks for the remaining 1 billion yuan to be transferred to the new account. President Xu responds promptly to the young man's request. He confirms he will transfer the funds to Mr. Jiang immediately. Alone, Jiang Cheng thinks about his next financial moves. The problem with the Douyin shares is resolved, and he plans to make a profit. The young man plans to use the money to profit in the American stock market. He intends to double his money again in a few days. His friend reminds Jiang Cheng about the stock matter he mentioned. He says he talked to his father and now has 400 million to invest. Jiang Cheng puts a friendly hand on his friend's shoulder. He says they will talk about it over dinner and that they can make money together. The protagonist says goodbye to President Xu, saying they are heading out. The manager says goodbye and tells him to call if they need anything. The friend with the two-toned hair smiles and asks Jiang Cheng to leave with him. He says he is a loyal friend and that they can eat and talk. Back in his office, President Xu relaxes on the sofa and sighs. He looks completely exhausted after all the day's tension. Xiaoyan approaches, sitting with her laptop on her lap. She asks her uncle why he is sighing after such a large deposit. President Xu gets up and grabs a glass of water. He says it is nothing, he just feels like a failure for being over 40 years old. Xiaoyan scolds him for putting himself down and cites Jiang Cheng as an example. She tells him not to follow the example of someone who complains about 20 billion. While drinking water, he changes the subject and asks her a question. He wants to know if there is any problem with the transferred funds. Xiaoyan looks at her laptop and responds confidently. She says there is no reason for concern because the funds came from the American Stock Exchange. President Xu seems relieved by his niece's information. He knows that if there had been a problem, the government would have already acted. He then tells Xiaoyan that she will be Jiang Cheng's personal assistant. He asks her to do her best and fulfill all his requests. The manager reveals he had ulterior motives for making her his assistant. He suggests that proximity might create a dating opportunity. Xiaoyan is left speechless and embarrassed by her uncle's suggestion. She looks away and can only say his name in protest. President Xu smiles and approaches her with a glass in his hand. He says that clients like Jiang Cheng are rare and that they are lucky. The scene changes to a private room at the Peace Hotel where a young man greets Jiang Cheng. He is surprised to see that Jiang Cheng knows Old Wang. A young blonde man smiles and comments on the protagonist's car accident. He says their social circle is small and asks if everything is okay. Jiang Cheng explains that everything is fine and the car has already been repaired. The friend next to him wonders if it was Old Wang who hit Jiang Cheng's car. Old Wang laughs and denies being that bad of a driver. He explains he was helping a friend and thanks to that, he met Jiang Cheng. The blonde young man takes a thoughtful sip of his drink. He finds it strange that Old Wang, an important figure in Shanghai, would have said something negative. Jiang Cheng smiles and comments to his friends. He never imagined that one day he would have dinner with the Emperor of Shanghai and the nation's husband. Old Wang tells him not to mention that title. If women knew that he had spent 6.5 billion, they would have a new target. The other friend at the table is completely shocked by the revelation. He cannot believe that Jiang Cheng bought the office building. The same young man asks Jiang Cheng what kind of investment he is planning. He doesn't understand why the protagonist bought the entire building. Old Wang answers the question for Jiang Cheng. He explains that they went to the bank earlier and paid the full amount in cash. The two friends then offer to help Jiang Cheng with his projects. They say that even without much capital, they would like to participate. Jiang Cheng smiles and reveals he has some insider information. He talks about an American stock with high returns for whoever is interested. The friend in the red shirt is curious and asks for more details. He asks who told Jiang Cheng about this and if the source is reliable. Jiang Cheng says to his friend with a confident smile, he believes he will be able to make a small fortune with this opportunity. The brown-haired friend doubts if the returns are that high. Jiang Cheng replies that they will gain at least 25 points. The blonde friend then takes out his phone with a serious expression. He warns them that he needs to call his father and ask for more money for the investment. Meanwhile, the brown-haired friend also checks his phone. He thinks that, together with his sister, he can reach the smaller goal. Impatient, the blonde friend stands up to leave and make the call. He says he cannot wait any longer and needs to act immediately. With a gesture, the brown-haired friend confirms his total trust. He tells old Jing that he is getting into the deal without asking any questions. While the protagonist eats quietly, a little girl peeks through the door. She observes the group with curiosity from the entrance of the private room. The little girl with green eyes and flushed cheeks remains hidden. She looks directly at Jiang Cheng with a very innocent expression. Suddenly, the little girl runs toward Jiang Cheng, calling his name. Surprised, he recognizes her as Annie and asks what she is doing there.